At the Lin family's ancestral mountain, a gray python woke in the spring pool with a very human shock of recognition, because Lin Xian had just inherited another life's memories. The realization hit him hard. He had transmigrated into a cultivation world, and even as a snake, Lin Xian was thrilled to be here. His movement startled a napping girl in the pavilion, and the moment Lin Ran saw him awake, her sleepy face flipped straight into wild joy. Lin Ran bolted down the mountain yelling that Grand Ancestor was alive, leaving Lin Xian staring after her in total confusion. A short while later, Lin Ran returned with more than 10 family members, led by 3 middle-aged men who approached the spring pool with formal respect. Lin Xiuqi bowed as the third-generation family head and paid respects to Grand Ancestor, and the whole group followed his lead. Lin Xian awkwardly accepted it with a small nod, already piecing together why these humans were calling a newborn python their elder. From inherited memories, he remembered the old bond. The Lin family's first head once saved his injured mother, and that favor made later generations treat her descendants as elders. When the little python clearly understood them and answered with that nod, the Lin family realized their grand ancestor was no ordinary spirit beast at all. That mattered even more because the Lin family was already in a dangerous situation, so this strange, gifted guardian suddenly looked like a real chance. Then a system voice suddenly rang out in Lin Xian's mind, telling him the Lin family matched his fate and could become his bonded partner. Instead of accepting blindly, Lin Xian immediately tested the rules and asked whether he could change partners later, and whether a ruined family would drag him down with it. The system assured him that partners could be replaced if fate matched, and if the bonded family was destroyed, only the family would pay the price. That answer settled it, and after weighing what he knew of the Lin family, Lin Xian decided these people were worth betting on. He accepted the bond with the Lin family, and the system activated on the spot. The rewards came in a rush: 189 years of cultivation, the divine ability Flowing Light, and the clan guardian technique Python Seed. A private status screen opened in front of him, confirming that only he could see it while the Lin family remained oblivious. When he opened the family tab, Lin Xian finally saw the Lin family's real standing as a first-rank power in Qifeng Town with 25 cultivators and modest but solid resources. He quickly figured out the reward logic too. The family's total cultivation explained most of his gain, and their future breakthroughs would keep feeding his growth. The system confirmed his guess and added one more promise: if the bonded family made a major leap, he would earn special rewards too. Even with all that promise, Lin Xian knew he was still too weak to stay exposed, so he decided to send the family away and hide in the pool. Lin Xiuqi read the situation quickly, ordered everyone else back to their duties, and left Lin Ran behind to watch over Grand Ancestor. Before leaving, Lin Xiuqi quietly swore that even if the Lin family fell, he would make sure Lin Ran took Lin Xian away alive, because the family would not betray that old debt again. Hearing that promise, Lin Xian was quietly pleased and decided their future cooperation might actually work. Once the mountain was quiet again, the boosted cultivation hit him like heavy sleep, and Lin Xian sank into deep slumber to absorb it. By night, the sleeping serpent at the bottom of the pool was no longer small at all, but a massive python over 30 meters long with his aura completely hidden. When Lin Xian opened his eyes again, he had already climbed to the 9th layer of qi condensation and burned through 60 years of stored cultivation in less than a day. He estimated the next big wall too, foundation establishment, would take roughly 100 more years of cultivation and at least 3 days of deep sleep to digest safely. That made the family's crisis urgent, so before risking another long sleep, Lin Xian decided he needed to learn what danger the Lin family was facing. At the pavilion's edge, he spotted Lin Ran still training at night, quietly meditating under the moon instead of leaving her post. Lin Xian slipped out of the pool, faced the moon, and drew moonlight down into the pavilion with his new power. The effect landed on Lin Ran almost immediately, and her cultivation surged so fast that she broke through from the 3rd to the 4th layer of qi condensation. The system rewarded Lin Xian with another year of cultivation on the spot, proving that family breakthroughs really did strengthen him. Lin Ran opened her eyes thrilled by the breakthrough, only to find a giant python face suddenly inches from her own. She reacted on pure instinct and hurled a fireball at him, but the attack burst uselessly against his spiritual barrier. Annoyed, Lin Xian sent his voice straight into her mind and scolded her for attacking her own grand ancestor. That voice finally made her recognize him, but Lin Ran could only stare in disbelief because the tiny daytime snake had somehow become a 30-meter monster overnight. Still reeling, she blurted out the obvious question: how could this giant beast possibly be the same grand ancestor she saw that morning? After finally accepting that the giant python is really her grand ancestor, Lin Ran stares at him in shock and asks how he suddenly grew this huge. She presses further, guessing that a spirit beast this massive should be near the 9th layer of qi condensation, and realizes something extraordinary must have happened to him. Lin Xian brushes it off and says the change is probably a legacy left by his mother, and Lin Ran accepts that explanation because spirit beasts really can inherit strange legacies. That answer makes Lin Ran remember her own odd breakthrough, and she suddenly asks if her grand ancestor was the one who pushed her through it. Instead of answering directly, Lin Xian summons strands of moonlight and wraps them around Lin Ran, showing her exactly what he did. Lin Ran is stunned because moonlight is a rare cultivation resource, something only exceptional beings can directly absorb and use. Lin Xian explains that he saw she was stuck at the bottleneck of the third layer of qi condensation, so he gave her a push. When she asks how he can absorb moonlight at all, Lin Xian cuts her off and claims it is just an inborn talent, making it clear he does not want more questions. Lin Ran drops the issue and quietly convinces herself that his bloodline must have mutated, which could be a blessing for the whole Lin family. With that settled, Lin Xian turns serious and asks what crisis her father was talking about when he mentioned the Lin family's danger. Lin Ran's expression darkens at once, and she tries to spare him the burden because he is only 20 days old and just survived a life-and-death ordeal himself. Lin Xian interrupts and insists, so Lin Ran finally begins explaining how the trouble started 2 months earlier with a small red gold vein found outside Qingfeng town. In Lin Ran's retelling, her third brother discovered the small red gold vein outside Qingfeng town, and the family immediately saw it as a chance to boost their strength and resources fast. At first the mining went smoothly under the family elders, but about a month ago the Zhang family suddenly claimed their own disciple had found that same vein half a year earlier. Lin Xian immediately understands the move for what it is. The Zhang family is using a fake claim to seize the mine and bait other powers into pressuring the Lin family too. But one detail bothers him. A second-rank power like the Zhang family should not need to make such an ugly play over one small vein unless something bigger is behind it. Lin Ran says the Lin elders chose to yield the vein almost immediately, hoping to avoid disaster by formally handing it over to the Zhang family. Lin Xian approves that choice, but Lin Ran's face still sinks into grief and rage, making it obvious that surrendering the mine did not save anyone. That same day, her third uncle Lin Taixing took the family documents to submit to the Zhang family, but his spirit tablet shattered in the ancestral hall that very night. Before the family could recover, a red gold tiger that had just advanced to second rank came out of the Lushan Mountains and began rampaging through Qingfeng town. Lin Ran says the family threw nearly all its strength into that fight, and even Lin Xian's mother joined the battle to wound the red gold tiger and force it back. None of the Lin cultivators who fought the red gold tiger made it back, and the only survivor to crawl home was Lin Xian's mother, already mortally wounded. After giving birth to Lin Xian, that last survivor died too, leaving him as a premature newborn barely clinging to life. Hearing that, Lin Xian finally understands why everyone kept calling his birth a life-and-death crisis, and his gaze turns cold. Still piecing the trap together, Lin Xian asks what cultivation level Lin Ran's grandfather and uncles had before this disaster. Lin Ran answers that they had all been stuck at the 9th layer of qi condensation for 20 years because the family lacked second-rank foundation establishment resources. Even so, she says the Lin family once had 8 9th layer cultivators and hundreds more below them, enough to rank among the strongest forces in the county and prefecture. That finally clears up Lin Xian's doubt. The Lin family had grown strong enough to threaten the Zhang family's position, so this was never just about one mine. Lin Ran reads that conclusion on his face and says it plainly at last. If the Zhang family is really behind this, the Lin family is in terrible danger. Lin Xian does not deny it, because once the Zhang family started cutting at the roots, they were never going to stop halfway. Lin Ran suddenly understands her father's orders better than ever. If the rear mountain stirred, she was supposed to take Lin Xian and flee straight to the Demon Beast mountain range. Then Lin Xian suddenly lifts his head, hissing toward the clan estate below as he senses danger before she does. His voice turns icy as he says the Zhang family has arrived, and he decides to go immediately. Lin Ran refuses to stay behind and says she is going too. Lin Xian scoops her onto his back and rockets down the mountain as a streak of gray light. At the Lin family estate, 16 Zhang family cultivators appear in the sky and seal the whole compound in the dead of night. Leading them is Steward Zhang, a grim elder radiating heavy pressure, with 2 9th layer experts behind him and the rest all at least 5th layer. Lin Xiuqi comes out with the clan cultivators and demands to know why the Zhang family has arrived like this in the middle of the night. Steward Zhang coldly announces the excuse they prepared. Lin Taixing trespassed into the Zhang estate, tried to assault the second miss, and was killed for it, so now the whole Lin family will be exterminated. Lin Xiuqi knows it is a lie, but he still bows his head and offers 2/3 of the family's resources, hoping any concession might preserve the clan line. Steward Zhang does not even pretend to negotiate, and simply gives the order to kill. The Zhang cultivators unleash their spells at once, but the Lin family's prepared protective formation flares up and blocks the first wave. The attack does not stop, and repeated bombardment sends ripples across the barrier until the whole town is lit by the blasts. All over Qifeng town, terrified residents hide behind cracked doors and windows, staring at the impossible sight of the Lin family under siege. Inside the estate, over 1,000 Lin family members look up at the shaking barrier and realize that once it falls, the cultivators and ordinary relatives alike will be slaughtered. Growing impatient, Steward Zhang forms seals and gathers golden light behind him until hundreds of razor-sharp feathers appear in the sky. Lin Xiuqi recognizes the Zhang family secret technique on sight and knows the real killing blow is coming. He orders every Lin cultivator back to the formation nodes, and 24 streams of spiritual energy surge upward to reinforce the barrier. Steward Zhang looks down with open contempt, because his half-step foundation establishment power makes him certain this first-rank formation cannot hold. He completes the technique, and the storm of golden feathers slams into the barrier like a foundation establishment strike. The formation shatters under the barrage, and every Lin cultivator tied to it coughs blood from the backlash. Seeing the sky opened and the Zhang family closing in, the Lin family finally falls into complete despair. Steward Zhang releases his full killing intent and his half-step foundation establishment aura, pressing down over all of Qifeng town as he orders the massacre to begin. Right at that hopeless moment, a divine voice crashes across the sky above the Lin family and into everyone's mind, demanding to know who dared attack without his permission. Above the Lin family, everyone follows the warning in the air and spots a long gray shadow racing straight toward them. The shadow crashes into view as a giant gray python over 30 meters long, with Lin Ran riding on its back. Lin Xiuqi blurts out Ranner's name in shock as the python lowers her safely in front of the family. When the clan just stares at the enormous snake, Lin Ran calmly explains that this terrifying beast is their grand ancestor. The family can barely process it, because just a day ago Lin Xian was still a tiny third-layer spirit snake, not a monster at the peak of the 9th layer. Lin Shanhai, elegant in white and still unconvinced, asks if this giant serpent really is their ancestor. Lin Ran confirms it, and reveals that grand ancestor absorbed great-grandma's legacy, which is why his power exploded so fast. But even after believing her, the Lin family sinks back into despair, because a mere 9th layer should still lose to a half-step foundation establishment enemy. Lin Ran stays steady, because she already knows a moonlight-absorbing innate spirit beast can crush a half-step realm gap. Steward Zhang sneers at the so-called 9th layer spirit beast and casually decides it will just become another corpse. He strikes first, condensing a massive spiritual hand in the sky that slams down with pressure so heavy the crowd can barely move. Lin Xiuqi and his two brothers lunge to help, but the other Zhang cultivators cut them off before they can reach Lin Xian. A deafening blast shakes the residence, and for one breath everyone waits to see whether the ancestor survived. When the smoke clears, Lin Xian is still standing tall above the Lin family with moonlight pouring off his body and his tail thrust straight into the sky. The clan realizes his tail didn't just endure the attack, it pierced Steward Zhang's spiritual hand and broke it apart. Then someone finally blurts out the real horror of it. This is an innate spirit beast. That one shout changes Steward Zhang's face instantly, and instead of pressing the fight, he whirls around and bolts toward the Zhang family in Renhui County. The people below are baffled, because from their view he is fleeing after only one blocked attack. But Steward Zhang knows exactly what they do not. A moonlight-empowered innate spirit beast may have awakened an innate divine ability powerful enough to kill him. Even while he runs, greed flashes through him too, because if he survives and reports an innate spirit beast to the Zhang family, the reward could be enormous. His thoughts snap apart when a black streak appears in front of him, and he suddenly feels a terrible pain in his chest. When he looks down, Steward Zhang sees that his entire chest has been erased clean through. He raises his eyes and finds Lin Xian before him again, the black light already settling back into the form of a giant serpent. Realizing too late what hit him, Steward Zhang mutters that this is the power of an innate divine ability, and dies in the sky. Lin Xian cheerfully answers the dead man's question to himself, clearly pleased with how well his innate divine ability worked. His new ability, Flowing Light, can multiply his speed 20-fold, turning pure speed into lethal force. By the time the Lin family fully processes the fight, Lin Xian has already wiped out every other Zhang cultivator too. Wrapped in moonlight like a silver serpent, Lin Xian becomes a sight the entire town will never forget. Thousands of Lin family townsfolk and even hidden commoners peek out in total shock, treating the scene like a god descending over the town. As the danger passes, Lin Xian hears a chain of system rewards for saving the family, deepening the bond, unlocking family luck, and gaining a pond of shedding mortality. He quickly realizes the binding is real. Every time the Lin family grows stronger, he profits too. With one sweep of his body, Lin Xian returns above the Lin family residence, and looks down over the clan from the sky. Lin Xiuqi, Lin Shanhai, and Lin Jinshan immediately lead the family in a full formal bow to their grand ancestor. The cultivators bow, but the ordinary townsfolk go even further and kneel as if worshipping a deity. Using divine sense, Lin Xian privately tells Lin Xiuqi he needs 3 days to break through to foundation establishment, and after that the family's crisis will be over. Lin Xiuqi is shaken by the claim, but after everything he has seen tonight, he chooses to trust it immediately. He answers at once with a plan. Lock down Qingfeng town for 3 days so the Zhang family gets no news and assumes Steward Zhang is still seizing Lin property. He also judges that the Zhang family's true foundation establishment ancestor cannot easily leave Renhui County, so 3 days of confusion should be enough. Lin Xian approves the arrangement and turns toward the back mountain to begin his breakthrough. Before leaving, Lin Xian sends one more bombshell into Lin Xiuqi's mind. If he reaches foundation establishment, he will raise the Lin family to a second-rank force within half a month. That promise leaves Lin Xiuqi frozen, because a second-rank force means a real foundation establishment human cultivator and control over an entire county. He understands the deeper meaning at once. Grand Ancestor is not talking about ruling for them, but about pushing an actual Lin family member to Foundation establishment and taking a county by force. Lin Shanhai finally asks what Grand Ancestor said, amazed to see his usually unshakable elder brother so visibly rattled. Even Lin Jishan looks over in curiosity, but Lin Xiuqi decides this secret is too important to spread before the breakthrough succeeds. He only tells them to wait 3 days, then immediately issues the order to seal the entire town under both his name and Grand Ancestor's authority. The order lands heavily, but once they hear it comes from Grand Ancestor too, the Lin family accepts it without hesitation. The whole clan mobilizes at once, throwing on armor, taking up weapons, and rushing out to lock down Qifeng Town. Lin family cultivators spread to the 4 directions with wind riding arts and begin round-the-clock surveillance so nothing alive can slip away. Watching his people move, Lin Xiuqi smiles wryly and admits to himself that after tonight, Grand Ancestor's status may already stand above his own. Still, he can accept that easily if it means the Lin family finally rises. At the back mountain spirit pool, Lin Xian senses the clan moving below and feels his own attitude toward the family quietly changing too. Lin Xian studies the new family protection divine ability, Python Seed, and realizes it can push a Lin family cultivator toward Foundation establishment at a frightening speed. But he immediately rejects the idea of giving it away first, because letting a clan member break through before him would put his own life at risk. After settling on that decision, Lin Xian focuses on the real priority and begins absorbing the system's cultivation reward to force his own breakthrough. By the next morning outside Qifeng Town, a small family tries to leave in a wagon, only to have Lin Shanhai drop in and block the road. The terrified family kneels at once and begs forgiveness, while the father explains that they only left because his father-in-law died. Li Dan promises to turn back immediately, but before he can finish, all 3 are cut down without warning. In his dying moment, Li Dan realizes too late that he was never exposed at all. The Lin family has decided no one leaving town will be spared. Lin Shanhai looks at the dead child for a beat, hardens his heart again, and leaves convinced they chose death by ignoring the warning. Around Qifeng Town, the same purge keeps happening, because the Lin family would rather kill innocents than risk spies carrying news to the county's other powers. 2 days after the night of slaughter, the Zhang family gathers its top elders, and Zhang Buren admits that no news from Qifeng Town is starting to look very bad. He offers huge contribution rewards for anyone willing to investigate, but not a single elder dares answer after Steward Zhang vanished there. The Grand Elder advises waiting 1 more day and, if Qifeng Town stays silent, calling on the ancestor instead of throwing more people away. 3 more days pass, and a tightly suppressed but terrifying aura starts spreading from the Lin family's back mountain. Lin Xiuqi stations the entire Lin family around the back mountain to guard Lin Xian, while everyone starts wondering if their grand ancestor is truly breaking into the 2nd rank. Then the answer comes with a hiss as Lin Xian bursts from the spirit pool as a giant gray python more than 100 meters long. He coils above the clouds with the pressure of a true Foundation establishment beast, leaving even the prepared Lin elders stunned speechless. Lin Ran is the first to snap out of it and congratulate him, and the whole Lin family follows with open joy at their ancestor's breakthrough. High above them, Lin Xian hears the system confirm that both Flowing Light and Python Seed have strengthened, and that he can now condense 5 seeds instead of 1. When he checks his status, Lin Xian sees he is now at initial Foundation establishment, but his new 2nd rank bloodline has already hit its current limit. That means brute forcing higher realms with his present aptitude would take absurdly long, so his attention shifts to one unopened reward, the beginner pool of shedding mortality. The item's details hit him hard. It can improve bloodlines and spiritual roots, let ordinary people start cultivating, and even heal devastating injuries. Lin Xian quickly realizes this heaven and earth treasure could solve his own aptitude problem and reshape the future of the entire Lin family. Before he can think any further, Lin Xian turns cold and calls out a hidden watcher in the western clouds for spying on him. The disguise peels away from the cloud, and the hidden elder reveals himself as Zhang Yaoyang, the Zhang family's Foundation establishment ancestor. Lin Xian instantly judges that cane as a peak 2nd rank magical item, which makes the old man's arrival even more dangerous. Zhang Yaoyang smirks at the newly advanced Lin Xian, admits he did not expect to be noticed so fast, and lets clear killing intent seep into his words. On the back mountain, the Lin family goes pale as the threat hits all at once. Their grand ancestor has just reached Foundation establishment, but the Zhang family's long-established ancestor is already in the sky to meet him. High in the sky, Zhang Yaoyang coldly confronts Lin Xian and asks if he was the one who killed Zhang family members 3 days ago. Lin Xian answers with open disdain, calling them trash and showing Zhang Yaoyang he is not afraid at all. Zhang Yaoyang offers Lin Xian a way out, swear a blood oath to the Zhang family and live, but the Lin family below will be exterminated for defiance. His Foundation establishment pressure crashes down on the Lin family, turning the whole mountainside pale and breathless. Lin Xian instantly spreads his own aura over the mountain and shields the Lin family from Zhang Yaoyang's pressure. Now openly furious, Lin Xian warns the old man that he is the one in charge of the Lin family, not someone Zhang Yaoyang gets to erase. He stops talking and attacks at once, smashing his tail down with accumulated lunar power packed into the strike. The blow hurls Zhang Yaoyang out of the sky and slams him into the earth a kilometer away, blasting open a huge crater. He survives only because his peak second-rank magical staff took the worst of the impact instead of his body. After a brief stillness, a green pillar of light erupts from the crater as Zhang Yaoyang rises back into the air. Though badly wounded and pale, Zhang Yaoyang starts healing on the spot as green halos from the surrounding mountains and earth stream into him. Staring at the lingering lunar power on Lin Xian's tail, Zhang Yaoyang finally realizes he is facing a gifted spirit beast and can barely believe it. He cannot understand how an ordinary second-rank mystical python bloodline could awaken into an innate spirit beast. Lin Xian ignores the question and quietly judges the old man's recovery method, recognizing a wood-based technique backed by that high-grade staff. Instead of explaining himself, Lin Xian tells Zhang Yaoyang to keep watching. He activates flowing light and vanishes into a streak so fast even the air cracks behind him. Sensing danger too late, Zhang Yaoyang reflexively pours power into his dragon-headed staff and throws up a green shield around himself. The next instant, Lin Xian's hit punches through the shield and blasts a hole straight through Zhang Yaoyang's chest. As the light leaves his eyes, Zhang Yaoyang can only mutter that he should have survived a late Foundation establishment blow. Lin Xian reappears high above, and as Zhang Yaoyang's body starts falling, the Lin family below can only stare in stunned silence. The Lin family watches the shattered shield and the falling Zhang ancestor in stunned disbelief. For them, the shock is almost unreal. Their grand ancestor just killed the Foundation establishment cultivator in one strike through a peak second-rank defense. Lin Xiuqi finally understands that this terrifying gap came from an innate divine ability, the kind of power higher factions prize. Then Lin Xian breaks the daze by calling Lin Xiuqi's name from above. Lin Xiuqi snaps back, bows with open awe, and greets him as grand ancestor. Lin Xian brusquely calls Lin Xiuqi useless and orders him to search Zhang Yaoyang's body, especially the peak second-rank staff. Before Lin Xiuqi can move, Lin Ran darts out and eagerly volunteers to handle it. Lin Xian is pleased by Lin Ran's quick reaction, and the family quietly swallows the absurd fact that their grand ancestor is not even a month old. Soon Lin Ran returns carrying Zhang Yaoyang's corpse, along with the dragon-headed staff and his storage ring. Lin Xian takes both items with his divine sense and easily breaks the mental seal on the ring. Inside, he finds a solid haul of cultivation resources, mostly wood element, including a prized piece of green maple kingwood. He also finds the Zhang family's techniques, including withered wood revival art, a Foundation establishment method far better than anything the Lin family has. Most important of all, Lin Xian discovers the Zhang clan's secret technique, Rain of Thousand Feathers. The secret technique matters because it can be used across Qi condensation, Foundation establishment, and even Golden Core, making it a long-term trump card instead of a one-realm spell. It is especially valuable because cultivators are weakest right after a breakthrough, and a secret technique gives them real killing power immediately. Lin Xian realizes Zhang Yaoyang died before he could unleash Rain of Thousand Feathers, because if he had, the whole mountainside might have been buried with the Lin family on it. He also learns the limit behind such techniques. Most cultivators can only master one, which is why even second-rank forces guard them so fiercely. When his divine sense enters the jade, Lin Xian is relieved to find that secret techniques are not restricted by race, so he can cultivate this one too. The method even has a ranking system by power boost, and Rain of Thousand Feathers sits in the low tier at about 4 times normal spell power. After sorting the harvest, Lin Xian looks down at Lin Xiuqi and brings up the promise he made before this breakthrough. Lin Xiuqi immediately remembers and excitedly repeats it. Once Lin Xian reached Foundation establishment, the Lin family would become a second-rank power within half a month. That promise stuns the 25 Lin family cultivators all over again, and they finally understand why their family had reacted so strongly 3 days earlier. Before they can ask more, Lin Xian spits out a purple light mass the size of an egg, and spiritual energy rushes into it from every direction. He names it the Purple Python Seed and says it can replace second-tier Foundation establishment resources while guaranteeing a 9th-layer Qi condensation cultivator a perfect breakthrough. Lin Xian adds that even after the breakthrough, the seed keeps boosting cultivation speed and comprehension by several times. The whole family stares at the seed with burning greed, so tempted they barely even react to the fact that Lin Xian just revealed a second talent. Lin Xian deliberately snatches the mood tighter by swallowing the Purple Python Seed back down before anyone can dream of reaching for it. Amused by their eager faces, he asks Lin Xiuqi if he understands why the reward is not being handed over yet. Lin Xiuqi suppresses his greed and gives the answer of a real family head. Zhang Yaoyang is dead, so now they must rush to Renhuai County and wipe out the Zhang family before it scatters. That is exactly what Lin Xian wanted to hear, and he praises Lin Xiuqi as someone worth teaching. With the decision made, Lin Xian wraps the Lin family in his spiritual power and lifts them all into the sky. They fly west toward Renhuai County with one clear mission now: exterminate the Zhang family completely. Renhuai County lived under the Zhang family's shadow, with Azure Heaven Mountain as their rich spiritual stronghold full of fields, spiritual plants, and prized Azure Heaven wood. The Zhang bloodline filled the mountain's foothills, and any child born with spiritual roots was sent up the mountain to be raised as a cultivator. Then a thunderous boom ripped across the sky, and everyone from the county to the mountain looked up at the same time. A gigantic gray serpent carrying the Lin family descended over Azure Heaven Mountain, and the pressure of a Foundation establishment beast made the danger obvious. The Zhang family answered at once, with all 300 cultivators rising into the air behind family head Zhang Buren and the Supreme Elder. When Zhang Buren recognized the Lin brothers beside the serpent, he instantly linked this attack to his missing ancestor and felt a chill he tried to hide. Still acting polite, Zhang Buren bowed and asked Lin Xian why he had come to the Zhang family. Lin Xian answered without mercy. The Lin family was under his protection, and he had come to annihilate the Zhang family for attacking them. His declaration thundered across dozens of miles, throwing Renhui County into chaos as people realized the Foundation establishment powerhouse had come to erase the Zhangs. Zhang Buren swallowed his anger and offered tenfold compensation, promising the Zhang family would never touch the Lin family again. The Supreme Elder tried another angle and hinted that the Zhang ancestor was also in Foundation establishment, hoping that threat would make Lin Xian hesitate. Lin Xian answered that bluff with a smile and summoned the Zhang ancestor's green dragon-headed Azure Heaven cane into view. The moment the Zhangs recognized their ancestor's treasured weapon, panic spread through their ranks because the answer was obvious. Their ancestor was already dead. Before they could recover, the sky behind Lin Xian filled with 1,000 enormous golden feathers, and the Zhang family recognized their own secret technique in his hands too. That second revelation destroyed the last doubt, and everyone understood Lin Xian had not just beaten their ancestor but taken his techniques and come to wipe them all out. Zhang Buren and the Supreme Elder finally shouted for every Zhang disciple to run, but the warning came far too late. Lin Xian wasted no more words and released the rain of 1,000 feathers straight onto Azure Heaven Mountain. Facing a world-ending rain of light, Zhang Buren and the Supreme Elder rushed forward together, throwing out every magical tool and spell they had to buy their clan one last sliver of hope. Lin Xian watched with mild surprise, but their resistance lasted only an instant before both men were blown apart under the barrage. With his divine sense guiding every strike, Lin Xian sent the remaining feathers through the whole mountain until not a single Zhang cultivator was left alive. Just like that, the Zhang family was erased, and scouts around Renhui County stared in numb disbelief at a second-rank power disappearing in moments. The shock spread fast, and everyone with sense knew Renhui County and even wider Tianyuan Prefecture would be shaken by the fall of a Foundation establishment clan. Not long after, Lin Xian stood by the quiet lake behind the Zhang main hall and calmly treated Azure Heaven Mountain as the Lin family's new territory. Around him, the Lin family finished stripping the mountain's resources, and their satisfied faces showed just how much wealth the Zhangs had built up. Lin Xiuqi started reporting the spoils in detail, but Lin Xian cut him off and made it clear he had no interest in managing family accounts. Instead, Lin Xian said it was time to fulfill his promise, and the mood around the lake turned sharply expectant. He spat out a purple python seed and sent it straight into Lin Xiuqi's body, flooding the clan head with a violent surge of power. Under everyone's stunned eyes, Lin Xiuqi's aura kept climbing for an hour until the whole mountain's spiritual energy rushed into him and pushed him into Foundation establishment. Before the Lin family could even recover, Lin Xian spat out 2 more serpent seeds for Lin Shanhai and Lin Jishan, the clan's only 2 ninth-layer Qi condensation cultivators. Another hour later, both men broke through as well, turning the Lin family from a first-rank clan into a second-rank force with 3 Foundation establishment experts in a single day. That miracle left the rest of the clan staring at Lin Xian with burning hope, because he had just changed 3 destinies with a casual opening of his mouth. Lin Ran happily stepped forward first, congratulating her father and uncles as the whole clan finally realized who now stood at the center of their future. The Lin family bowed to the 3 new Foundation establishment cultivators, and for a brief moment the brothers enjoyed a scene they had never dared dream of. Then the 3 brothers turned back, dropped to their knees before Lin Xian, and shocked the whole clan with a gesture cultivators almost never make. They thanked Lin Xian for giving them a second life and vowed that they and the entire Lin family would never forget that grace. One by one the rest of the Lin family knelt too, and as their voices rose together, Lin Xian silently looked down on a bond that had just been sealed for the long years ahead. At the lake, Lin Xian hands the messy work of the family's promotion to the others and makes it clear he does not want to be bothered unless something truly serious happens. The Lin family members leave the lake with grim confidence, knowing that after coming this far under their grand ancestors' protection, they have no excuse to fail at the final steps. Once he is alone, Lin Xian looks over the lake and calls for the pool of shedding mortality to be released. The space trembles, and a huge white light gate opens at the bottom of the lake right in front of him. After a brief hesitation, the 100-meter python lowers himself and slips into the gate. On the other side, Lin Xian finds an enormous golden pool hidden in a silent space, far larger and stranger than he expected. The pool is ringed by black stone covered in dense purple patterns, and one look at those markings is enough to make Lin Xian's head ache. He quickly stops studying the incomprehensible formation and refocuses on the one thing that matters now, breaking past the limit of his bloodline. Lin Xian dives into the pool of shedding mortality, and the golden liquid immediately starts pouring into his body. Instead of the agony he expected, the transformation feels almost weightless, so gentle that it seems like he is floating toward ascension. Reassured by the system's power, Lin Xian lets himself drift into a deep sleep as the mysterious transformation continues on its own. Meanwhile, in the Zhang family's main hall, the Lin family gathers to turn victory into stable rule, with Lin Xiuqi seated at the center as family head. Lin Xiuqi sets the Renhuai County seal on the table, a symbol that the county's authority has now passed into Lin hands. With spiritual power, he erases the Zhang name from the seal and replaces it with Lin, making the transfer of control unmistakable. He follows that by sending a county-wide warning, every first-rank force leader must come to Azure Heaven Mountain in 3 days or face the consequences. Then Lin Xiuqi reminds everyone that with their grand ancestors' support, the Lin family is only one step away from becoming a true second-rank foundation establishment force. He assigns Lin Shanhai the next crucial step: go to the Nine Peaks sect, secure official recognition, and complete the promotion process. Lin Shanhai accepts at once, because this mission is more opportunity than burden if they bring the 30,000 contribution spirit stones the sect expects. He knows the real prize may be access to the source pool, a rare benefit that can sharply raise cultivation and, for exceptional talent, even push someone up a minor realm. That thought leaves Lin Shanhai quietly wondering just how much the Grand Ancestor's Python seed has already changed his own talent. Next, Lin Xiuqi orders Lin Jishan to patrol openly and keep his aura visible, because a newly seized county is exactly when troublemakers are most likely to test them. Lin Jinshan answers with chilling certainty that anyone who tries to sabotage the Lin family during this fragile moment will die for it. But Lin Jinshan points out an uglier source of unrest still under their control: the more than 10,000 ordinary people carrying the Zhang family bloodline. Lin Xiuqi immediately shuts down any thought of slaughter, warning that if the Lin family breaks that unwritten rule, their own bloodline could one day face the same end. Instead, he lays out the standard solution: sell those ordinary Zhang bloodline members to nearby Foundation establishment forces, and maybe to the Nine Peaks sect as well. The logic is cold but practical. Those descendants are valuable breeding stock for cultivation talent, and once scattered into other territories, they will lose any real tie to the old Zhang family. With that settled, Lin Xiuqi turns to the Lin family's real weakness. They have strong fighters at the top, but only 21 lower-level Qi cultivators beneath them. Lin Shanhai proposes the only realistic fix for now: improved benefits for every Lin cultivator and reward childbirth across the family whether the children show talent or not. Far away in Yuanyang town, the Yuanyang sect's upper members gather in their hall to stare at the Lin family's summons and decide whether to obey it. Sect Master Qi Yang confirms the core fact everyone fears: the Lin family really did destroy the Zhang family by relying on a Foundation establishment monster python. Elder Tai argues they should refuse the summons, convinced the Nine Peaks sect will never let a monster python control human territory through the Lin family. His reasoning spreads fast through the room, and one elder after another agrees that they should not bow to a force led by a monster. Then the usually quiet Lu Jinyong finally cuts through the talk and says they absolutely must go. He points to the only fact that really matters right now: whatever the Nine Peaks sect decides later, the Lin family already has the power to wipe out the Yuanyang sect today. That blunt reminder kills the argument on the spot, because everyone has just watched what happened to the Zhang family, and knows their own sect would fare no better. Qi Yang and Fu Che exchange a look and accept the obvious conclusion: whether the Lin family survives politically or not, they are too dangerous to provoke right now. So Qi Yang makes the final call. In 3 days, he and Lu Jinyong will go to Azure Heaven Mountain with 500 spirit stones, while Fu Che stays behind to run the sect. As news spreads from Yuanyang town to the other towns of Renhuai County, every first-rank force quickly decides to attend the Lin family's trip to Azure Heaven Mountain 3 days later. In Azure Heaven Market, a tense crowd gathers outside Jiang family's shop where 3 black-clad men are openly pressuring the old shop manager. Jiang Wei keeps his temper and says the 100-year spirit ginseng is too valuable for him to hand over, so he asks them to respect the Jiang family's name instead of forcing the issue. The Scarface brother sneers that they already paid 900 spirit stones, so now the Jiang family is the one trying to cheat them. The onlookers do not buy that story at all, because the Jiang family has done honest business here for years and no one thinks they would risk everything over one ginseng. Then people start recognizing the 3 troublemakers as the Mo clan's 3 evils, scattered cultivators infamous for robbery and bullying across Tianyuan Mansion. Not far away, Elder Yu from the Alchemy and Talisman Gate watches the confrontation from his shop doorway with a young man and woman, already treating it as a test of the Lin family's control. The young woman reacts in disgust, saying the 3 evils are shameless and should be risking Lin family retaliation by bullying people on Lin territory. Elder Yu explains that the thugs picked this moment on purpose, because Lin Shanhai has left for Tianyuan Mansion and Azure Heaven Mountain is left with only 2 9th-layer Qi cultivators besides the hidden senior. When the young man asks why they are not worried about a Foundation establishment senior stepping in, Elder Yu dryly asks whether anyone would really summon that level of force for one spirit ginseng. The young woman realizes that is exactly why the 3 evils dared to target the Jiang family in public. Elder Yu says the market's 12 outside families are connected, so if the Lin family fails to handle this themselves, the others will step in and judge them by how they do it. Back at the shop, the Wright brother loudly demands that everyone check the store's spirit stones, insisting their 900 is still inside. Jiangwei answers that a month-end shop naturally holds that much capital and profit, but that still does not make the accusation true. The leader drops all pretense and coldly says Jiangwei has decided to keep what belongs to their 3 brothers. A violent aura suddenly bursts from the leader, and the market is stunned when they realize he has already stepped into Half-Step Foundation establishment. That breakthrough explains everything, because now the 3 evils actually have the strength to threaten even a strong herb-growing family like Jiang. Before anyone can react further, an even more terrifying pressure crashes down from Azure Heaven Mountain and smothers the entire market. A lone figure races over the distance with impossible speed, crossing huge stretches of land in a blink as every eye turns skyward. A terrifying pressure arrives from Azure Heaven Mountain, and when the newcomer stops above the market, the stunned crowd recognizes him as Lin Family third son Lin Jinshan. Their shock only grows when they realize Lin Jinshan is no longer just a chi cultivator, but a true foundation establishment expert. Lin Jinshan does not argue for even a moment, and simply flicks out 3 precise strikes at the Emo clan brothers. The 3 evils are blown apart on the spot, erased so completely that even their flesh and blood vanish from the market. The whole market falls silent, because Lin Jinshan's instant execution makes it clear the Lin family is now setting the rules for Renhui County. Lin Jinshan coldly announces that he will personally oversee the market from now on, and anyone who breaks its order will die without mercy. After making his point, Lin Jinshan turns and steps into the central Azure Heaven Pavilion, the place that once let the Zhang family control the market formation. In front of the now quiet shop, Jiangwei can only stare at the clean ground and admit to himself that the Lin family is truly rising. The whole market reads the signal at once. With land, power, and now a foundation establishment expert in public, the Lin family is almost a true second-rank force. Jiangwei moves fast once he understands the shift, telling purple-clad rower to prepare the 100-year spirit ginseng because in 3 days they will visit the upper sect. At the talisman shop, Elder Yu lets out a long breath and orders his sex contribution quota for the coming ceremony to be doubled. News of Azure Heaven Market spreads fast, and the first-rank powers of Renhui County all rush to double their offerings and correct their attitude toward the Lin family. Across Renhui County, the first-rank forces quickly fall in line, because with Lin Jishan now openly in charge, resisting the Lin family looks like suicide. Inside Tianyuan Hall, Hall Master Shi Ruixin watches the report with envy, painfully aware that he is already in his 70s and still trapped at Half-Step Foundation establishment. He compares himself to the much younger Lin Jishan and knows his own chance to build a foundation is basically gone. So Shi Ruixin turns to his promising grandson Shi Hao and orders him to deliver a precious second-rank Tianyuan stone to the Lin family in 3 days as a formal congratulatory gift. Shi Ruixin is not just being polite, he is using the Lin family's rise to start paving a stronger future for the grandson he believes can still reach foundation establishment. Shi Hao obeys, even though he still doubts why a rising local second-rank force deserves this much attention from their side. Far away at Nine Peak Sect, the true overlord of Tianyuan Prefecture rises out of the demonic beast mountain range in a breathtaking spread of 9 towering peaks linked by rainbow bridges. After 2 days of travel, Lin Shanhai finally arrives and cannot help being moved by the sight, even though he came here on urgent business. He immediately puts that awe aside, surges up the final approach in huge leaps, and lands right in front of Nine Peak Sect's Jade Gate. A young bystander at the entrance blurts out in confusion that newcomers are supposed to climb the long stairway instead of jumping straight to the top. A nearby girl shuts that down at once, explaining that Lin Shanhai is a foundation establishment senior, probably the head of some second-rank force, so ordinary entry rules do not apply to him. The young man goes quiet and reddens with embarrassment, while Lin Shanhai stands before Nine Peak Sect's gate to begin whatever comes next. Lin Shanhai arrives at Nine Peak Sect's Jade Gate, calm on the surface but quietly sure the Python bloodline has changed his future. He introduces himself as Lin Shanhai of the Lin family, hands over a letter for Elder Nagong, and quietly slips the gate disciples a little extra courtesy. Li Fan immediately sends the message through the Jade Gate, and Lin Shanhai realizes the gate itself is a treasure. After a tense wait, space ripples behind the gate and Elder Nagong Wuji appears in person, his peak foundation establishment aura instantly raising the pressure. Nagong Wuji recognizes the Lin family name, but Lin Shanhai's cultivation makes him pause because it suggests the family now has far more strength than expected. Deciding not to pry into the Lin family's luck, Nagong Wuji simply tells him to follow, and leads him deep into Nine Peak Sect. After taking Lin Shanhai's 3,000 contribution spirit stones, Nagong Wuji brings him to the sect's secret source pool. At Nagong Wuji's signal, Lin Shanhai steps into the pool with open anticipation and starts absorbing its power. Inside the source pool, Lin Shanhai feels the Python bloodline go wild as it greedily devours spiritual energy far more aggressively than normal. A quarter hour passes, and Lin Shanhai's early foundation establishment realm stabilizes cleanly, though Nagong Wuji still treats that as normal. Half an hour in, Lin Shanhai's growth is still accelerating instead of slowing down, and Nagong Wuji starts watching more carefully. By the second hour, Lin Shanhai's aura has pushed past the early stage, and Nagong Wuji is genuinely astonished by that level of talent. Hours keep passing. Lin Shanhai reaches the very top of early foundation establishment, and even Nangong Wuji can no longer stay calm. What really alarms Nangong Wuji is not just Lin Shanhai's talent, but how the source pool is draining more than 5 times faster than it should. In the 6th hour, Lin Shanhai finally breaks through into middle foundation establishment right inside the pool. The breakthrough makes Lin Shanhai smile for a second, until he realizes the python seed could keep absorbing far longer and expose too much. He judges that staying past the sex limits would stop looking gifted and start looking dangerous, so he chooses to end it before he humiliates Nine Peak Sect. When Lin Shanhai comes out after 6 hours, Nangong Wuji is visibly relieved and suddenly much warmer now that he is dealing with a real talent. Elsewhere, deep in the pool of shedding mortality, Lin Xian's transformation surges again as a strange force helps finish the last stretch. In only 3 days, Lin Xian's transformation has already pushed his giant python body from early foundation establishment to the late stage peak, leaving him just 1 step from the top. Lin Xian's transformation finishes taking shape, leaving him as a colossal black and white divine python covered in glossy black scales. When the pool's special energy is finally exhausted after 6 hours, Lin Xian makes his last jump and reaches the peak of foundation establishment. With the breakthrough finished, Lin Xian wakes at last and opens newly golden eyes, quietly startled by how much he has changed. He pulls up his system panel and confirms the payoff: foundation establishment peak, a 4th stage heaven-swallowing divine python bloodline, flowing light, and 10 python seeds. Lin Xian studies the results of his transformation and realizes his bloodline has jumped to the 4th rank, awakening the heaven-swallowing divine python itself. The leap is so huge that he has gone from early foundation establishment straight to the peak, saving himself centuries of grinding cultivation. Once he reads the bloodline description, Lin Xian understands just how absurd it is. This lineage can eventually carry him all the way to nascent soul if nothing goes wrong. He also gains a new innate divine ability called Heaven Swallowing, and the first thing he notices is how brutal it is in actual combat. With his current bloodline, he can simply swallow any attack below Golden Core, making him effectively untouchable to everyone under that realm. The ability is not just defensive either, because anything with a soul can now be devoured and refined into his own cultivation. Then he turns to his family protection divine ability, and is stunned to find that the old python seed has evolved too. Anyone planted with the new python seed will slowly become a spirit-devouring physique, letting their cultivation speed soar far beyond normal talent. On top of that, seed bearers gain a weaker version of Heaven Swallowing, enough to automatically neutralize part of incoming attacks. Lin Xian immediately sees what this means for the clan and quietly admits that the Lin family is really about to rise. He welcomes that outcome, because his bond with the family already paid off through the special energy Lin Shanhai brought him during the breakthrough. That makes him even more certain that planting python seeds is a pure win for him, since he can share benefits whenever he wants and still keep the deeper advantage. He has also not forgotten the darkest rule of the ability: if a seed bearer dies, all of that person's Dao fruits return to him intact. He has no plan to create trouble himself, but if fate drops those rewards in front of him, he will not hesitate to take them. Just then, the system starts chiming with rewards, because the Lin family has successfully registered as a 2nd-rank force. The promotion drops a huge batch of rewards at once: 500 years of cultivation, a new divine ability, and the Upper Ancient Sword Manual. Lin Xian immediately connects the timing to Lin Shanhai finishing the registration process at 9 Peak Sect. When he checks his total, Lin Xian now has 850 years of foundation establishment cultivation saved up. He quickly works out the numbers and realizes that 500 years would already be enough to force a Golden Core breakthrough right now. But the heaven-swallowing bloodline heritage reveals that Golden Cores come in ranks, and Lin Xian realizes breaking through too soon would throw away a far stronger future. At his current awakening, he could easily make at least a 4th-rank core, and every extra 100 years of cultivation can push it 1 rank higher. A 9th-rank core would take 1,000 years, and a perfect foundational golden core would demand twice that, but Lin Xian still refuses to aim lower. He is not worried about the gap either, because 7 python seeds could still feed him another 700 years of cultivation down the line. And cultivation years are not his only lever, since better bloodline awakening, stronger techniques, and devouring rare geniuses and treasures can all lower the cost. That makes the new sword art in his hands especially exciting, because it may solve the rest of the problem. The Upper Purple Heaven Sword scripture turns out to be a terrifying inheritance left by a crossing tribulation expert, with cultivation all the way up to nascent soul. Because the system directly implants the manual, Lin Xian can understand it at once and starts circulating his spiritual energy according to its path. A week passes, and the result shocks him. He has slightly less spiritual energy than before, but every bit of it has become much sharper and stronger. Even his body feels improved, and Lin Xian can only marvel at how outrageous a true top-tier cultivation method is. After only 1 week of practice, he estimates the compression is already so strong that a year's worth of cultivation could nearly be condensed away. If he masters the scripture, Lin Xian believes he can form at least a 7th-rank golden core even without any other advantages. He also senses that the scripture can draw out his own hidden potential, maybe even helping the heaven-swallowing bloodline awaken further without relying only on the system. With that, the hardest part of his golden core path is finally settled, and he decides the next step is simply to shorten the waiting time. His gaze drops toward the pool of shedding mortality below, and an idea forms as he spreads out his spiritual sense. Elsewhere in the Azure Heaven Mountain Hall, Lin Xiuqi meets with the clan to figure out how to receive the flood of cultivators coming to congratulate the Lin family. The reason is obvious, because Lin Shanhai's 6-hour breakthrough in the Nine Peaks Sect Source Pool has spread across Tianyuan Prefecture like wildfire. Inside the sect that feat may not seem earth-shaking, but outside it turns Lin Shanhai into a publicly recognized genius with future golden core potential. In barely a day, more than 10 leaders of Foundation establishment forces have already contacted Lin Xiuqi to offer congratulations. Caught off guard by the speed of it all, he can only delay the formal celebration for a week so the distant guests have time to arrive. Then one of the clan members finally says the awkward truth: even if every Lin cultivator helps, the family still does not have enough people to receive all the guests properly. Her words sink the room into awkward silence, because everyone knows the family has risen faster than its low-level cultivators can keep up. Lin Xiuqi can only admit the truth, saying they cannot create cultivators out of thin air, and this shortage will take years to fix. In the middle of that dead end, Lin Xiuqi's expression suddenly changes when a private message from the Grand Ancestor reaches his ear. The order is absolute: take every member of the Lin family to the back mountain lake, including the ordinary clansmen. Lin Ran notices his father go tense, and immediately asks what happened. Lin Xiuqi tells the room that the Grand Ancestor has summoned the entire family to the back mountain lake. Everyone's face shifts on the spot, because the whole clan knows their rise came from the Grand Ancestor, and no one dares treat his words lightly. Lin Xiuru is the first to push everyone into motion, urging them not to keep the Grand Ancestor waiting for even a moment. Her urgency comes from something personal too, because she knows exactly how her 3 brothers reached Foundation establishment, and hopes to someday ask for a python seed herself. The hall rises to obey at once, but Lin Xiuqi stops them with one important reminder: the order includes every ordinary clan member too. He orders the clan to spread the word at top speed so everyone reaches the back mountain lake as fast as possible. He specifically sends Lin Ran down the mountain to notify her third uncle as the rest of the family rushes out. As the hall empties, Lin Xiuqi looks toward the back mountain lake, unsettled and wondering what kind of major move the Grand Ancestor is planning this time. Far away at the Palace of Divine Enchantment, a dark glimmer suddenly forms inside the Eastern Star Lantern, warning that something dangerous may be about to descend. An old star-marked elder opens his eyes, reads the omen, and immediately sends a warning to both the human ancestral temple and the Luo family to watch for a heavenly tribulation. At Azure Heaven Mountain's back lake, the entire Lin family gathers in tense silence, only for a colossal black and white serpent head to burst up from the water and freeze everyone in place. Even Lin Xiuqi and the other cultivators can barely breathe under that aura, and the whole lakeside starts fearing the worst. Maybe the Grand Ancestor has already been eaten. Then the giant serpent calmly speaks in Lin Xian's voice and asks if everyone has arrived, turning the fear into stunned confusion. Lin Ran hesitantly asks if the monster in front of them is really their Grand Ancestor. Lin Xian confirms it, and explains that his bloodline awakened during his breakthrough, so his body changed this drastically. Lin Xiuqi cannot hold back any longer, and asks what realm Lin Xian has reached now. Lin Xian answers without hiding it. He is already at the peak of Foundation establishment, only 3 days after his last breakthrough. That answer hits the Lin family like a shockwave, because even their strongest members know this kind of speed is completely monstrous. Cutting off the chatter, Lin Xian says he called them here for a reason and taps the lake with his tail. The lake parts open under his power, revealing a hidden path and a glowing white gate standing on the lakebed. Lin Xian reveals that behind the gate lies a pool that strengthens bloodlines, raises aptitude, and most importantly can let ordinary people awaken spiritual roots. The cultivators are shaken, but the ordinary clan members are hit even harder, because Lin Xian has just named the impossible dream they gave up on years ago. One young man steps out from the crowd and asks with obvious longing whether this miracle is really true. He is Lin Xiunxian, the stubborn genius who had no spiritual roots yet spent his whole life chasing immortality through martial arts anyway. He had pushed martial arts all the way into the legendary heavenly realm, only to discover that without spiritual energy his body had already reached its human limit. Even after that crushing dead end, the Lin family respected him for refusing to give up, and Lin Xian quietly decides this young man is worth betting on. Lin Xian orders the Lin family's cultivators to enter first, turning the promise into a real test everyone can witness. Lin Xiuqi and another elder lead the Lin family's 24 cultivators down the exposed lake path and through the gate, while the rest of the clan watches with shaking anticipation. To calm the waiting crowd, Lin Xian opens an illusion over the lake so everyone outside can see what is happening inside the pool of shedding mortality. Inside the illusion, the Lin family cultivators sit in a mysterious golden pool, and almost immediately their bodies begin purifying while their spiritual roots and cultivation rise at a frightening speed. The effect is so obvious that Lin Xiunxian finally believes his Grand Ancestor was telling the truth. After only a quarter of an hour, the first cultivator is expelled from the pool and gently brought back to the shore under Lin Xian's control. The man is Lin Jie, and he drops to his knees in tears because the pool has given him the future in cultivation he thought he had already lost. For 17 years Lin Jie had crawled along with the weakest spiritual root, but now he has jumped to the 6th layer of qi condensation with a 4th rank root. Lin Xian lifts him up instead of letting him keep kowtowing, clearly approving of the grit that carried him this far. Then Lin Xian gives Lin Jie an even greater blessing, releasing a purple python seed straight into his body. The seed turns Lin Jie into a spiritual vortex, and his cultivation surges from the 6th layer straight to the peak of qi condensation in moments. With one final thunderous breakthrough, Lin Jie steps into foundation establishment, and becomes the Lin family's 4th cultivator in that realm. That miracle leaves the whole lakeside speechless, and in that moment the clan starts seeing Lin Xian less as an elder and more as a god who can rewrite destinies. For Lin Xian, that display wipes away his last doubt, because now he knows Lin Xian truly has the power to change fate. After that, more Lin family cultivators are expelled one by one, and upgraded roots plus high qi condensation levels quickly become the new normal. Some of them cannot help envying Lin Jie's extra blessing, but none of them dare turn greedy after everything Lin Xian has already given them. An hour later, only 4 people are still inside the pool: Lin Xiuqi, Lin Jinshan, Lin Xiuru, and Lin Ran. The lakeside goes completely quiet as everyone waits for the final and strongest transformations to appear. At last the gate trembles and ejects Lin Xiuru, signaling that the final wave of results has begun. Lin Xiuru lands with a 5th rank spiritual root and cultivation at the peak of qi condensation, only a step away from foundation establishment, and she immediately thanks Lin Xian for giving her a new life. At the lakeside, Lin Xiuru bows to Lin Xian, and he sends a python seed straight into her body. The seed ignites Lin Xiuru's cultivation, and she bursts into early foundation establishment in a fast, forceful breakthrough. Lin Xiuqi and Lin Jishan soon rise to mid-foundation establishment too, after Lin Xian recondenses their old python seeds into stronger ones. The brothers can barely believe it, because Lin Xian's newly condensed seeds feel even more outrageous than the miraculous ones they had before. With the others finished, the whole family turns to the last person still inside the pool of shedding mortality, Lin Ran. Lin Xian especially hopes for Lin Ran, the lively girl who cared for him when he first arrived half-dead, to gain the most from this chance. After 2.5 hours, the white gate trembles and throws Lin Ran out at last. Lin Xian checks her at a glance and, clearly pleased, reveals the result: 9th layer qi condensation, a 7th rank spiritual root, and a water spirit body. That revelation sends the Lin family into excited uproar, because they finally have a true superior spiritual root in their own bloodline. Lin Jie sincerely congratulates her first, and the rest of the family quickly follows. Lin Ran thanks everyone, but her eyes are already on Lin Xian because she wants her reward immediately. Without hesitation, she blurts out that she wants a python seed right now so she can break into foundation establishment and become the clan's 6th member in that realm. Lin Xiuqi starts to frown at her impatience, but Lin Xian cuts him off before he can scold her. Amused, Lin Xian tells the little girl not to rush because her seed was already being kept for her. Then he gives Lin Ran a purple python seed, making it plain to everyone that she holds a special place in his eyes. Some relatives cannot help envying her, quietly realizing that the old months she spent caring for Lin Xian has turned into a real advantage. Since Lin Ran's breakthrough is already certain, Lin Xian shifts his attention to the far larger problem waiting beside the lake: more than 1,500 ordinary clan members and a pool that only fits 1,000. He lays down the rule at once: those over 50 or under 6 stay back, and everyone else can enter. The older members go quiet for a beat, understanding that even if they gain roots now, age would keep them from going far. Instead of protesting, they smile and urge the younger generation forward so the clan does not waste this chance. Watching the clan give up the chance for the family's sake, the Lin cultivators feel even more fiercely loyal, and Lin Xian starts to grasp why he was dropped into this family at all. Knowing the family will be tied up for days, Lin Xian orders the others to leave the lakeside matters to him and go handle the clan's business. Lin Xiuqi accepts at once, says farewell, and leads the extra family members away after checking on Lin Ran and the people still inside the pool. About an hour later, Lin Ran's breakthrough finally settles, and her talent takes another leap instead of stopping at simple advancement. Lin Xian is genuinely pleased, because with 2 spiritual physiques and support equal to another superior root, Lin Ran now looks like a real little prodigy. Lin Ran thanks him with shamelessly sweet praise, acting spoiled now that she knows she can get away with it. Lin Xian retreats under the water to escape the flattery and quietly admits to himself that he still cannot pass on his own sword manual to her or the rest of the family. The problem is not willingness but aptitude, because a crossing tribulation expert's personal technique is simply too hard for ordinary people to cultivate. That leaves the Lin family stuck with a weak foundation establishment art that Lin Xian dismisses as worthless. Then he hits on a solution: if the full Purple Heaven Sword manual is too much, he can create a condensed version that the family can actually use. He decides the simplified manual may be weaker than the original, but it should still outclass most major sect inheritances. so Lin Xian immediately begins deducing the new technique at the bottom of the lake. By the second day, his progress has already reached 30%, a speed that would look impossible to almost anyone else. His work is interrupted when Lin Ran suddenly calls down to the water, loudly insisting that Grand Ancestor come out because she brought him something good. Lin Xian rises to the surface and finds Lin Ran waiting at the lakeside with a mischievous grin. She tosses him a roasted mountain goat, and he gulps it down in one bite without any shame at all. The taste instantly perks Lin Xian up, because since arriving in this world he has not had one proper cooked meal. Meanwhile, Lin Ran keeps producing more and more roasted chickens, ducks, cattle, sheep, and fish like a staged magician showing off. After nearly half an hour, the lakeside is packed with an absurd feast and barrel after barrel of wine. Only then does Lin Ran reveal the full effort behind it. She had the restaurants of Renhui County cook everything as soon as she left, and she even emptied out the famous Myrange's wine stock to bring it here. Lin Xian praises her for being thoughtful and filial, and this time the approval clearly means more to her than the breakthrough did. Encouraged by the praise, Lin Ran excitedly promises that once the family settles down, she will hunt spiritual beasts in the demonic beast mountain range and roast those for him too. She also admits she cannot afford spiritual wine yet, but swears she will earn the spirit stones somehow and buy him the good stuff later. By the end, she is dreaming out loud about the legendary drunken immortal brew and even boldly promises that if they cannot afford it one day, she will just seize it for him. By the third day, Lin family members keep emerging from the pool of shedding mortality with an unmistakably refined aura, proving their spiritual roots have truly formed. Most of the third day successes settle at second-rank spiritual roots and the third layer of chi condensation, and the number quickly climbs to 700. On the fourth day, the standard rises again, with 200 more reaching third-rank spiritual roots and the early fourth layer of chi condensation. By the fifth day, 98 more emerge at the peak of the fourth layer, leaving only 2 people still inside the transformation. Out of 1,000 Lin family members, 998 have already defied fate and condensed spiritual roots, and Lin Xian watches the last 2 with open expectation. Lin Xian has already sent everyone else away to strengthen the family, so now only he and Lin Ran stay by the lake waiting for the final result. With family business finally easing up, Lin Ran keeps her promise and spends these days hunting strong demonic beasts, then roasting them for Lin Xian at the lake. That day, while she skillfully roasts a howling moon wolf, Lin Ran asks the question on her mind. She understands why Lin Xian can endure the pool, but how can the 109-year-old Lin Zhongba still hold on? Lin Xian already knows the answer, because when he checked Lin Zhongba's information, one line shocked even him. This old mortal possesses Dao Heart State. Dao Heart State is basically a constant minor epiphany, a rare mental realm usually seen only in soul formation level figures, not in ordinary people. Someone in that state learns frighteningly fast, and with enough experience can even create their own techniques far earlier than most cultivators ever could. For Lin Zhongba, that awakening came after a lifetime of wood carving in the moment he finished a life-sized wooden statue of himself at age 106. After that, his mind became so sharp that in only 3 years he mastered over 1,000 skills, all at a master level. That is why Lin Xian personally let the old clan head enter the pool, even if everyone else assumed it was simply a reward for years of service. Lin Xian is the other exception, because he also reached Dao Heart State through a far harsher road in martial arts. He forced his way from body refinement through the acquired and innate realms, then finally reached the 4th martial realm, human heaven, by pure perseverance. By aligning his spirit with heaven and earth, Lin Xian pushed his mind into Dao Heart State and stepped into a deeper spiritual realm than a mortal should normally touch. At that same moment, he created the sword art 9 Slaughters of Immortality, a mortal technique lethal enough to kill a third-layer chi condensation cultivator. Thinking about what that sword art could become once Lin Xian truly cultivates, even Lin Xian cannot hide his anticipation. Then Lin Ran suddenly blurts out the first sign that something is very wrong. The rain falling from the sky is black. Lin Xian looks up and sees the entire sky has gone dark, and worse, the spiritual energy and even the sense of the Tao have vanished from the surroundings. Realizing this is no ordinary storm, Lin Xian orders Lin Ran to warn her father and activate Azure Heaven Mountain's defensive array immediately. Lin Ran instantly takes the warning seriously and shoots into the sky toward the Lin family hall. Left alone, Lin Xian gathers the rain within 100 meters into one floating mass and starts refining it on the spot. After stripping the liquid away, he is left with a thread of pure black gas that rides like it wants to escape his control. When Lin Xian realizes the black gas is actually conscious, his eyes narrow and he crushes any hidden will inside it before doing something bolder. He swallows the black gas whole to test his new innate divine power against the strange substance. The thing is instantly refined inside him, and for a brief moment Lin Xian feels his own bloodline stir in response. At the same time on Azure Heaven Mountain, the Lin family is hosting an unusually crowded gathering, with every first-rank force in Renhui County and many second-rank guests from Tianyuan Mansion already present. Inside the Lin family hall, Lin Xiuqi and Lin Shanhai face a roomful of foreign cultivators who have already gathered together, all of them uneasy because the black rain clearly signals real trouble. A Lin family cultivator rushes in with a worse report. The black rain has formed a barrier around Manhwa County, and now people can enter but cannot leave. That single detail makes several Foundation establishment guests go pale, because they recognize the pattern at once. This is a heavenly Tao tribulation. The room turns grim as the guests mutter about how unlucky they are to be trapped in one of the world's unpredictable calamities. Most Lin family cultivators and even the local first-rank leaders are left confused, because the Lin family's rise has been too sudden for them to know what a heavenly Tao tribulation even means. To cut through the panic, Lin Xiuqi stands and directly asks the visiting elder leading the outsiders, Zhuge Wei, to explain what they are facing. Zhuge Wei answers politely that even he has never seen one in person, but his family records describe heavenly Tao tribulations as irregular disasters that appear without warning in different places. He adds that the scale of a tribulation is judged by how much land it covers, and since this black rain only seems to shroud Manhwa County, the disaster should not be at the very worst level. His practical conclusion is bleak but simple: stay cautious, hold out where they are, and wait for reinforcements from Nine Peaks sect. Lin Xiuqi stays visibly unhappy with the idea of waiting, so Lin Shanhai leans in and asks the sharper question: what danger does this tribulation actually pose? The answer is frustratingly empty, because even the visiting Foundation establishment cultivators only know old records and cannot name the actual danger yet. Lin Shanhai lets the sharp reply pass, understanding that these guests only got caught in this mess because they came to congratulate the Lin family. Then a clear female voice cuts through the hall as Lin Ran arrives in a streak of light, calling for her father with urgent speed. The moment the outsiders get a good look at her, the whole room is startled to realize that Lin Ran is actually a Foundation establishment cultivator too. In the hall, Lin Ran relays the Grand Ancestor's warning that the black rain is wrong and must be shut out immediately. The room snaps out of its panic, and everyone pushes Lin Xiuqi to activate Azure Heaven Mountain's defensive array at once. Lin Xiuqi raises his hand, and a huge blue barrier blooms over the mountain, sealing out the black rain. Lin Shanhai quickly orders the market side array open too, trying to extend that protection beyond the main mountain. Once the defenses are up, the hall turns grimly quiet because nobody knows how heavenly Tao tribulation is supposed to be survived. Lin Shanhai turns to Zhuge Wei and asks the one question everyone is afraid of: what exactly is this tribulation? Zhuge Wei explains that ancient texts describe heavenly Tao tribulation as the dark energy the impartial heavenly Tao periodically expels from itself. He says that during a tribulation, spiritual energy fades and the laws become obscure, which is why everything suddenly feels wrong. But Zhuge Wei also reveals the tempting side of it: if the tribulation is overcome, cultivators and the land itself can improve dramatically. A worried Foundation establishment cultivator asks if everyone can just force their way out of Manhwa County together. Zhuge Wei shuts that hope down and warns that even the smallest heavenly Tao tribulation matches Golden Core danger, so a breakout would be suicide. Before anyone can argue further, 3 deafening booms shake the sky and everybody rushes outside. Outside, they realize the black rain has stopped, but that relief lasts only a second. Dark energy starts boiling out of every inch of Manhwa County's land, and only the mountain barrier keeps Azure Heaven from being swallowed the same way. That rising darkness condenses into red-eyed humanoid monsters wrapped in black scales and a faint evil aura. Lin Xiuqi casually blows one apart, only to confirm the weakest of them are already at the 5th layer of qi condensation. Then everyone sees the real scale of it. The county is packed with larger 3-meter and 4-meter monsters, not just the weaker ones. Among them, giant 100-meter forms are still taking shape, and one look tells the cultivators these are already Foundation establishment level threats. Faced with more than 100 Foundation establishment monsters and no escape route, despair starts settling over the hall's survivors. At that breaking point, Lin Xiuqi rises into the air and calls the Lin family to arms. He orders the Lin family to wipe out the monsters inside Azure Heaven Mountain first, then break out to defend all of Manhwa County because the ruling clan must protect its people. Across the county, terrified commoners hear that vow and look toward Azure Heaven Mountain like they have just been handed a last shred of hope. Back in the Grand Hall, the visiting cultivators stare at Lin Xiuqi like he has gone mad, because his order sounds like a suicide march against impossible odds. Then a beam of light erupts from Azure Heaven Mountain, and the hidden Foundation establishment cultivator Lin Ingjia answers the family head's command without hesitation. More light pillars answer from across Azure Heaven Mountain as Lin Ran, Lin Xunxian, Lin Zhongba, and other hidden Foundation establishment members openly pledge themselves to the family head. The outside representatives are left stunned as they realize the Lin family has far more Foundation establishment cultivators than anyone knew. Even the marketplace answers, as Lin Jinshan's voice rings in from outside the mountain through another rising beam of light. With Lin Xiuqi's kill order, the gathered Foundation establishment cultivators strike together and instantly clear every monster still inside Azure Heaven Mountain. After the monsters are wiped out, purple motes drift from the corpses into the Lin cultivators, and at the rear mountain lake Lin Xunxian is the first to realize they are Dao Insight. The Lin cultivators quickly discover that killing these creatures sharpens comprehension and strengthens their foundation, physique, and even their spiritual roots. Lin Xiuqi looks up at the sky and grimly smiles, because this tribulation is also giving the Lin family exactly the kind of insight they desperately need right now. That matters because the Grand Ancestor had just passed down the Heaven and Earth Sword Scripture, a true high inheritance that many Lin family members still could not digest. At the rear mountain lake, Lin Xunxian is even more relieved, because the Grand Ancestor gave him the even harder Purple Heaven Sword Scripture. Seeing this chance, Lin Xiuqi gives the real charge. The Lin family will break out of the barrier and defend their people's bloodline. He leads from the front as over 1,000 Lin family foundation establishment cultivators surge out of Azure Heaven Mountain like a wall of flying blades. The people left in the hall can barely process what they just saw, because the Lin family has charged straight toward enemies even Golden Core cultivators would fear. Zhuge Wei turns to the only Lin family member still in the hall, Lin Shanhai, and demands to know why they are throwing themselves away. Lin Shanhai answers with simple conviction. Outside, countless powerless people of their own blood are being slaughtered, so the ruling clan has no right to hide. He steps into the air to join his clan, and even then Zhuge Wei presses him, asking if a county they have ruled for barely a day is really worth dying for. Lin Shanhai says yes without hesitation. If the Lin family accepted this land's offerings, then protecting the lives on it is only natural. He adds that every Lin descendant is raised to protect the living beings of this land, because their souls cannot endure hearing their human kin cry out in terror. With that, Lin Shanhai turns into a streak of light and leaves the hall behind, shaking everyone who heard him to the core. Back in the Grand Hall, Zhuge Wei stood frozen for a long moment, then suddenly broke into wild laughter, as if the Lin family had shaken him awake. He declared that cultivators had forgotten their duty to protect humanity, and he finally understood what that mission was supposed to mean. Looking toward the direction the Lin family had gone, Zhuge Wei called after Lin Shanhai and vowed to join them in defending the human bloodline. The moment he stepped forward, Zhuge Wei's aura surged skyward, and everyone left behind could only stare. That shock spread fast, and the leaders of Renhui County's 12 first-rank powers silently came to the same hard decision. Zhang finally said it aloud. Renhui County was their home too, so if the Lin family dared to stand up, they had no excuse to hide. A laughing local clan head answered Qi Yang's resolve, mocking him for finally acting like a real man and urging everyone to stop the beasts in their own territory. One after another, the 12 major leaders walked out, followed by 6 more Foundation Establishment cultivators and even one half-step Foundation Establishment cultivator who finally chose a side. Their choice made the contrast even uglier for everyone who stayed behind, because some still admired the Lin family while others only thought about profit and self-preservation. In the end, those holdouts also headed for the rear mountains, not to help, but to exploit the Lin family's empty home and pry into whatever secret had made them so strong. Far above Renhui County beyond the 9th heaven, 2 terrifying old monsters in black and white sat facing each other over a floating jade disc, trading moves as if the shredding winds around them were nothing. When Tu Chi looked down at Azure Heaven Mountain, excitement took over, because he saw in the Lin family a rare kind of human courage that most cultivators had long forgotten. He praised both the Lin family and Lin Shanhai's words, saying cultivators were meant to accept the people's offerings and also bear the duty of protecting them. Luo Xinji agreed, and what impressed him most was that this was not one reckless hero but an entire family acting with the same backbone. As Luo Xinji watched below, he quietly realized the Lin family might soon gain favor from the Ancestral Hall, and that made them worth investing in before they rose too high. Tu Chi almost acted at once, raising a hand to erase every dark force of the Heavenly Dao in Renhui County before a single worthy Lin cultivator could fall. Luo Xinji quickly stopped him and reminded him that the Heavenly Dao tribulation was also a rare chance for the Lin family, as long as someone powerful was ready to step in at the last moment. That explanation cooled Tu Chi down, and the 2 old monsters stayed to watch as the Lin family tried to turn catastrophe itself into a path forward. Luo Xinji even recognized the deeper gamble. The Lin family was using the Heavenly Dao's creation power to help its people comprehend a top-tier inheritance and rebuild their cultivation from it. Below, the Lin family advanced from Azure Heaven Mountain toward Renhui County, and the half-formed giant black-scaled monsters on the road collapsed wherever they passed. Every kill fed the Lin family's insight, and more of them began replacing their old methods with the Heaven and Earth Sword Scripture right in the middle of battle. That change was immediate and brutal, because the same spells now hit several times harder, and the most gifted Lin members had already started using true sword techniques that crushed monsters outright. The outside Foundation Establishment cultivators were excited that killing these monsters could help their own breakthroughs, but watching the Lin family grow this fast also made them quietly more wary of the clan's secrets. Only a quarter of an hour later, the whole force reached Renhui County and found the city's defensive array still standing, but barely. Seeing the formation had not broken yet, Lin Xiuqi immediately took command and ordered every Foundation Establishment cultivator to split up and hold the 4 directions. More than 1,000 Lin cultivators answered at once and spread across the sky to seal the county from every side. Inside the city, millions of commoners looked up at the descending Lin cultivators and burst into tears, because to them the immortals had finally arrived. People dropped to their knees in wave after wave, thanking the Lin family for mercy and begging heaven that they might survive. That sight hit the Lin family hard, and Lin Xiuqi made a new choice on the spot: hold the city, but also save whoever they still could nearby. He sent Lin Shanhai, Lin Ran, and Lin Jia out to search the surrounding area, knowing they could move fast enough to rescue people and still escape if things turned worse. Lin Shanhai, Lin Ran, and Lin Jia rushed back out without the weaker Qi condensation members, and Zhuge Wui's group chose to follow them and help rescue people too. At the same time, the Lin family defenders never stopped killing, and after a full hour of battle most of their Qi condensation cultivators had already broken through while the Heaven and Earth Sword scripture fully took hold. By then, Lin Shanhai and the others had swept a 100-mile radius and brought more than 15,000 rescued people back inside the county. Then the sky over the city changed again, as black pillars of light exploded upward from inside Manhwa County, and every defender realized the next wave had finally matured. More than 100 true Foundation Establishment black-scaled monsters emerged, some hundreds of meters tall, and the biggest horror of all was 6 peak Foundation Establishment giants standing outside the city. Even Zhuge Wui and the other hot-blooded Foundation Establishment cultivators went dry-mouthed at that sight, because 6 peak Foundation Establishment giants made the battle suddenly look unwinnable. Above the 9th heaven, Tu Chi rose again and decided this was the moment to wipe out the tribulation himself. But just as he was about to strike, Tu Chi suddenly stopped, because something unexpected below had caught even his attention. Facing a hopeless wall of monsters, Lin Xiuqi turned toward the lake behind Azure Heaven Mountain, knelt on one knee in the sky, and begged the Grand Ancestor to save both the Lin family and the million lives of Manhwa County. The sight stunned the whole county and the outside cultivators, because Lin Xiuqi was openly calling on a hidden Grand Ancestor no one here had expected. Then the shock deepened, because almost in the same instant every Lin family cultivator knelt as well and echoed the same plea with complete sincerity. As Manhwa County teeters on the edge, the surviving cultivators stare toward Azure Heaven Mountain, baffled that an early Foundation Establishment elder would step in now. Then a deafening serpent cry shakes the sky, and Lin Xian's calm voice declares heaven and earth unite. A black and white serpent tens of thousands of meters long rises between heaven and earth, so huge it seems to swallow the entire sky by itself. The county freezes for a beat, then the Lin family erupts with relief because their Grand Ancestor is far stronger than anyone believed. Even Zhuge Wui and the outside Foundation Establishment cultivators are left rattled, because this does not look anything like a mere early Foundation Establishment expert. With hope finally returning to Azure Heaven Square, everyone watches to see whether this giant serpent can really turn the battle around. Lin Xian answers that hope immediately by unleashing Swallowing Heavens. The devouring force tears through the battlefield and drags countless black-scaled monsters into his mouth in one brutal sweep. In moments, a third of the Foundation Establishment monsters are gone, and the weaker swarm below them is cut in half. Cornered by death, the surviving monsters go berserk and collapse into black mist that races toward the county center. That black mist fuses into a monstrous shadow over 2,000 meters tall, and its golden core aura crashes down on the whole county. The spectators' hope wavers again, because no one can ignore the terrifying gap between Foundation Establishment and Golden Core. But Lin Xian does not trade blows at all, he simply smashes the Golden Core monster apart with one tail strike. Before the shattered thing can recover, Lin Xian's swallowing force surges again and gulps down every last scrap of black mist. A quarter hour later, the black aura around Manhwa County is completely gone, but the sky darkens again with a much larger danger. 900-meter-thick heavenly lightning bolts crash down from the clouds and aim straight at Lin Xian. The people below panic and ask Zhuge Wui if slaying the monsters has somehow brought divine punishment on them all. Zhuge Wui steadies them and tells Lin Xiuqi the truth. This is not punishment, it is Lin Xian's Golden Core tribulation. He explains that devouring the dark aura brought Lin Xian a huge chance, and Lin Xiuqi finally relaxes when he sees the tribulation carries Golden Core Dao intent instead of doom. Inside the storm, Lin Xian feels completely at ease because the dark aura he swallowed has already pushed his cultivation to the brink of breakthrough. As heavenly thunder pours over him, his cultivation, body, vital energy, and spirit begin condensing together into a blazing golden core in his abdomen. Purple Dao sparks flow into that core, and his already perfect foundation evolves again into an even higher kind of golden core. System messages confirm the leap from a Taoist golden core toward an even rarer Great Dao golden core, but his newly earned merit vanishes almost instantly in the process. Even so, the system forcibly finishes the condensation, and Lin Xian successfully enters the golden core realm with a Great Dao golden core. When Lin Xian inspects himself after the breakthrough, he finds a huge grinding wheel-sized golden core slowly turning inside him and pushing his Dao forward with every rotation. More system notices arrive at once. His bloodline awakening jumps again, his talents evolve, and the Lin family gains a new protection ability called Holy Descent. Reading his updated panel, Lin Xian sees that he is now a first-rank golden core with 30% of his heaven-swallowing divine python bloodline awakened and a second bloodline starting to form. That unfinished bloodline catches his attention most, because every heavenly lightning strike seemed to stir it harder inside him. He sets that mystery aside for later and focuses on the clear upgrade in front of him, because every one of his main divine abilities has nearly doubled in effect. The numbers are absurd now, His true body has grown to around 1500 meters, and heaven and earth unity could blow that up to 300,000 meters. Then his attention locks onto Holy Descent, and the effect is so outrageous that he checks it again to make sure he is not imagining it. The skill can raise him by 3 major realms in a crisis, which means a golden core like him could briefly leap all the way to a Unity Realm God Monarch. After confirming it is real, Lin Xian finally smiles, because in a remote place like Manhwa County this is almost the definition of true safety. He still does not ignore the drawback though, and seriously asks the system whether the 10-year cooldown on Holy Descent can be shortened. The answer is practical but still limited. Holy Descent lasts half an hour, and whenever Lin Xian breaks into a new major realm, the art resets around that new stage instead of staying on the old timer. After the breakthrough, Lin Xian goes quiet and makes a hard rule for himself. If he ever uses that terrifying divine ability again, he has to erase every future risk tied to it. He quickly judges that racing into the next major realm is impossible anyway, because even his flawless Great Tao Golden Core would still need about 300 years to complete its first revolution. Outside, the Golden Core tribulation finally ends after 3 full hours, and Lin Xian withdraws heaven and earth unity and returns to the lakes and hills behind the Lin family. Back in Manhwa County, Zhuge Wei is the first to step forward and congratulate Lin Xuanqi, saying Lin Xian's breakthrough has opened the Lin family's path to becoming a third-rank power. The envy is real, because even Zhuge Wei's powerful second-rank clan has spent centuries chasing a true golden core cultivator and still failed where the Lin family just succeeded. Then the other Foundation establishment guests pile on with smiling praise, friendly promises, and even hints of marriage alliances now that the Lin family's status has changed overnight. Everyone understands why the mood turned so fast. Lin Xian already crushed a golden core monster before his breakthrough, so now that he has actually entered golden core, even the top figures of Nine Peaks sect might not want that fight. Lin Xiuqi keeps smiling through the congratulations, because his grand ancestor's breakthrough really has pushed the whole clan into a new era. At that point, Wu Dao steps out with his long spear and formally thanks Lin Xiuqi, saying he borrowed the Lin family's precious land to break through and will repay that favor in the future. The reveal lands harder because Wu Dao was once Tianyuan Prefecture's famous spear genius, then wrecked his future through a reckless breakthrough and vanished into 30 bitter years of failure. This time, when several half-step Foundation establishment cultivators were caught in the heavenly Dao tribulation, Wu Dao was the only one who survived and turned that disaster into a real Foundation establishment breakthrough. But Lin Xiuqi refuses to take credit and tells him plainly that surviving and breaking through was Wu Dao's own achievement, while the Lin family actually owes its guests for dragging them into danger. Wu Dao does not argue, but in his heart he decides he owes the Lin family's ancestor a life and will remember that debt the way he remembers every kindness and every grudge. Far above the world, Tu Qi and Luo Xunji compare what they just witnessed and admit something deeply strange. A Foundation establishment serpent hid in the Lin family's backyard without even soul formation divine sense catching it. Tu Qi names the truth with growing alarm. Lin Xian carries heaven and earth unity and the heaven-swallowing bloodline art, ancient top-tier talents tied to the vanished heaven-swallowing Python clan. That realization leaves Tu Qi genuinely wary, because if a creature with talents like that ever grows up against humanity, it could become a disaster for the whole race. Luo Xunji's eyes sharpen first, and he quietly suggests killing Lin Xian now before that danger has time to grow. Tu Qi almost considers it, but immediately rejects the idea and reminds him that humans and monsters are not absolute enemies, and Lin Xian just saved millions of human lives. His point lands hard, because striking down a benefactor after that kind of service would stain their own side more than it would protect it. Luo Xunji admits to himself that Lin Xian's performance pushed him too far, especially because a creature that condenses a heavenly Dao golden core is treated as a rare seed of greatness in the human realm. With that settled, Tu Qi says he will report everything to the Ancestral Hall, and the 2 observers vanish from the 9th heaven. 3 months pass, and the heavenly Dao tribulation at Manhwa County turns into regional legend along with the Lin family's name. People everywhere repeat the same astonishing facts. The Lin family fields 8 Foundation establishment cultivators and broke through its own barriers to protect ordinary people instead of hiding behind the mountain gate. Lin Shanhai's line about not enduring the wails of fellow humans spreads far and helps turn the Lin family into a symbol of righteous protection. Zhuge Wei's public stance on protecting human blood also spreads, binding his name to the same moment of crisis and resolve. Above all, people keep retelling the miracle of Lin Xian dragging down a golden core enemy with one strike in the middle of the tribulation and then ascending himself. That reputation pulls in more than 10,000 rogue cultivators, all hoping the Lin family's territory will at least offer them stability and not abandon them in the next disaster. Manhwa County could never have supported that many cultivators before, but the land itself was transformed after the heavenly Dao's creation. Azure Heaven Mountain's spiritual vein surges all the way to 3rd stage high, enough to support several golden core cultivators at once. Even Azure Heaven Market leaps to a 3rd stage initial spiritual vein, turning the market itself into a much richer cultivation center. The blessing spreads wider too, lifting 13 town-level spiritual mountains from 1st stage into 2nd stage and pushing Qifeng Town's vein the highest among them. Fed by 2 third-stage veins and 13 second-stage veins, Manhwa County's spiritual energy becomes more than 100 times richer than before. As rogue cultivators discover fresh first-stage spiritual veins around the county, they do not dare seize them outright, and instead go to Azure Heaven Mountain to offer tribute and acknowledge Lin family rule. The county is overflowing with opportunity, and one lucky rogue cultivator even swallows a source of gold by accident and jumps straight from the 9th layer of chi condensation into foundation establishment. The human tide is even larger than the cultivator influx, with hundreds of thousands of ordinary migrants pouring into Manhwa County in hope that this blessed land might change their descendants' fate. But that success creates its own pressure, and inside the Lin family hall, Elder Lin Wen finally warns that Manhwa County is so crowded they cannot keep absorbing people like this. Lin Wen is part of that rise too, because after Lin Xian changed the clan's fate, he gained a 3rd-rank spiritual root and climbed to the 5th layer of chi condensation by the time the tribulation ended. To keep control over the exploding population, Lin Xiuqi has also relied on Lin Xian to push respected management elders into foundation establishment during these 3 months. Because Lin Xian could produce around 50 python seeds after reaching Golden Core, Lin Xiuqi was no longer restrained in raising more foundation establishment elders, and that sudden show of depth made outside cultivators even more wary of the Lin family. In the Lin family hall, Lin Xiuqi grimly accepts that Manhwa County is overflowing and orders the gates tightened at once. He bans ordinary newcomers, makes cultivators pay 3 spirit stones for a 1-month pass, and turns entry into something the Lin family controls. Lin Xiuqi adds a 2nd layer of control. Every cultivator must report to the Lin family within 10 days for an immortal certificate or be driven out as an illegal entrant. He also orders the county magistrate to register every household without missing a single person, showing the family is turning chaos into a system. More than 20 foundation establishment members rise together and accept the family head's orders without hesitation. With county matters settled for the moment, Lin Xiuqi turns to Lin Shanhai and asks how the secret mission outside Manhwa County went. 3 months after the tribulation, Lin Shanhai is already at late foundation establishment, but he keeps that startling progress hidden behind sword concealment. Because everyone is advancing too quickly, the clan has started practicing sword concealment to hide their true cultivation from outsiders. The hall falls quiet as everyone remembers Lin Shanhai left months ago with a large team and never explained why until now. Lin Shanhai sets down his teacup and reveals he has finished building the Lin family's own intelligence network across several prefectures. His point is simple and important. After the last Heavenly Dao tribulation caught them off guard, the Lin family will not stay blind again. Once the family grasps what he has done, the mood in the hall shifts from confusion to relieved respect. Lin Xiuqi immediately asks the next question that matters most. What exactly has Lin Shanhai learned in these 3 months? Lin Shanhai drops the first shock at once. 3 months ago, the Lin family was not the only place struck by a Heavenly Dao tribulation. That one sentence chills the room, because everyone there still remembers how close Manhwa County came to destruction. Lin Ran is the first to challenge the idea, pointing out that with so many rogue cultivators flooding into Manhwa County, news that big should have reached them already. Lin Shanhai answers her calmly. If higher-level powers are involved, even huge news can be buried for a while. He names the place at the center of it all. Baoshan Prefecture, 3 prefectures away, was swallowed by another Heavenly Dao tribulation. The room is still reeling when Lin Shanhai adds the real horror. Baoshan Prefecture's tribulation was peak nascent soul level. Then he reveals the scale of the disaster. Only 1 in 10 people in Baoshan Prefecture survived, and even that took a soul formation Dao Lord stepping in at the last moment. The numbers alone horrified the room, because a prefecture is so vast that this means countless billions died under that tribulation. Lin Xiuqi cannot understand it at first, because Baoshan Prefecture has Bailian Palace and a grand formation strong enough to fight far above an ordinary Golden Core sect. Lin Shanhai answers with a brutal comparison. If the Grand Ancestor had not intervened, Manhwa County would have been wiped out too. That reminder shuts everyone up, because they know their own survival was not normal luck but the Grand Ancestor's protection. Lin Shanhai goes on to say that in most places touched by Heavenly Dao tribulation, survival is already rare, and coming out stronger like the Lin family is rarer still. He paints the core of Baoshan Prefecture as a nightmare landscape, with a 100-mile-deep crater where a Bailian Palace master was erased by a nascent soul monster. Lin Ran circles back to the missing piece and presses him again on why news this huge still failed to reach Manhwa County sooner. This time Lin Shanhai explains the real reason. Baoshan Prefecture's tribulation left behind terrifying rewards, and that made it a target. Bailian Palace's mountain spiritual vein jumped all the way to 4th rank advanced, and new 3rd rank veins and resources bloomed across the whole prefecture. As soon as that happened, nascent soul powers moved in to seize the land, including the local Heavenly Thunder Sacred Sect and outside forces strong enough to challenge it. Because those nascent soul factions are evenly matched, Baoshan Prefecture has been locked in a secret 3-month stalemate instead of falling to one side. To keep more rivals from swarming in, the competing forces tried to suppress the news together, but the scale of the event was too big to hide forever. Lin Shanhai calmly points out that the truth is already leaking through nearby regions, and it is only a matter of time before all of Luyan province is stirred up. The Lin family understands this fight is far above them, but they are still left staring at the thought of Baoshan Prefecture becoming the center of a coming storm. Then the discussion takes a personal turn when Lin Xiunxian suddenly stands and asks the family for permission to go train in Baoshan Prefecture himself. Lin Xiuqi is caught off guard and first asks the practical question: is Lin Xiunxian struggling in cultivation, or has the family failed him on resources? Lin Xiunxian says no to both, because the problem is not scarcity but that staying inside the family feels too slow for the path he wants. He explains that back in the martial path, he advanced by traveling widely, learning from other schools, and testing himself against real opponents. Now that he has stepped onto the immortal path, he wants to walk that same road again instead of growing only under shelter. He admits the thought has been in his heart for a long time, and hearing about Baoshan Prefecture finally pushed him to make the decision out loud. For Lin Xiunxian, cultivators are meant to step into the turbulence of the world and witness its dangers and brilliance firsthand. He finishes by stating his true goal. He wants to go to Baoshan Prefecture, challenge the outstanding disciples there, and temper his own immortal way through real battle and real danger. In the Lin family hall, Lin Xiunxian grumbles that his cultivation is progressing too slowly, even though his recent rise has already been absurdly fast. The room's disbelief makes sense, because everyone knows Lin Xiunxian awakened a 7th-rank spiritual root after shedding mortality, and then shot up to the peak of mid-stage foundation establishment in only 3 months. But Lin Xiuqi and Lin Shanhai understand him, because Lin Xiunxian has never wanted a safe life under family protection and has always chased the wider, harsher road. Lin Xiuqi agrees that the younger generation needs real experience, and he bluntly adds that the family now has so many foundation establishment cultivators that sending some away will also help hide their strength. The moment Baoshan Prefecture is mentioned, Lin Ran lights up and tries to sign herself up beside Lin Xiunxian. Lin Xiuqi shuts that down immediately and says every younger member can go train outside except Lin Ran. When Lin Ran demands to know why, her father dryly asks who is supposed to keep bringing food to the Grand Ancestor if she leaves. That one line defeats Lin Ran on the spot, because even she cannot argue with the Grand Ancestor's importance, or her own attachment to him. Lin Xiunxian and the others can only grin, since Lin Ran usually blocks everyone else from getting close enough to bring the Grand Ancestor food in the first place. With the teasing over, Lin Xiuqi tells the departing juniors the family will prepare supplies and maps, and for now they should travel together to Baoshan Prefecture so they can watch each other's backs. Lin Xiunxian accepts the plan without hesitation, ready to follow the family's arrangement, and finally head out into the wider cultivation world. Then Lin Xiuqi gives them the warning beneath the order: outside is not home, trust has limits, and if anything goes wrong, the Lin family and the Grand Ancestor remain their way back. Those words hit hard enough that the young cultivators answer in unison, suddenly feeling more moved than excited. For a moment, some of them even feel guilty enough to consider staying behind, but the elders have already decided that real experience matters more than keeping sheltered fledglings at home. Before the meeting ends, Lin Shanhai suddenly asks Lin Xiunxian to carry a message if they ever run into Wu Dao. When Lin Haoyu asks what message, Lin Shanhai says plainly that if Wu Dao truly has nowhere else to go, the Lin family is willing to take him in. That offer carries weight because Tianyuan Prefecture has just been shaken by Wu Dao's return, his restored spiritual root, and his violent break with the Wu clan. After repairing his spiritual root and breaking into foundation establishment, Wu Dao went straight back to his clan and demanded a life-and-death fight with one of its elders. The clan's 4 foundation establishment ancestors refused to let it stay one-on-one, so Wu Dao fought all 4 alone and still killed one of them. Only after that battle did the outside world learn the real shock, that Wu Dao's broken talent had not just returned but advanced into a high-grade 7th-rank spiritual root. The truth behind the feud was uglier than anyone wanted to admit. Wu Dao was branch-line blood, and the main line feared that if he rose, their own status would fall. 30 years earlier, one ancestor goaded the proud young genius into a reckless breakthrough before he was prepared. Then, at the worst possible moment, someone shouted that Wu Dao's mother and sister had been kidnapped while out shopping, and the shock wrecked his breakthrough on the spot. By the time the clan moved, his mother and sister were already dead, leaving behind a wound so obvious that everyone could tell this had been arranged. Even then, the Wu clan stopped short of murdering Wu Dao outright, because once his spiritual root was ruined they thought his future had already been cut off. But 30 years later, Wu Dao came back from that ruin with an ancient technique, reborn talent, and enough remaining insight to master it in a short time. That was how he pulled off the impossible and used a 1-against-4 battle to kill the ancestor who had engineered his fall. Even with that victory, the fight left Wu Dao badly injured, and after taking revenge he walked away from the Wu clan and vanished. The Wu clan became a public laughingstock, and the 3 surviving ancestors accepted the humiliation without even trying to hunt him down. Back in the hall, Lin Xiunxian and the others promise that if they meet Wu Dao on the road, they will pass on Lin Shanhai's offer. That promise also fits the Lin family's bigger direction, because they are already expanding and even taking outside foundation establishment cultivators in as guest elders. 3 days later, the story shifts to the outskirts of Renhui County, where 3 streaks of light descend from the sky and reveal a green-robed elder with 2 younger companions. The young woman, Lin Xing, blurts out her shock at how dense the spiritual energy in Manhwa County feels. The elder and the young man feel it too, and the elder remarks that this is exactly what one would expect from a place that survived a heavenly tribulation. Lin Xing then asks the real reason for their trip, whether the Lin family in Manhwa County is truly still related to them at all. The old man explains that their Hongshan Lin family has sent out many branches over 1,000 years, and the Lin family of Qifeng Town split from their line a century ago. He says that when Lin Qifeng of that branch produced a spiritual root cultivator, the main family even invited him back and supported him with spirit stones after he refused. That history gives Lin Xing a spark of hope, and she asks if their plea for help this time should be easier because of the old blood tie. But the elder immediately tempers that hope and warns that the cultivation world does not hand out major favors just because 2 branches share a surname. He reminds them that Lin Qifeng is already dead, contact has been broken for decades, and no one can say how much family feeling remains in Manhwa County now. Worse, the problem chasing them involves a golden core expert, and the old man knows very well that few families would invite that kind of trouble for outsiders. After the elder warns that even a blood tie may not move the Renhua Lin family against a golden core threat, the 2 juniors fall silent, and all 3 enter Renhua County with cautious resolve. While handling clan affairs in the main hall, Lin Xiuqi hears that 3 visitors from the Hongshan Lin family have arrived outside. The name Hongshan Lin family makes Lin Xiuqi pause, remember old family stories, and immediately call for the guests to be let in while summoning his second brother too. At the foot of Azure Heaven Mountain, the 3 Hongshan visitors stop cold when they see the whole mountain wrapped in spiritual mist like a small immortal realm. Lin Qing blurts out that this 3rd-rank spiritual vein feels absurdly extravagant, and even Elder Lin Ji can only admit that heavenly Tao blessings have changed this place for good. Then Lin Shimin notices the young guard at the gate, and realizes that Lin Xiong is basically his age and already at the same 9th layer of qi condensation. The blow lands hard on Lin Shimin's pride, so Lin Ji quietly reminds him that the wider cultivation world is full of people stronger than him and Azure Heaven Mountain is no normal 2nd-rank family anymore. Watching from the gate, Lin Huaishu almost finds Lin Shimin's shock relatable, because he himself used to be far weaker before the family changed his fate. He remembers how a poor 2nd-rank spiritual root became a top 3rd-rank one after entering the pool of shedding mortality, and how later insights from the black-scaled monster battle pushed him all the way to peak 9th layer qi condensation. And the scariest part is that gate duty does not even mean they are weak, because the family now treats high cultivation as the minimum face it shows outsiders. A moment later, Lin Ningjie comes down the mountain with Lin Xiong, and Lin Ji instantly senses that the young man in white is already in Foundation establishment. When Lin Ji names his realm out loud, Lin Qing and Lin Shimin are stunned that a man their age has already crossed into Foundation establishment. Their reaction makes Lin Ningjie realize his visible cultivation is too eye-catching, and he quietly decides to lower what others concede to 9th layer qi condensation after this. Even so, Lin Ningjie keeps his manners perfect and simply invites the 3 inside. As Lin Ningjie leads them inward, the Hongshan trio keeps staring at him, still struggling to accept that this terrifying young Foundation establishment cultivator is real. After the guests leave, Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong share a quiet laugh, because shocked visitors have become normal around here. Then the mood turns serious when Lin Huaishu asks whether Lin Xiong's lead on the Xuejiao is really dependable. Lin Xiong swears he found the mountain spirit by accident, and has checked the trail many times, so he is sure the Xuejiao is there. What matters to them is not just profit but a breakthrough, because they want to catch the Xuejiao, please Grand Ancestor, and then ask Sister Ranner to help them secure a python seed reward. Lin Xiong explains why the prize matters so much. Xuejiao is the mountain spirit, a snow-white spiritual being so prized for its flesh that even top experts are said to praise it. The real problem is speed, so after tracing the Xuejiao for half a month, the 2 of them have already lined up magic tools and formations meant to trap or slow it before it vanishes again. Lin Xiong knows a single qi condensation Xuejiao could sell for around 50,000 spirit stones, enough to buy powerful Foundation establishment resources, but he still thinks that is nowhere near as valuable as the Grand Ancestor's reward. Just thinking about Grand Ancestor fills Lin Xiong with awe and pride as he looks toward the rear mountain lake. Lin Huaishu cuts the talk short and warns him to stay careful, because plenty of other 9th layer clan members also want that same breakthrough reward. Inside the main hall, Lin Ji formally greets Lin Xiuqi on behalf of the Hongshan Lin family. Lin Xiuqi answers with the courtesy of shared blood and tells them not to be overly formal, which instantly gives the visitors hope that their request for help might actually succeed. By now the 3 Hongshan guests are thoroughly humbled, because after seeing Azure Heaven Mountain up close, even their best young disciples no longer have any reason to feel proud. In the Lin family hall, Lin Ji sits with his 2 Hongshan companions, clearly wanting to ask for help but still weighing his words. Lin Xiuqi gently pushes him to speak, reminding him that the 2 families share the same bloodline and Azure Heaven Mountain will help if it can. To prove that promise is real, Lin Xiuqi brings out the old blue Lin token that Hongshan once left behind as a one-time lifeline for this branch. That token eases Lin Ji's nerves, But it also leaves a bitter taste because the family that once offered rescue now has to come asking for it. Watching from the side, Lin Shanhai realizes the trouble must be serious, because a late Foundation establishment cultivator like Lin Ji would not come personally for anything small. Lin Ji finally explains that the Hongshan Lin family has guarded a spiritual mountain for 1,000 years, where rainbows hang in the sky all year and sometimes spread into a whole rainbow sea. Those rainbows gave Hongshan County its name, but after 1,000 years with no clue, the family had long treated them as a strange local backdrop. Then 3 months ago, a rumor exploded across Yunyao Prefecture claiming the rainbow was really a heavenly rainbow, and a rainbow maiden was about to be born from it. According to the legend, anyone who becomes the rainbow maiden's Dao partner cultivates 100 times faster. Lin Ji adds the part that really shakes the room. The first union with a 1,000-year rainbow maiden could directly push a Foundation establishment peak cultivator into at least 3rd Revolution Golden Core, and maybe even create a special physique. That instantly hits Lin Xiuqi and Lin Shanhai where it matters, because the one thing the Lin family needs most right now is its own Golden Core cultivator. Lin Xiuqi presses him on whether this unbelievable rumor is actually trustworthy. After a pause, Lin Ji says yes, because the source is said to be the People Record. That name lands heavily, because the People Record is one of the ancient human scriptures that preserve truths of the cultivation world across the ages. With the rumor now sounding real, Lin Xiuqi stops circling and asks what exactly the Hongshan Lin family wants from Azure Heaven Mountain. Lin Ji rises from his seat and respectfully bows, showing just how serious this request is. Lin Ji warns that even Palace Master Yun Yao, a Golden Core expert from Yun Yao Palace, is eyeing the Rainbow Maiden and wants to take her as a direct disciple. And she will not be the only one, because Hongshan County is likely to draw many Foundation establishment peak experts when the birth happens. So Lin Ji admits the truth outright. The Hongshan Lin family cannot control a storm like that and fears being wiped out in the chaos. What he asks for is simple but urgent. He wants one of Azure Heaven Mountain's powerful Lin elders to stay with the Hongshan family until the Rainbow Maiden is born. He quickly makes one thing clear. They are not asking Azure Heaven to secure the Rainbow Maiden for them, only to keep their clan alive through the crisis. Behind that calm request sits a painful loss, because the chance to raise Hongshan's own Golden Core cultivator is right in front of them, but the family is too weak to hold it. Lin Ji's unspoken regret centers on his son Lin Hongtu, the current Hongshan clan head, who reached Foundation establishment peak 30 years ago and should have been the one to seize this chance. The moment Grand Ancestor might be involved, Lin Xiuqi and Lin Shanhai both turn fully serious, because that touches the Lin family's absolute bottom line. Lin Xiuqi ends the meeting for now and tells Lin Yingjie to take the Hongshan guests away to rest while this matter is reported upward. Lin Yingjie escorts the 3 visitors out, and the Hongshan side accepts that a decision this big cannot be made without a higher authority. Once the guests are gone, Lin Xiuqi immediately turns to Lin Shanhai and asks the real question between them: should they help or not? Lin Shanhai understands what his elder brother really means, because choosing whether to even tell Grand Ancestor is already a way of steering the outcome. But Lin Shanhai answers firmly that the Rainbow Maiden could benefit Grand Ancestor too, so the truth has to be reported and the final choice must be Lin Xian's. What stands out is that neither brother even talks about taking the Rainbow Maiden for himself, despite how irresistible that chance would be to most Foundation establishment cultivators. Lin Xiuqi says that is not the point of his question, because what really interests him now is the Hongshan Lin family itself. Lin Shanhai catches on at once and calmly says the word out loud. His brother wants to absorb the Hongshan Lin family. Lin Xiuqi reveals he already investigated Hongshan before this, and their core power is no joke. Lin Hongtu at Foundation Establishment Peak, Lin Ji in late Foundation Establishment, and 9 more Foundation Establishment cultivators. Their deeper foundation is even more tempting, because this 1,000-year family has thousands of cultivators and over 1 million ordinary blood relatives filling Hongshan County's main city. And beyond the main family, Hongshan still has more than 100 outside bloodline branches, including some Foundation Establishment forces, which means their true reach is bigger than it looks. Lin Xiuqi also points out that Hongshan is skilled at handling bloodline relationships, so if crisis comes, they can call on kin in a way Azure Heaven still cannot. That hits Lin Shanhai immediately, because the Lin family's biggest weakness is not talent or resources anymore, but people they can truly trust as blood kin. For the current Lin family, even ordinary members of that bloodline would be valuable, because with enough potential they believe Azure Heaven can rapidly nurture them into something more. Their thinking goes even further, because both brothers still remember the back mountains pool of shedding mortality and suspect future chances to change a person's destiny will open again. That is why Hongshan starts to look like a perfect future target, because once Azure Heaven has its own golden core, the brothers believe that huge bloodline network could be brought under their wing. Still, Lin Xiuqi says now is not the moment to move, because once their own family produces a golden core cultivator, swallowing Hongshan as a third-rank power will be far easier. Lin Shanhai agrees, knowing that once the Lin family steps into the third-rank level, its hidden heritage will rival many old golden core powers. With their minds made up, the brothers leave the hall and head to the back mountain lake to report everything directly to Grand Ancestor. At the lakeside they find Lin Xian in his giant python form lounging comfortably, eating barbecue and drinking spirit wine like the clan's terrifying protector has nothing to worry about. The two brothers bow respectfully, and Lin Xian casually flicks his tail to tell them not to be so formal. Lin Ran is there too as his usual feeding helper, but she only glances at her father and second uncle before looking away, still a little annoyed over the hall incident from a few days ago. Lin Xiuqi reports the whole Hongshan matter to Lin Xian without hiding anything, including the Rainbow Maiden and even their own ambition toward the Hongshan bloodline. As he listens, Lin Xian silently reviews his own progress. In the last 3 months he has nearly absorbed the huge reward from before and already advanced to Second Revolution Golden Core. Even so, Lin Xian is not satisfied, because without system rewards his own cultivation still feels too slow compared with how fast he wants the family to rise. Then Lin Xiuqi's strategy gives him a new idea, and Lin Xian realizes that if they can swallow the entire Hongshan Lin family, the system's reward should be enormous. Lin Xian's real interest in Hongshan County is not the Lin family dispute at all, but the heavenly spirit that may soon be born there. As his bloodline memories awaken, Lin Xian recalls that a heavenly spirit is a huge prize for the heaven-swallowing divine Python clan because devouring one brings major benefits. Then Lin Xian feels Lin Ran staring at him, and one look at her eager face makes it obvious she wants this trip badly. Lin Xian softens, thinking that a 16-year-old girl who has been taking care of him for so long was bound to get restless. So when Lin Xian turns to Lin Xiuqi and Lin Shanhai and says their plan is good, both men immediately realize he approves. But Lin Xian makes one limit clear: Hongshan County is not worth his personal trip, so Lin Zhongba and Lin Ran will go in his place. To make sure nothing goes wrong, Lin Xian peels off a palm-sized white scale and drops it into Lin Ran's hand. Lin Xian explains that the scale holds part of his divine essence and can protect Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba from anything up to the 7th revolution of Golden Core. That promise lands even harder because Lin Xian is already at the 2nd level of Golden Core, so a scale carrying his power is far more dangerous than it first sounds. Lin Xiuqi, Lin Shanhai, and Lin Ran are stunned, because they had guessed Lin Xian was monstrous, but hearing that one scale can dominate up to that level still leaves them reeling. Lin Ran carefully stores the scale away, now openly excited for the journey instead of just hoping for it. Watching her, Lin Xiuqi finally relaxes, because with Lin Xian's scale and Lin Zhongba going along, the Hongshan mission suddenly looks very safe. In Lin Xiuqi's mind, the strongest fighter under Lin Xian is not Lin Shanhai, and not even sword genius Lin Xiunxian, but the 109-year-old Lin Zhongba. That judgment feels strange on paper, because Lin Xiunxian has Dao Heart State, Sword Intent, and the Purple Heaven Sword Scripture, which should have made him the stronger one. But 3 months earlier, when Lin Zhongba refined high-grade spiritual roots in the pool of shedding mortality, he suddenly stepped into true enlightenment. In that state, the 1,000 mundane skills Lin Zhongba had practiced all his life changed at once into a bizarre new set of extraordinary abilities. Most of those abilities were not overwhelming by themselves, but together they formed a frightening toolkit, and some were almost on the level of innate talents. Even Lin Xian had been shocked after seeing Lin Zhongba's information, because the old man had turned into something absurdly difficult to measure. Instead of learning the family sword methods, Lin Zhongba created his own cultivation path and named it the Immortal and Mortal Decision. Lin Zhongba said the technique came to him in an endless black space filled with countless points of light, each one tied to an ordinary skill he had mastered. As that information poured together in his mind, the Immortal and Mortal Decision took shape as a method built from mundane understanding instead of orthodox scripture. The method itself was simple and strange. He only needed to keep meditating on ordinary things and deepening his old skills, and his cultivation and abilities would evolve on their own. Even the clan's grand ancestor was impressed, though everyone understood this bizarre path only truly fit Lin Zhongba himself. Lin Zhongba's gains did not stop at insight, because he came out of the pool of shedding mortality already in mid-foundation establishment, then surged again to late foundation establishment after taking the Python seed. That is why Lin Xiunxian's spar 3 months ago ended in humiliation, with Lin Zhongba beating him so cleanly he nearly doubted his whole life. Even so, Lin Xiunxian was not truly weaker, because he still had more room to grow and had not used the killing art he normally relied on, the 9 strikes of annihilation. Lin Xiunxian had held back on purpose, saying his 9 strikes of annihilation were killing moves he would not use on family, especially while they were still transforming under the Purple Heaven Sword Scripture. Lin Ran also knows one more secret. After killing the monsters, Lin Zhongba never spent the wisdom he gained from them and kept it sealed inside his body. When Lin Ran asked why, Lin Zhongba admitted he was waiting until his own lifetime of accumulation was richer, because using that wisdom now would likely drag him back into enlightenment too soon. His real goal is even crazier. He wants to enter enlightenment only after he can stay there for a long stretch instead of a few fleeting breaths. Lin Ran keeps that thought to herself, because most cultivators would call it pure madness to aim for prolonged enlightenment on purpose. The next day in the main hall, Lin Xiuqi formally tells Lin Zhongba and Lin Ran to head for Hongshan with the visiting branch members. The Lin Ji trio's mood visibly drops, because from their point of view, Sending only one late Foundation Establishment elder and one young prodigy means Azure Heaven Mountain's ancestor does not intend to intervene himself. They do not dare ask questions, but they clearly think the Azure Heaven side is helping only out of old sentiment and not committing its real power. What confuses them most is Lin Ran, because bringing a 16-year-old family genius into such a dangerous fight seems reckless unless there are cards they cannot see. Lin Xiuqi and Lin Shanhai noticed the misunderstanding and let it stand, because hidden cards are strongest when nobody else knows they exist. Lin Xiongba reads the room immediately and breaks the tension with a cheerful joke that he never thought he would get to see the outside cultivation world in person. The branch trio still stay quiet, but some hope returns when they realize that if no golden core expert appears, the Rainbow Maiden might still fall into Hongshan's hands. So the group leaves Azure Heaven Mountain and heads toward Yun Monster Palace to begin the real trip. Once they are above the clouds, Lin Ji leads the two younger branch members while Lin Ran follows on her own green flying sword. The younger two cannot help feeling envious as they watch Lin Ran fly on her own, because that kind of freedom is exactly what they are still striving for. Then Lin Xiongba steals the scene, because he is not riding a sword at all but sitting leisurely on a celestial crane that he folded from paper and sent into the sky. What shocks the branch trio even more is that they had just watched Lin Xiongba fold that crane out of a plain sheet of paper and toss it into life. Seeing Lin Ran still flying behind him, Lin Xiongba kindly offers her a ride so she will not tire herself out. Lin Ran refuses at once, because chances like this are rare and she wants to enjoy flying under her own power. Lin Xiongba does not argue and simply folds another paper crane for the Lin Ji trio, which they gratefully accept. That easy kindness gives Lin Qinger enough courage to ask what kind of spell he just used, because she has never seen anything like it. Before answering, Lin Xiongba first tells Lin Qinger and Lin Shimin to stop being distant and just call him Grandpa, since they all share the same Lin bloodline. Lin Qinger accepts happily and climbs closer, while Lin Shimin follows suit much more carefully after understanding the invitation. Lin Ran rolls her eyes at the sight, but the younger pair are already hooked, and Qinger immediately presses him again to explain the spell. While flying over Rinhuai County, Lin Xiongba casually folds another sheet of paper, this time shaping it into a ring. The paper ring turns real in his hand, and Lin Qinger goes stiff the moment her spiritual sense probes inside. Lin Ji and Lin Shimin snatch the ring over in disbelief, and both confirm that it really holds a 30-cubic storage space. Their whole attitude changes, and Lin Qinger blurts out that this has to be some legendary art, not ordinary folding paper. Lin Xiongba just laughs and says it really is origami, a mortal children's craft that only stays useful because his spiritual energy is holding it together. He adds the real catch right away. After 3 days, the storage ring will collapse back into a paper ring. Lin Ji's group looks even more lost, because a trick that absurd should not be something from the mortal world at all. Behind them, Lin Ran finally breaks into laughter because she already knew nobody would believe her grandfather the first time. Lin Ran backs him up and says this really is modified origami, and that they have only seen the beginning of what Lin Xiongba can do. That explanation settles them a little, and the three can only accept that Lin Xiongba has stumbled onto a bizarre chance of his own. Even so, they cannot stop marveling that for Lin Xiongba, temporary paper creations like the ring and the giant crane are almost as good as the real thing. As they keep talking and bonding in midair, the story cuts away to another gamble already unfolding in the Monster Beast mountain range. Out on the edge of the mountain range, Lin Xiong and Lin Huaishu move carefully through remote terrain, determined to use their secret prize to reach Foundation establishment. After 3 nervous hours, they finally stop at a hidden valley that Lin Xiong insists is concealing the Xiaojiao with an illusion. With no more time to waste, they split up and start laying down the prepared formation around the entire valley. Half an hour later they regroup at the entrance, share one excited look, and decide the trap is ready. The moment they trigger the seals, the array rises and strips the valley's disguise away. Near a small stream inside, the Xiaojiao finally appears in its true form, a giant white lamb-like spirit beast hidden in plain sight. Before either man can celebrate, the Xiaojiao turns into a streak of white light and rushes straight for the valley exit. It slams into the barrier and stalls for 1 instant, and that tiny opening is exactly what their trap was built for. The instant Xiaojiao stalls, more than a dozen berry techniques erupt together, and the costly trap locks the spirit beast down at the center. The cost makes their hearts ache, but when they see the Xiaojiao truly bound, both men know their shot at Foundation establishment is suddenly real. Lin Huaishu immediately urges Lin Xiong to seal the beast into the spirit beast bag before anything else can go wrong. Then a cold voice cuts through the valley, and both men go pale before they even look up. A black-robed old man appears in the sky above the valley, staring at Xiaojiao with naked delight, and Lin Xiong and Lin Huaishu instantly know they are in trouble. The pressure from above confirms their worst fear at once. This intruder is a Foundation establishment peak cultivator. Master Ji Feng casually crushes the valley formation, seizes the Xiaojiao, and proudly names it as a heavenly spirit that could change his own fate. As soon as he thinks about his golden core chance, Jin Feng's smile turns lethal and Lin Huaishu realizes they are about to be silenced. To save them, Lin Huaishu hastily names them as Azure Heaven Mountain Lin family disciples and begs for their lives, offering to stay silent if Ji Feng keeps Xiaojiao. That name makes Ji Feng hesitate, because he has heard too much about the Lin grand ancestor who supposedly killed a golden core monster in one strike. He decides not to kill them here, but only because he plans to drag them away first and finish the job somewhere the Lin family cannot trace so easily. Master Ji Feng makes his move at once, sending 2 streams of spiritual power down to seize Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong and carry them away. But the attack bursts apart midair, and a sword-bearing young man steps out above them from nowhere. Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong are stunned to see Lin Xunxian, who calmly explains that the family noticed their suspicious shopping days ago and sent him to shadow them. That rescue only makes the pair feel worse, because their secret greed has now been exposed to the family along with the danger it caused. Now the real standoff begins, and Master Ji Feng feels a quiet chill when he studies this supposedly early Foundation establishment swordsman. Instead of testing him, Ji Feng forces a friendly smile and claims he was just about to divide Xue Jiao's meat evenly with the 2 juniors below. Lin Xunxian does not buy a word of it, and coldly says Ji Feng bullied the Lin family and stole something that belongs to their grand ancestor. He gives Ji Feng 3 breaths to leave, and warns that once that grace runs out, he will attack. That finally snaps Ji Feng's restraint, and he drops the mask to sneer that a mere early Foundation establishment brat does not know his place. He immediately unleashes Hurricane Break, condensing a monstrous black hurricane hand that crashes down toward Lin Xunxian and crushes the valley below. The spell is so heavy that the surrounding land shakes and the ground around Lin Xunxian sinks under the pressure before the blow even lands. Lin Xunxian does not flinch, and at the last instant he simply draws his sword. One white flash cuts the giant hand apart 10 meters from him, and the black hurricane collapses on the spot. Farther back, a line of blood opens on Master Ji Feng's body, and the old cultivator can only stare in shock at what just happened. Still reeling, Master Ji Feng can only force out one slow question: what sword technique was that? Back in the valley, Lin Xunxian coolly says 3 breaths are up, takes Xue Jiao and Master Ji Feng's storage rings for himself, and ends the matter without another word. As he leads Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong away, Lin Xunxian notices they are overthinking things and tells them the family already tolerates hidden methods and will back them now that they brought Xue Jiao home. That reassurance finally lets the 2 cousins relax, and their shock turns into open curiosity about the sword Lin Xunxian used against Master Ji Feng. Lin Xiong excitedly asks if that attack was Lin Xunxian's self-created 9 strikes of annihilation, only for Lin Xunxian to dismiss Master Ji Feng as too weak for that much effort. He reveals the move was just Dawn Break from the Purple Heaven Sword Manual, and that answer leaves both younger men openly envious because they were never judged talented enough to learn it. Soon they reach Azure Heaven Mountain, descending from the clouds and continuing on foot because the Lin family treats walking in from the mountain gate as a standing rule, not a formality to skip. The story jumps half a month later, when the Lin family has turned the captured heavenly spirit into a full lakeside feast and the scent of roasting Xiujiao already hangs over Azure Heaven Mountain. Lin Ran is nowhere around, but that barely matters because the Lin family has trained itself for days like this, with even these younger members grilling smoothly to please Grand Ancestor. Beside the lake, Lin Xian stares at the roasting Xiujiao and impatiently asks how much longer, because even as a golden core cultivator he can barely control the saliva and hunger this thing pulls out of him. The more he watches, the clearer it becomes to Lin Xian that Xiujiao is not just delicious but a real heavenly spirit that his body and soul both desperately want. Lin Xunxian tells him they are only waiting on the final 13 spirit herbs, and the piles of used ingredients around the fire show just how serious this recipe has become. After bringing Xiujiao back, they had immediately reported to Lin Xiuqi, and he answered by mobilizing the whole family to hunt down a ruined rogue cultivator's lost recipe for cooking it properly. That recipe demanded hundreds of spirit herbs and dozens of spirit wines, so the family spent half a month scrambling to gather everything before today's final step by the lake. The moment the final powdered herb goes onto the Xiujiao meat, the fragrance explodes into something dozens of times stronger and rolls out across hundreds of miles. All across Renhui County, people stop cold as the impossible scent reaches them, and nobody can believe something this rich is real. For countless ordinary people, the aroma feels so sacred that they drop to their knees and breathe it in like a blessing, convinced even smelling it must carry benefits. In Azure Heaven Market, cultivators erupt into excited chaos, because some of them recognize the description from old texts and realize this legendary smell can only be cooked Xiujiao meat. That greed only lasts until everyone traces the scent back to Azure Heaven Mountain and realizes the Lin family is the one cooking it. Once they connect the half-month buying spree to this feast, the market's cultivators instantly give up on the idea of taking any for themselves and settle for smelling what they can. Back at the lake, Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong can barely hold themselves together in front of the fire, and even Lin Xunxian's calm only survives as a thin layer over the same craving. Lin Xian finally takes pity on them and uses spiritual power to tear off a piece of Xiujiao meat about 3 palms across, still hundreds of caddies, then sends it floating over to the 3 men. He goes further and cuts off a whole hind leg for the rest of the Lin family too, making it clear everyone who worked for half a month deserves at least one bite of this legendary food. The 3 immediately bow in thanks, thrilled enough that formality barely contains how desperate they are to start dividing the meat. Once their portions are set aside, Lin Xian ignores the fuss around him, turns back to the main roast, and swallows tens of thousands of caddies of xiaojiao meat in one overwhelming bite. The taste hits him like a shock, and in that instant Lin Xian decides two things at once. Heavenly gifts really are this outrageous, and he absolutely wants more xiaojiao in the future. Then the real reward arrives, as system notifications start firing one after another the moment the xiaojiao essence is absorbed. The chain of gains is huge. His heaven-swallowing divine skill starts a new initiation, his bloodline awakening jumps by 20%, his second bloodline progress rises to 67%, and his cultivation breaks through to Golden Core 4th stage. Once the surge settles down, Lin Xian steadies himself and directly calls up his full information panel to see what changed. The panel confirms just how absurd the meal was, showing Lin Xian at 5 months old, 3,000 meters long, Golden Core 4th stage, with his main bloodline 50% unlocked and the new bloodline still condensing. Seeing his body length jump from 2,000 to 3,000 meters makes the growth feel even more concrete, because every stage at this level now shows directly in his monstrous physical size. He also notices a subtler truth behind the boost. Even after a 20% jump, his bloodline ceiling only nudged from peak 6th stage to late 6th stage, which tells him raw bloodline matters less and less the higher he climbs. By the end of that realization, Lin Xian understands the rule clearly. At the later stages, even a terrifying bloodline only helps so much, and real progress still depends on what he can build himself. Back in Azure Heaven Mountain, Lin Xian digs through his inherited memories and finally confirms how the heaven-swallowing divine python bloodline is ranked. He learns that even weak members of this lineage start high, 6th rank is common, and anything above 7th rank depends on personal cultivation and rare opportunities, not just birth. That calms him down fast, because with the last half of his awakening still ahead, Lin Xian judges his own bloodline should eventually reach peak 7th rank. Instead of feeling inferior, Lin Xian decides the rest can be made up later by cultivation and devouring treasures, especially with the system on his side. So he cuts straight to the point and asks what xiaojiao's meat actually gave him this time. The first reward lands hard. Now that more than half his bloodline is awake, Lin Xian can directly metamorphose external python seeds through bloodline connection. That means future bloodline upgrades can pass to the Lin family's python seeds without tearing them out and rebuilding them every time, which is a huge relief for everyone. The second reward boosts his talent again, shaving 100 years off the time needed for every single Golden Core stage. The third reward is raw scale. Lin Xian's maximum number of condensed python seeds jumps to 100. Adding those rewards to the 2-stage cultivation jump, Lin Xian realizes one xiaojiao meal has effectively saved him well over 1,000 years of grinding. Then his expanded inherited memory opens the real secret behind heavenly and earthly spirits. They are condensed essence born from heaven and earth itself, and their fixed realm reflects how much essence they hold. That is why these spirits are priceless to living beings, because they can strengthen bloodline, body, cultivation, and even spiritual roots all at once. Then Lin Xian catches the key difference. Heavenly spirits are priceless, but almost nobody can actually recognize or use their real value. The heaven-swallowing divine python bloodline can pull out that hidden essence through swallowing heaven, but only after devouring the spirit and actually sensing the benefit. So xiaojiao meat is mostly wasted on others as rare delicacy, while Lin Xian alone can quietly pull out the real heavenly and earthly essence inside it. He even realizes that if stronger cultivators could detect this secret too, someone above nascent soul would have already snatched the xiaojiao away long before now. Once he understands that secret, Lin Xian's thoughts immediately swing to Hongshan County's Rainbow Maiden, and his hunger turns calculating. If a chi condensation heavenly spirit already gave him this much, he can barely imagine what a 1,000-year Rainbow Maiden would do for him if she really is the same kind of spirit. For a heartbeat he is genuinely tempted, but he forces himself to back off. His first reason is simple. If he leaves home, someone could exploit the opening and strike the Lin family while he is gone. His second reason gives him some confidence anyway, because the scale he sent out is linked to his own bloodline and has grown stronger along with him. Lin Xian now judges that scale to be unbeatable anywhere in the Golden Core realm, a quiet upgrade that could decide the coming crisis. Meanwhile, less than 100 miles outside Manhwa County, 2 streaks of light suddenly stop in the sky and reveal a new pair of visitors. They both look barely older than 20, but the truth is much heavier. The man is early nascent soul, and the white-robed woman is peak nascent soul. Fan Yen suddenly catches the smell drifting from Manhwa County and blurts out how unbelievably fragrant it is. His senior sister answers at once that the scent is xiaojiao meat, naming the treasure with cool certainty. That answer hits Fan Yen hard, because he has heard of heavenly and earthly spirits, but never expected to run into one like this. The senior sister immediately warns him not to forget that they represent the demon control temple, cutting off any thought of taking it by force. Fan Yen quickly reins himself in and says he will not disgrace the sect, but if the owner agrees, he still wants to buy some. He even does the math on the spot, saying a chi condensation xiaojiao should be worth about 50,000 spirit stones, and he is willing to offer 1,000,000 for just one leg. The senior sister does not object, and the tiny pause makes it clear she would not mind tasting it herself either. Still, she keeps them on task and says they will go to the Lin family of Azure Heaven Mountain first to handle their master's business before discussing Xiaojiao at all. Then the pair formally enters Renhui County's territory, heading toward the Lin family with their own unknown agenda. Elsewhere, after half a month of travel across 2 prefectures, Lin Ran's group finally reaches Hongshan County. Seeing the vast rainbow glow ahead, Lin Ran lights up and excitedly points out the beautiful rainbow sea. But Lin Ji, Lin Shimin, and Lin Qinger go tense at once, because the rainbow sea is far larger than it should have been. Lin Ran quickly reads the mood and realizes that this giant rainbow sea probably means the area below is Hongshan County itself. By now she has grown genuinely close to the others on the road, especially Lin Qinger, so the thought of something happening to the Hongshan Lin family immediately bothers her. Trying to steady her friend, Lin Ran tells Lin Qinger not to panic yet, because the rainbow sea itself does not look dangerous and the family may still be safe. Lin Qinger is still deeply uneasy with her parents and relatives below, but she forces herself to hold that fear in. Lin Ji steps in with actual family information and says the Hongshan Lin family was not harmed when the heavenly spirit began to form. He explains that the expanding rainbow sea is simply the natural sign of the Rainbow Maiden's birth, not proof of disaster by itself. The rule is simple and ominous. After 1,000 years of development, the rainbow sea should spread 1,000 miles wide, and full release means the Rainbow Maiden is being born right now. That realization turns the timing ugly, because when Lin Ji left, the rainbow sea had only just covered Hongshan, and now it may finish expanding today. The group descends into Hongshan County anyway, only to find that the rainbow sea is the least of their problems. Almost the entire county is packed with cultivators, with more than 10,000 people spread across the region and foundation establishment figures visible in every direction. A quick sweep of their senses finds more than 100 foundation establishment auras, confirming that every serious opportunist has already gathered here. Even Lin Zhongba can only give a bitter joke that Hongshan County is certainly lively now. Then Lin Zhongba's expression changes sharply when his divine sense catches a 1,000-foot spiritual mountain occupied by more than 10 openly vicious foundation establishment cultivators. The weight of that killing intent tells him these are not ordinary rivals but people stained by mass slaughter, and in that instant he knows something has gone badly wrong for the Hongshan Lin family. When Lin Ji and the others sensed something was wrong ahead, they stopped talking and rushed straight for the spiritual mountain. They arrived to find the Lin family still alive below the mountain, and that brief relief immediately confirmed something had gone badly wrong at Hongshan itself. Their open reaction drew attention, and a middle-aged peak foundation establishment cultivator flew up to greet Lin Ji as his son, Lin Hongtu. Lin Hongtu lit up at first, then faltered when he saw only Lin Ji, Lin Zhongba, and Lin Ran had returned with him. With a displeased look at the occupied mountain, Lin Ji asked the only question that mattered: what happened here? Lin Hongtu raised a sound barrier and explained that after the Rainbow Sea expanded, more and more cultivators flooded into Hongshan County until the Lin family's authority stopped being enough. 3 days earlier, the 18 thugs of Yunyun attacked with 18 foundation establishment cultivators, including 3 at the peak, and simply took Hongshan by force. Unable to beat them, Lin Hongtu gave ground to avoid destroying the family, so the thugs occupied the mountain and seized part of the Lin family's resources. As Lin Hongtu spoke, Lin Zhongba quietly counted the foundation establishment cultivators below, and realized the Hongshan branch had even hired extra reinforcements just to stay standing. At the foot of Hongshan, more than 3,000 Lin cultivators looked up, and when they recognized Lin Ji, Lin Shimin, and Lin Qinger in the sky, the whole crowd stirred with hope. Then Lin Hongtu admitted the real nightmare. The cultivator-capable family members were mostly safe, but the millions of ordinary bloodline relatives in Hongshan County were not. That single line was enough for Lin Zhongba to picture what the influx of foreign cultivators had done, and his expression darkened with cold anger. Lin Zhongba asked for the casualties and the names behind it, and this time his calm voice sounded openly dangerous. Even Lin Ran and Lin Ji were startled, because they had never seen the easygoing old man speak like this before. After checking Lin Ji's response, Lin Hongtu gave the brutal numbers: more than 83,000 dead in just a few days, over 18,300 maimed, and the missing counted almost the same as the dead. He added that witnesses kept seeing people come down from Hongshan every other day, and soon after, a few thousand family members in the county would mysteriously disappear. Lin Hongtu's voice shook with fury and helplessness, because as family head he had watched the disaster unfold, and could barely stop any of it. Lin Ran finally snapped and demanded how a family head could stand by while his own bloodline was killed, crippled, and humiliated. An elder behind Lin Hongtu barked back that Lin Ran understood nothing, insisting the family head was sacrificing a few to save the many and preserve the family inheritance. That excuse only made Lin Ran erupt, and she shot back that a family willing to abandon its ordinary bloodline was just hiding cowardice behind the words family heritage. She fired back that calling it family heritage was cowardice, and swore that anyone who oppressed her bloodline would be crippled, while killers would die. Lin Ran pushed even harder, saying that even 100,000 loose cultivators were not some united force, and the family had been too timid from the very start. The silence from the Hongshan Lin family said enough. Deep down, they knew she was right about how badly this had spiraled. Lin Zhongba finally placed a hand on Lin Ran and cooled the argument, saying Lin Hongtu had been prudent for a weak family head, but Lin Ran was also right that the younger generation could not lose its backbone. That was when a mocking voice cut in from above Hongshan and demanded to know who, exactly, was supposed to be in the wrong. The 18 thugs of Yanyan swaggered out in full view, led by a burly saber-wielding man carrying a beautiful young human girl like a trophy. The surrounding cultivators looked at Lin Zhongba and Lin Ran with pity, already assuming those two were about to be crushed for speaking too boldly. Lin Zhongba only smiled and said the family head was not wrong and the younger one was not wrong either. The ones truly at fault were the old people who had failed to protect them sooner. That answer made the burly leader's grin falter, and he immediately tested Lin Zhongba with force instead of words. With a roar of spiritual pressure, the leader swung his large knife and sent a 100-foot blade crashing down at Lin Zhongba. Lin Hongtu moved to intercept, but Lin Zhongba stopped him with one hand and casually froze both his body and spiritual power in place. Standing in front of everyone, Lin Zhongba told the younger generation he could still protect them just fine. Then he raised an ordinary pair of scissors and, with one gentle snip, cut the massive blade apart. The impossible sight stunned everyone around Hongshan, while Lin Ran looked almost smug that they were finally seeing what her old man could do. Lin Zhongba moved on as if this were nothing, pulled out a piece of paper, and folded it into a tiny yellow dog. The folded dog suddenly became real and started barking straight at the 18 thugs of Yanyan. Each bark was followed by a sheep's bleat, and one by one the gang members vanished from human form and reappeared as helpless lambs. When the barking stopped, only the 3 Peak Foundation establishment leaders were still standing, and the rest of their gang had become lambs behind them. Hongshan County's cultivators fell dead silent, because what they had just witnessed no longer felt like any technique they understood. Fear broke the silence first, and then dozens of nearby cultivators started retreating as fast as they could from Lin Zhongba. The 3 surviving leaders panicked too, frantically stacking layer after layer of defensive spells before trying to ask what kind of magic this was. Lin Zhongba ignored their panic, lowered his head, and casually patted the little yellow dog while it wagged its tail like a pleased pet. Trying to salvage the situation, the fat old man forced a smile and offered to leave Hongshan, return everything, and pay double if Lin Zhongba restored their transformed brothers. Only then did Lin Zhongba name the spell, calling it Shepherd's Art, because shepherding naturally requires sheep. Still smiling, Lin Zhongba made his judgment clear. After all the sins they had piled up, turning them into lambs was already mercy. Lin Zhongba stayed calm, but the chill in his voice made everyone around him uneasy. He raised one hand and produced 3 rat masks, and the 3 surviving brutes instantly knew something terrible was coming. The fat old man shouted for everyone to run, and the 3 Peak Foundation establishment enemies scattered in 3 directions. Lin Zhongba only smiled and warned them not to underestimate how far this old man could reach. A strange fluctuation spread across Hongshan County, and the 3 fugitives froze in midair like insects pinned in place. The rat masks jumped onto their faces, and in front of the horrified crowd the 3 Peak Foundation establishment men were turned into mangled, bloodied rats. Before anyone could even process it, Lin Zhongba sent out a silver needle and began a cruel new technique on the 3 rats. For a long quarter hour, the county heard nothing but the rats' miserable cries and saw only silver light flashing in the sky. When the light finally faded, the 3 enemies were no longer alive creatures at all, but a square embroidery sewn with 3 lifelike rats staring out like people. Lin Zhongba casually put the embroidery away and turned his warm smile on the crowd, which somehow made the scene even scarier. That single glance sent the surrounding cultivators retreating a full mile, terrified that they might be next. Watching from nearby, Lin Ran quietly counted the arts her grandfather had just used and realized he was truly angry this time. Then Lin Zhongba gently warned the whole county that anyone who wanted to bully the Lin family could come find him first. The cultivators across Hongshan County found themselves nodding along before they even understood why. Lin Ran smiled because she knew 2 more hidden arts had just been added to the display. When Lin Qinger asked what she meant, Lin Ran explained through divine sense that the first secret art was shadow puppetry, the power to steer other people's actions like puppets. She went on to reveal the second art, Pinky Promise, a childish-sounding contract power that could bind anyone who showed even a little agreement to Lin Zhongba's words. Lin Ran made the rule even clearer: if the contract stayed within its limits, breaking it meant death, and with shadow puppetry helping force that moment of agreement, the combination was almost impossible to resist. Lin China was stunned, because even Lin Ran's so-called weaker version of shadow puppetry had just nudged 100,000 cultivators at once. A heartbeat later, the crowd snapped fully awake and realized they had been silently controlled into making a contract with Lin Zhongba. Cold sweat broke out everywhere as people understood just how quietly this old man could trap them. Right then, the 1,000-mile rainbow sea overhead roared and began collapsing toward one point above Manhwa County. The converging lights formed a 2-meter colorful cocoon, and everyone knew the golden core rainbow maiden was about to be born. As soon as the cocoon appeared, 13 Peak Foundation establishment cultivators rose to surround it from every direction in the sky. Most people below were only here to watch, but with a treasure like this hanging in the sky, greed still made the whole county feel heavier. From the Hongshan mountain side, the young Lin family cultivator Lin Wanxin asked the obvious question: If the Rainbow Maiden is born at Golden Core, why dare Foundation establishment cultivators surround her at all? Lin Zhongba answered from beside him that a newborn spirit of heaven and earth is strongest on paper and weakest at the instant of birth, unable to wield its full Golden Core power yet. He added that the Rainbow Maiden might need a month or even half a year to fully command that power, which gave enemies time to restrain her or use her before killing her. Shaken but grateful, Lin Wanqing bowed and thanked him for the warning. Then the cocoon itself began to crack, and the birth everyone had been waiting for suddenly felt immediate. At that exact moment, Lin Zhongba and Lin Ran both felt their family tokens react and pulled them out together. The projected order was blunt. The Grand Ancestor demanded that they bring the Rainbow Maiden back at any cost. Because the two of them were already drawing every eye, the whole county saw the order too, and the mood instantly turned sharper. Lin Ji, Lin Hongtu, and the other Lin family members immediately understood the problem. With Lin Zhongba this strong and the order this open, he was about to become everyone's focus. Lin Ran gave a resigned little sigh and admitted they could not keep a low profile anymore. She stepped forward to stand beside Lin Zhongba, openly taking the same side in front of everyone. Then Lin Ran dropped her concealment, and her aura climbed all the way to peak late Foundation establishment. The crowd went from stunned silence to open uproar, because the young woman beside Lin Zhongba was another monster-level talent. Even the Lin family was blindsided, because after traveling with her for half a month, they had still thought Lin Ran was only at early Foundation establishment. Lin Ran could only smile awkwardly, because she really had kept this secret from them for a long time. Inwardly, the reason was simple. The family had taught her that in the cultivation world, hiding your true level is often the safest way to survive. And unlike everyone else's assumptions, Lin Ran had long enjoyed the Grand Ancestor's special care, so there was no reason she would lag behind Lin Xunxian or Lin Zhongba. She even suspected she was not the only one in the family hiding a late Foundation establishment realm, because concealment had quietly become a family habit. So Lin Ran finally apologized to Lin Qinger and the others, saying she had never meant to fool them and had only been following the rules of the road. Lin Qinger accepted it right away and said that if Lin Ran had shown this talent from the start, their whole journey might have gone very differently. Lin Ji and Lin Shimin also nodded, accepting that every cultivator keeps some cards hidden, especially a genius this young. Above Hongshan County, more than a dozen peak Foundation establishment cultivators start wavering, because Lin Zhongba's earlier massacre and Lin Ran's shocking talent make the Lin side look far more dangerous than their numbers suggest. One hidden voice still tries to rally the group, arguing that a pack of peak Foundation establishment cultivators should be able to push back just two late-stage geniuses. Lin Zhongba immediately pins down the speaker, coolly tells him to step out in the open, and a slash hits before anyone can react. The old man escapes as a streak of green light instead of dying, and Lin Zhongba dryly notes that peak Foundation establishment enemies are harder to finish off than the last three. Since his real mission is the Rainbow Maiden, Lin Zhongba ignores the shaken crowd and heads straight for the cocoon with Lin Ran at his side. Lin Ji, Lin Hongtu, and the rest of the Lin family Foundation establishment cultivators immediately follow, turning the Hongshan Mountain Lin family into the strongest visible force in the county sky. Just when everyone thinks the Rainbow Maiden is about to fall to the Lin family, Lin Zhongba suddenly stops at the 100-meter mark and stares into empty space. He calls out the hidden watcher directly, exposing that a Golden Core expert has been lurking in the void all along. A white-robed middle-aged man finally appears and calmly tells Lin Zhongba to step aside, because the Rainbow Maiden now belongs to him. Lin Zhongba answers without backing down, saying he would rather stay home with children and flowers, but he cannot refuse Grand Ancestor's order to bring the Rainbow Maiden back, even if it costs his life. Lin Ran offers to take his place, worried that no matter how many strange abilities Grandpa has, a Foundation establishment cultivator still faces a brutal wall against Golden Core. Lin Zhongba confidently says Grand Ancestor already helped prepare him, and he can fight even a third revolution Golden Core without a problem. That lands harder than it should, because Changying really is at the third revolution, and for the first time he feels genuine danger from a Foundation establishment opponent. Then both Lin Zhongba and Lin Ran suddenly erupt with power and break through together from late Foundation establishment to Foundation establishment peak right in front of everyone. Lin Zhongba guesses this was Grand Ancestor's hidden support all along, and with a grin he upgrades his boast to say he can now take on a fourth revolution Golden Core instead. Changying's face darkens at the jab, and even while feeling insulted, he instinctively steps back because the danger from Lin Zhongba has only grown sharper. A moment later, Changying realizes they are from the Lin family of Renhui County, and Lin Ran's reaction confirms he guessed right. He introduces himself openly as Changying of the Nine Peaks sect, the Lin family's upper sect, which instantly makes the clash politically awkward. Lin Ran asks if he plans to pressure them with status, because the Lin family cannot casually offend its upper sect but still cannot abandon Grand Ancestor's order. Changying laughs off the suspicion, says he is also called Taoist Bujin because he is open-handed by nature, and claims he only came out of curiosity about the heavenly spirit. He adds one important warning before backing off: even if he gives up the Rainbow Maiden, he was never the main rival here. When Changying withdraws a full 100 miles and looks toward two hidden positions, Lin Zhongba realizes there are two more golden core experts here, and they are beyond anything he had sensed before. The first hidden figure steps out as a white-robed young woman of terrifying elegance, and even Chang'ing treats her with instant caution. Chang'ing immediately flatters her as Fairy Yunyao and guesses she came to take the Rainbow Maiden as a direct disciple, revealing just how high her status is. Her appearance shocks Yunyao Palace's own disciples below, because the rumor turns out to be true and the legendary founder has personally come for the Rainbow Maiden. The second hidden golden core finally draws her attention, and Fairy Yunyao coldly calls him a hound from the Mu family that managed to track her down. An old man in 8 trigrams robes appears and addresses her as Miss Nangong, saying both great families already settled the matter and the Nangong family has been told where to find her. Fairy Yunyao says nothing, but the cold around her deepens so sharply that even Chang'ing retreats farther away to avoid getting caught between monsters. Then the birth itself finally begins, as a rainbow pillar blasts into the sky and a sleeping young girl in a colorful dress appears inside the light. Before the onlookers can even finish reacting, Lin Ran shoots through the void to the newborn spirit and acts first. With one clean motion, Lin Ran summons a palm-sized box above the Rainbow Maiden and seals the girl away inside it. Fairy Yunyao sees Lin Ran take the Rainbow Maiden and pauses instead of interfering, because the sudden threat from her own past has already become the bigger problem. The Mu family elder is not nearly so restrained, and the moment he sees 2 Foundation Establishment juniors snatch the prize in front of him, his anger explodes. His 7th Revolution Golden Core attack crashes down so fast that Lin Ran has no time to evade after taking the Rainbow Maiden. Lin Xiongba throws himself in front of her and unfolds dozens of ordinary abilities at once, trying to block a power gap that is simply too huge. The strike still lands, and Lin Xiongba's body is shattered apart in the void by the full force of the Golden Core blow. Lin Ran stares at the empty space where Grandpa was, and the shock hits so hard her eyes go red on the spot. Her grief turns instantly into murderous fury, and she glares at the Mu family elder like she wants to tear him apart herself. She spits out a death sentence at the old bastard, but instead of charging blindly, she reaches for the one power that can truly answer this kind of enemy. A palm-sized white scale appears in Lin Ran's hands, and the aura coming off it turns her rage into a formal plea for the Grand Ancestor to avenge Lin Zhongba. Then Lin Ran kneels in the sky, full of grief and self-blame, and begs the Lin family's Grand Ancestor to avenge her grandpa. In Hongshan County, everyone stares at the white scale in Lin Ran's hand and wonders if she seriously plans to face a 7th Revolution Golden Core elder with that alone. The Mu family elder sneers at her like she is an ignorant ant, mocking the idea that some family treasure could ever challenge a true Golden Core expert. Fairy Yunyao cannot explain it, but the moment she sees that white scale, a real sense of danger crawls up her spine. Chang'ing trusts that bad feeling even more and quietly retreats 300 miles away, because he knows the Lin family never moves without a hidden monster behind them. He thinks through everything he knows. The Lin family rose too fast, even their unknown elders are dangerous, and Lin Ran would never dare this much against the 7th Revolution Golden Core cultivator without a terrifying backup plan. Then the answer arrives as a towering white pillar erupts in the distance, responding to Lin Ran's call. A deafening serpent hiss follows, and the pressure that crashes over Hongshan County is so overwhelming that everyone instantly knows something monstrous has arrived. The full figure appears at last, Lin Xian's heaven-swallowing white snake, so vast that it seems to cover the entire sky above Hongshan County. Lin Xian ignores the crowd and lowers his giant head toward the crying Lin Ran, and that cold, silent attention makes everyone feel like divine punishment is about to fall. Without asking a single question out loud, Lin Xian sweeps his divine sense across the scene and reads enough from everyone's surface memories to learn exactly what happened. He turns one emotionless golden eye on the Mu family elder, and the old man instantly realizes he is facing something far beyond any small county cultivator. Fairy Yunyao recognizes the horror of what she is seeing, a heaven-swallowing divine python bloodline, the heaven and earth unity power, and a projection that should belong to soul formation-level beings. Knowing he might die here, the Mu family elder drops his pride and hurriedly offers compensation and rare pills if Lin Xian will spare him and soothe Lin Ran. Lin Xian does not even bother asking for Lin Ran's answer before he moves to kill. In front of everyone in Hongshan County, one tail strike crushes the 7th Revolution Golden Core elder into drifting powder. The whole 1,000-mile region goes dead silent, because the Lin family's so-called Grand Ancestor just erased a 7th Revolution expert like he was nothing. Lin Xian's gaze shifts to Fairy Yunyao and Chang'ing next, and both of them tense up immediately under the warning in that glance. Lin Ran quickly speaks up for them, explaining that neither Fairy Yunyao nor Chang'ing attacked, so Lin Xian lets the warning stand without striking. Once the immediate danger is gone, Lin Xian lowers himself toward Lin Ran and gently asks why she is crying when she had left home so excited. Feeling safe for the first time, Lin Ran chokes out that her grandpa died because of her. Lin Xian calmly looks into the void and calls out the person still hiding, making it clear he already knows Lin Zhongba is alive. A moment later, Lin Zhongba steps back out intact, and everyone who watched him get blown apart is left completely stunned. Lin Zhongba respectfully bows to Lin Xian, while even Fairy Yunyao has to admit this old man somehow fooled everyone into thinking he had died. When Lin Xian asks what happened, Lin Zhongba admits he faked the crisis on purpose because he wanted to teach Lin Ran how reckless she had been in the outside world. That explanation only makes Lin Ran more annoyed, and she turns away with a huff while clearly still listening to every word. When Lin Xian asks if he was not afraid she could really die, Lin Zhongba answers with total confidence that as long as she had Grand Ancestor's scale, nothing would happen to her. Lin Xian falls quiet, struck again by how completely the Lin family treats him as an unquestionable source of safety. Then his attention turns back to the thousands gathered below, and his expression goes cold again. Lin Xian gives Hongshan County one final order: anyone still here after 1 hour dies. That threat breaks the paralysis at once, and the gathered cultivators scatter in panic, fleeing Hongshan County by every method they have. From safely outside the county, Chang Ying chooses respect over distance and formally introduces himself as a peak master from Nine Peaks sect, offering help if Lin Xian ever needs it. Lin Xian actually gives him a name in return, simply introducing himself as Lin Xian. Chang Ying is briefly surprised, then smiles, realizes that is the Grand Ancestor's true name, and departs for Tianyuan Mansion on good terms. The real shock comes after he leaves, when Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba stare at Lin Xian in disbelief because they just learned Grand Ancestor actually has a personal name. Lin Ran blurts out the question directly, and Lin Xian dryly asks why it would be strange for him to give himself a name after living so long. For Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba, the important part is not just that he has a name, but that he chose the surname Lin and openly counted himself as one of them. Lin Ran burst into pure happiness, hugging against Lin Xian and cheering that Grand Ancestor finally has a name now. With the crisis over, Lin Ji drops to one knee first and solemnly thanks Lin Xian for saving the Hongshan Lin family. The rest of the Hongshan Lin family follows, finally realizing Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba had stayed calm because Lin Xian never needed to descend in person. Lin Xian turns his attention to Lin Hongtu and asks whether the Hongshan line truly shares the same bloodline as Azure Heaven Mountain's Lin family. Lin Hongtu confirms it, and explains that their ancestral records show Azure Heaven Mountain's Lin family branched off from Hongshan County a century ago. Lin Xian presses further and learns there are many scattered Lin branches outside Hongshan County, including more than 100 Qi condensation forces and 6 foundation establishment forces. Then Lin Xian asks the real question: has Hongshan ever considered recalling every Lin branch and reorganizing the whole family as one force? Lin Hongtu instantly understands that this would put Azure Heaven Mountain's line in command, and the thought of the main family being absorbed leaves him visibly conflicted. Before he can answer, Lin Ji secretly sends a voice transmission and bluntly tells his son to agree. Lin Hongtu pushes back in private, arguing that Lin Xian clearly wants Azure Heaven Mountain to swallow the Hongshan main line. Lin Ji cuts through that pride and says shared blood is shared blood, warning his son not to repeat the Wu family's notorious stupidity. When pride still lingers, Lin Ji asks the question that matters most: how likely is Lin Hongtu to break into Golden Core on his own? Lin Hongtu has no answer, because he knows the family lacks the resources, techniques, and certainty to risk such a breakthrough. Lin Ji reminds him that Hongshan Lin family has spent 1,000 years stuck as a second-rank force, and maybe this moment is exactly what their ancestor prepared for. He says their ancestor never meant the bloodline mechanism to preserve status games between main and branch lines, but to let any descendant who reached Golden Core gather the whole clan back together. Then Lin Ji points to Azure Heaven Mountain's rise and makes it plain that with Lin Xian behind them, even a third rank, fourth rank, or higher future no longer sounds impossible. Looking up at the giant serpent who killed the 7th Revolution Golden Core with one scale, Lin Hongtu can no longer convince himself this chance is small. Lin Ji gives the final push, telling his son that staying independent likely means a slow death as a minor force, while joining Lin Xian could break the family's ceiling forever. At last Lin Hongtu chooses the future over pride and publicly agrees to recall all Lin branches and reorganize the family under Lin Xian. Far away at Azure Heaven Mountain, Lin Xian's true body receives the reward for subduing Hongshan Lin family, and a second bloodline starts to awaken inside him. Purple marks spread across Lin Xian's body, lightning crawls over his scales, and even without a cultivation jump his combat power surges several times over. The system reveals the name of the new bloodline, Thunder Calamity, an ancient lightning bloodline that can share authority over heavenly thunder itself. Lin Xian immediately understands why the heavenly Tao targeted him so viciously, because both of his bloodlines now directly challenge its authority. As the new bloodline settles in, Lin Xian realizes he might be able to shield his clan from lethal tribulation lightning, but he also decides not to let them skip tribulations lightly because that would weaken their growth. Back over Hongshan County, the projected giant serpent changes too, crackling with purple lightning until everyone below feels he has become even more terrifying. Fairy Yunyao watches in shock and realizes Lin Xian has awakened another bloodline that is not inferior to his heaven-swallowing python bloodline. Lin Xian reigns in the new aura and calmly gives Lin Hongtu his first order: recall every scattered clansman quickly because the Lin family will soon need a prefecture-sized home. He makes the plan explicit. Once someone in the family reaches Golden Core, the entire clan will be promoted to a third-rank force and moved into a prefecture under his protection. Lin Hongtu answers without hesitation this time and promises he will bring every branch back as fast as possible. Lin Xian softens the distance between them and tells Hongtu to stop calling him senior and address him as grand ancestor like Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba do. That one change lands hard, and Hongtu, Lin Ji, and the whole Hongshan line light up with real excitement at finally having such an impossible backer. Any remaining doubts vanish, and thousands of Hongshan cultivators kneel together to formally salute Lin Xian as their grand ancestor. Seeing how completely the clan has accepted him, Lin Xian decides to leave Hongshan's affairs to them and personally escort Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba back with the Rainbow Maiden. But the moment Lin Xian is about to leave, the silent fairy Yunyao finally steps in and calls out for him to wait. Lin Xian turns back to face Yunyao, keeping his expression calm even as he silently notes just how striking and dangerous this woman really is. Nagong Yunyao suddenly makes a serious offer and asks Lin Xian if the Lin family needs a Golden Core 9th Revolution expert. Lin Xian sees right through it, and coldly asks if she wants to hide behind the Lin family and use him to block her clan. He pushes the point even harder and mocks the idea of her joining the Lin family, asking if she plans to marry into it. Yunyao immediately rejects marriage and, with a spark in her eyes, blurts out an even stranger backup plan: she can be his maid. Lin Xian stares at her like she has lost her mind and bluntly asks if she has been reading too many mortal novels. Her shock gives her away, and she actually admits it, exposing how badly those stories have warped her escape plan. Lin Xian does not soften at all and scolds her for thinking a maid title could make him offend an 8th rank power like the Mu family. For maybe the first time in her life, Nandong Yunyao is left dazed after being talked to like an idiot. That shock turns dangerous when 3 sealed lights flare deep in her soul, the life-saving power her father left behind. The narration makes the threat clear: each seal carries 1% of her father's strength, enough to hit like a Unity Realm Supreme attack, but her soul cannot endure anything stronger. Lin Xian instantly notices the movement in her soul and warns her to control herself, or he will leave a corpse behind. That warning jolts Yunyao awake, and she realizes her father's trump card almost activated by accident just because Lin Xian angered her. Now she is less angry than shaken, because her father swore nobody below great power level should be able to read through her methods. She blurts out her first terrifying guess and asks if Lin Xian is actually a monster race great power. She rejects that idea just as fast, arguing that the human ancestral temple's 10 directions guardian ancestral formation would have erased any such intruder already. So she lands on her next theory instead: Lin Xian must be the reincarnation of a monster race great power. The people of Hongshan County are completely lost, but beside Lin Xian, Lin Zhongba and Lin Ran exchange a look because her guess matches the Lin family's own suspicions. Lin Xian admits to himself that Yunyao knows far too many dangerous secrets, and that alone makes her trouble he does not want nearby. He decides not to kill her, not because he fears her family, but because killing an 8th rank young miss would cause far worse trouble than the earlier clash with the Mu family elder. Instead, Lin Xian flicks his tail before Yunyao can react and sends her flying away like a shooting star. With Yunyao gone, Lin Xian finally relaxes and jokes that one tail should have tossed her tens of thousands of miles away. The people watching below are left stunned, because nobody expected Fairy Yunyao to get casually swatted out of the county. Lin Xian has no time to explain anything, and he immediately gathers Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba to leave with him. The 3 streak toward Tianyuan Prefecture, because Lin Xian can already feel a nascent soul breakthrough drawing near. About 15 minutes after Lin Xian's group leaves Hongshan County, 2 Demon Resistance Hall cultivators arrive outside Azure Mountain and look down at the Lin family from midair. Fan Yen is openly surprised that this new second-rank force already shows more than 40 Foundation Establishment cultivators, almost enough to shame older third-rank powers. Nandong Ruoxian coolly guesses the Lin family must have found a hidden realm, secret land, or some senior's inheritance to rise this fast. Even so, neither of them cares much about digging deeper, because as members of the Human Ancestral Temple's Demon Resistance Hall, small local opportunities barely matter to them. Fan Yen switches topics and asks whether Ruoxian has found the Lin family ancestor they actually came to see. Ruoxian says no, and reminds him that their hall master warned this ancestor was terrifying enough to evade even soul formation detection. Neither of them truly believed that warning before, because a mere golden core should be an ant in front of a half-god soul formation master. That mystery only makes Fan Yen more interested, since even inside a major immortal sect he has not heard of a golden core cultivator pulling off something like this. Ruoxian cools his excitement, and says a golden core cultivator could still hide that well if powerful elders had given them the right treasure. Fan Yen jokes about killing the Lin family for such a treasure, but the test falls flat because Ruoxian immediately calls him a clown. She sees right through him and says his background is too strong for him to throw away his status and dignity over a mere Unity Realm treasure. Fan Yen can only laugh it off, but the banter dies the instant both of them stop and look up at the sky. Thunder rolls across Tianyuan Prefecture, and in the blink of an eye a tribulation cloud spreads for 100,000 miles, crushing the whole region under heavenly pressure. Across the prefecture, countless living beings look up in fear, because nobody below understands why the sky has become this terrifying. Ruoxian and Fan Yen recognize it at once and blurt out the impossible answer: This is a Unity Realm Dao Lord Tribulation. They focus on the lake behind Azure Mountain, where the Tribulation's Dao intent is thickest, and finally see the one drawing it down. At the center of the storm, Lin Xian appears in full white snake form, 3,000 meters long, covered in purple thunder patterns and staring calmly into the heavens. Ruoxian reads his cultivation at a glance and gets another shock, because the giant white snake facing that tribulation is only at 4th Revolution Golden Core. Fan Yan cannot believe it, and demands to know how that level of cultivation could possibly trigger a Dao Lord Tribulation. Ruoxian tells him to use his heavenly vision if he wants the answer, sounding just strange enough to make that advice feel like a trap. Fan Yan activates his piercing heaven eye to inspect Lin Xian's background, and the backlash hits so hard that he instantly retreats 100 miles in fear. Ruoxian finally smiles, while Fan Yan realizes she knew exactly what would happen when his eye touched something this dangerous. He complains that she set him up, but what really rattles him is the warning from his own eye that looking deeper at Lin Xian meant life and death danger. The final blow to his confidence is simple. Not even divine lords ever made his piercing heaven eye scream like this. But the white snake below feels 1,000 or 10,000 times more terrifying. Nagong Ruoxian shuts down Fan Yan's doubt at once, saying his piercing heaven eye is not wrong at all. It just cannot fully read the Lin ancestor because that being's karma is far too vast. Fan Yan immediately accepts her judgment, because he knows her divine eye ranks even higher than his own. He asks what she can see, hoping her stronger eye can finally explain what kind of monster the Lin ancestor really is. Nandong Ruoxian admits even she only catches fragments, but those fragments are enough to shock her. The Dao Lord Tribulation is condensing from a bloodline hidden inside Lin Xian's body. That answer leaves Fan Yan stunned, because a bloodline strong enough to trigger a golden core Dao Lord Tribulation sounds less like a gift and more like a death sentence. Nagong Ruoxian explains the bloodline carries traces of the great Dao itself, rooted in thunder, and to that lineage lightning is no true danger at all. Even while explaining it calmly, she cannot hide a flicker of envy at a bloodline that can treat heavenly lightning like ordinary water. Far away at the Nine Peak sect, the impossible tribulation throws the whole sect into chaos as disciples and elders stare at the sky and wonder which nascent soul true lord could be attempting this kind of breakthrough. On the first peak, Mu Shang and Lian Qingwei can only stare at each other in disbelief, because Tianyuan Prefecture should not even have the spiritual conditions for a soul formation breakthrough. They quickly narrowed the location to Renhui County, and Lian Qingwei grimly notes that this same place keeps producing one strange event after another. Mu Shang realizes this tribulation will turn Tianyuan Prefecture into the center of a huge regional storm, because major powers across Luoyan State are bound to rush over. He even half-jokes that maybe the Lin family caused this too, but Lian Qingwei immediately dismisses it as impossible since the Lin family does not even have a nascent soul cultivator. Still, they agree to head for Renhui County once the tribulation ends, convinced a breakthrough of this scale must mean a major opportunity is hidden there. And that guess proves right almost instantly, as golden lights from third-rank forces all over Luoyan State begin flying toward Tianyuan Prefecture. Even beyond Luoyan State, faster lights cut across the wider Luo God Dao territory, showing that nascent soul true lords from faraway lands are coming too for the remnants of Dao intent alone. In the Luo God Central region, Luo Xingji and Tu Chi watch Renhui County from the ninth heaven and immediately realize Lin Xian's second bloodline is terrifyingly powerful. Tu Chi admits he has read many ancient records but still cannot identify the origin of this thunder bloodline, which makes it even more unsettling. That pushes Luo Xingji to ask the real political question: with a monster race genius this dangerous, will the human ancestral temple really let him grow unchecked? Tu Chi reveals the temple already took Lin Xian seriously after hearing about his swallowing heaven divine python bloodline, and even a great ascension grandmaster personally tried to divine his fate. His strange expression only makes Luo Xingji more anxious, because whatever happened during that divination was clearly not normal. Then Tu Chi drops the unbelievable part: the grandmaster did not get an answer at all. Luo Xingji flatly refuses to believe that, because a great ascension master failing on a golden core target sounds absurd unless the truth is even worse. Tu Chi swears it is true and explains that the moment the grandmaster began calculating, his cultivation crashed from great ascension all the way down to profound void before he fainted on the spot. That backlash tells both old men the same thing at once: Lin Xian carries karma so frightening that even one look nearly killed a great ascension expert. For Luo Xingji, that terrifying truth turns into relief too, because any thought of suppressing Lin Xian dies completely right there. So he asks what the ancestral temple actually plans to do next with someone they clearly cannot probe or control. Tu Chi says the order is simple: let Lin Xian develop freely, keep reporting on him, and try to become his ally. The temple's reason is just as important. Up to now Lin Xian has shown no hostility toward humans, and growing up inside the Lin family may even make him lean toward the human side. Luo Xingji immediately sees the consequence for the Lin family too. With Lin Xian on their side and the temple watching, their foundation just became far harder to shake. Back in Renhui County, the Lin family and the county's countless onlookers can only watch from hundreds of miles away as the sky splits open over the Green Mountains. At the center of it all, A thunder waterfall 10,000 meters wide crashes down on Lin Xian's huge white serpent body, but he raises his head with open disdain instead of fear. Then he opens his jaws and starts devouring the tribulation itself, his purple-lit scales shining as he swallows the power that should be destroying him. Inside the storm, Lin Xian feels his thunder calamity bloodline reaching its final transformation, while the Tao Lord tribulation hammers and strengthens his body. Even in that absurd moment, Lin Xian feels a little regret, because this is the perfect chance to temper his flesh and he still lacks a true body cultivation scripture. The system answers him instantly, rewarding him for shaking the entire Luo God Tao with a new body-tempering immortal scripture called God and Demon 9 Transformations. In the next instant, a flood of scripture pours into his mind and he masters it on the spot. Once the scripture starts circulating, it fits his body perfectly and begins devouring the heavenly thunder far faster than his body ever could alone. As the scripture runs wild, black gold God and demon power starts condensing inside Lin Xian strand by strand. After 2 more hours under the storm, he has already forged 123 strands, enough to push the scripture into its 3rd refinement. When Lin Xian measures the gap to the 4th refinement, even he is startled, because it would need a ridiculous amount of power that ordinary resources could never provide. Then he looks back up at the endless thunder pouring from heaven and realizes this tribulation itself is exactly the monstrous fuel he needs. With that thought, Lin Xian grins at his own luck and aims to push his body to the 4th refinement, while breaking through to nascent soul at the same time. He lets out a deafening hiss that seems to provoke the heavens, and the lightning above grows even more violent in answer. 1,000 miles away, Fan Yen can only gulp at the sight, because the white serpent now looks less like a cultivator and more like a living myth. The two of them have already retreated that far for a reason, since anyone who gets too close to another's tribulation can be dragged into it and crushed by heaven's judgment. Even from there, Nangong Ruoxian coldly concludes that Lin Xian is not merely surviving on bloodline talent anymore, because a new and dangerous power is rapidly being born inside him. Her judgment is brutal. If Lin Xian passes this tribulation, even she may not be his match anymore. Fan Yen can hardly process that, because she is a peak nascent soul genius and Lin Xian is still only in the golden core realm. But Nangong Ruoxian does not back down at all, saying her instinct says a fight against him would end not in a narrow loss, but in a disastrous defeat. That warning somehow excites Fan Yen even more, and he blurts out that maybe he should become sworn brothers with Lin Xian once the tribulation is over. Nangong Ruoxian gives him a flat sideways look and says nothing, which does nothing to cool his enthusiasm. Fan Yen takes her silence as no real objection and starts happily imagining how powerful his backing would be if Lin Xian really accepted him. As the tribulation drags on, more and more cultivators pour in until the region outside Manhwa County is packed far beyond any earlier gathering. By 12 hours in, the crowd has swollen to more than 300,000 cultivators, including over 100 Golden Core experts. They all came for the same reason, to witness whether this impossible breakthrough will really produce a soul formation Tao Lord. And if it succeeds, they hope to be first to congratulate the new Tao Lord, share in the auspicious signs, and catch the benefits that always follow such a breakthrough. The truth finally came out. The monster under that terrifying tribulation was not some hidden soul formation expert at all, but a golden core white snake. That impossible mismatch only made the crowd more excited, because everyone knew a golden core beast that could trigger a soul formation tribulation had to be hiding a monstrous opportunity. High in a hidden corner of the sky, Lin Ran and Lin Zhongba watched Azure Mountain in silence, both clearly worried about their ancestor below. A floating white scale spread a pale halo around them, hiding both of them so thoroughly that even nascent soul cultivators would miss their presence. After a full day, the giant thunder zone and the thunderfall over Azure Mountain both shrank fast, making it obvious the tribulation was almost over. Inside the thunder, Lin Xian finally heard the reward he had been waiting for and awakened the Thunder Calamity bloodline divine ability, Thunder Emperor. At the same time, he finished refining the cultivation he had gained, pushing his realm to the peak of the 9th revolution of Golden Core and opening the demonic God Sea. But even with that massive boost, Lin Xian still could not cleanly step into Nascent Soul, because his Great Tao Golden Core was too abnormal to crack the usual way. He understood the problem clearly. His soul was growing at an absurd speed, but he had formed that Great Tao Golden Core too recently for even this bloodline upgrade to force the breakthrough. Still, Lin Xian was in a good mood, because he already had a solution in mind: devour the Golden Core Rainbow Maiden and use her to break through for real. Then the last trace of the soul formation tribulation vanished, and the sky over Azure Mountain turned clear at last. By then, 500,000 cultivators had gathered outside Manhwa County, and more than 100 Golden Core experts hovered in the air while the rest waited for someone to make the first move. Everyone could tell the white snake had a heaven-defying chance on him, and with so many experts present, greed was starting to outweigh fear. A more cautious chunk of the crowd saw the danger and quietly fled instead of gambling their lives against that monster. Lin Xian noticed all of it, but he barely cared, because in his eyes this entire mob was too weak to matter. Instead, he fixed his gaze on a point in the eastern sky and openly called out the old man who had been watching him with bad intentions for a full day. A cold snort answered him, and a middle-aged man with a white beard and red-black robes stepped out of hiding above the battlefield. The spectators quickly recognized him as true Lord Chuemo, a late nascent soul disciple of the Western Emperor Dao Lord and a dangerous figure from Baoshan Prefecture. Chuemo immediately claimed he was killing a daring demon snake for the human race, then dropped a giant nascent soul palm toward Azure Mountain. Seeing that, Lin Xiuqi ordered the Lin family to protect their ancestor, and thousands of clan members charged into the sky without hesitation even against a late nascent soul enemy. The sight stunned the surrounding cultivators, because the Lin family was throwing itself at an opponent who should have been able to wipe them out effortlessly. Lin Xian stopped them at once and told them to stay back, sounding almost amused that this old man thought he was qualified to threaten him. His contempt only made Chuemo angrier, and the giant palm crashed down even faster and harder. From a distant mountain peak, Fan Yen flared with anger and nearly moved to kill Chuemo himself for pretending to act in the ancestral temple's name and offending Lin Xian. Nangong Ruoxian coolly stopped him and said Lin Xian would send Chuemo on his way within 3 moves. She was right, because Lin Xian simply opened his giant white serpent mouth and swallowed Chumo's enormous palm attack whole. The swallowed palm was instantly refined into demonic power, and Lin Xian realized his heaven swallowing and demonic god cultivation could boost each other. Even so, he put that thought aside immediately, because the old man in front of him needed to die first. Then Lin Xian swung his tail, using his new body part transformation to turn it into a colossal heaven-piercing pillar wrapped in black gold demonic radiance. The pressure of that blow crushed the nerves of everyone watching, because it felt vastly stronger than anything Chuemo had shown. For the first time, Chumo's own nascent soul screamed danger at him, and he could hardly believe a golden core snake was about to kill him with one strike. Desperate, Chuemo unleashed his strongest nascent soul mystic technique and condensed a giant blue heavenhorn beetle phantom in the sky. The ancient beast phantom slammed into Lin Xian's strike, but the white tail smashed straight through it without slowing down. With his strength exhausted and his body pinned by that pressure, Chuemo could only laugh wildly and spit out a final ominous warning before the blow reached him. A heartbeat later, Lin Xian's tail tore Chuemo into pieces and even wiped out his remaining spiritual power so thoroughly that the nascent soul true lord had no way back. Lin Xian stayed calm after the kill, brushing off Chumo's last ravings as noise he neither trusted nor cared about. The outside cultivators were left numb, because what they had just witnessed was a late nascent soul expert dying to a golden core monster in basically one real move. The Lin family reacted the exact opposite way, erupting into wild celebration and instantly talking about how they would honor their grand ancestor when they got home. For Lin Xiuqi and the other elders, that victory meant something bigger than one battle. From this day on, the Lin family truly had room to soar. But Lin Xian had not forgotten the crowd's greed, and when his gaze dropped back on the tens of thousands outside Renhui, the whole atmosphere froze again. The weaker cultivators desperately wanted to run, but terror locked their bodies in place because one wrong move might look like another attack. Lin Xian let them stew for a while instead of killing them, because in his view this was punishment, not slaughter. Then he shifted his attention to a mountain peak 1,000 miles away and called out the 2 people hiding there as well. That line shocked the crowd all over again, because if Lin Xian was calling them out now, whoever was hiding there had to be stronger than Golden Core 2. A young man and woman finally stepped into view, walking through the air in enormous strides that instantly marked them as far beyond the local cultivators. When people felt their auras, the shock deepened, because Fan Yen was early nascent soul and Nangong Ruoxian was already peak nascent soul despite both looking far too young for that level. Their bearing made it plain they were not local people at all, but experts from a much wider and more powerful world. Before Lin Xian could misunderstand, Fan Yen hurriedly called out that they were on the same side and introduced himself as a member of the Fan clan from the Human Core lands. He even downplayed his own clan as merely a 9th rank power, then quickly added that he believed Lin Xian would one day surpass that anyway. Then Fan Yen introduced Nangong Ruoxian properly and explained that the ancestral temple had sent them here to reward Lin Xian for his heavenly tribulation. Fan Yen kept going, blurting out that a hall master had once tried to observe Lin Xian and concluded that even a Dao Lord could not truly sense him. That strange honesty left Lin Xian staring at Fan Yen in open bafflement, unable to figure out what this overly enthusiastic newcomer was really after. After Fan Yen blasts off in embarrassment, Nangong Ruoxian flatly apologizes and says his brain is a little damaged. Lin Xian asks if she came from the human ancestral temple, and Nangong Ruoxian confirms they were sent because the temple approved how the Lin family handled the last heavenly tribulation. Looking at her more closely, Lin Xian realizes she resembles Nangong Yunyao and asks about it. Nangong Ruoxian admits Nangong Yunyao is her twin sister, and Lin Xian instantly reads the ugly family politics behind that huge gap in status and talent. Not interested in her family drama, Lin Xian cuts straight to the real point and asks about the reward. Nangong Ruoxian summons a pure white spatial ring and gives Lin Xian the first reward, a storage ring with 1,000 cubic meters of space. For ordinary cultivators this ring would be a treasure, but Lin Xian barely cares because his own system storage is vastly larger. His indifference surprises Nangong Ruoxian, because from everything the ancestral temple knows, he should not own anything better than a nascent soul-grade storage ring. She explains the ring also contains the pure spirit scripture, one of the ancestral temple's best nascent soul techniques, and even a stepping stone toward its higher heavenly record. That finally gets Lin Xian's attention, because the Lin family needs more than sword cultivation if it wants to grow into a real force. He quickly judges the pure spirit scripture as extremely strong for the family, since it purifies spiritual energy, boosts same realm combat power, improves breakthrough chances, and lets cultivators rely on pills with far less backlash. Even so, he dismisses it for himself, because both his bloodline and his own cultivation are already far beyond what this technique can offer. Instead of listening further, Lin Xian sends his spiritual sense through the ring and starts checking the real contents himself. Inside, he finds enough foundation establishment, golden core, and even nascent soul resources to build a whole clan step by step instead of just helping one person. Then he spots the rarest thing in the pile, 3 sacred golden pills. Lin Xian immediately remembers the Mu family elder who once promised him 1 sacred golden pill and realizes that old fox had been trying to cheat him badly. He asks Nangong Ruoxian how many sacred golden pills the ancestral temple actually has. Nangong Ruoxian says the temple has very few, because the materials are ancient treasures from rare secret realms, and even there these pills are reserved for cultivators with at least a 7th rank golden core. She pointedly adds that someone with Lin Xian's talent should not need them anyway, clearly probing how high his golden core really is. Lin Xian simply nods and lets her keep guessing, since his strength already says enough. After finishing his inspection, Lin Xian looks up in real surprise and asks if the ancestral temple is planning to develop the Lin family all the way into a nascent soul force. Nangong Ruoxian confirms it and says the ancestral temple wants families like the Lin family to become examples across human territory, because they truly protect mortals as their own people. Lin Xian immediately sees the strategy. The temple is turning the Lin family into a public model that other powers will have to follow. She adds that other worthy powers will also get support, but the Lin family is a special case, and the extra weight behind that comment is impossible to miss. Then Nangong Ruoxian remembers there is still one final reward and her tone turns serious. A yellow token marked with the ancestral temple appears in her hand. When she pours spiritual energy into the token, a yellow beam punches straight into the sky. The sky peels open into a vision of the vast sea of stars, and everyone below erupts in shock. Lin Xian sees that his world is not a lone star at all but an unimaginably vast continent hanging before countless tiny celestial bodies. Around that continent stand 10 colossal human statues, 7 men and 3 women, linked together by overwhelming Dao power into a barrier no outsider should be able to cross. The starry vision vanishes a moment later, replaced by a golden web spread across the sky so vast it can be seen across an enormous stretch of human territory. Feeling the same crushing authority Nangong Yunya once described, Lin Xian realizes this is the 10-direction guardian ancestral formation in action. He quickly understands the formation has 2 layers, the outer barrier for enemies beyond the human lands, and this inner net for suppressing threats from within. Then the golden web trembles and condenses into a public decree written across the heavens. The heavenly order publicly rewards the Lin family with the pure spirit scripture, resources, and Baoshan prefecture, then warns that anyone targeting them before they rise into a nascent soul force will be killed immediately by the 10-direction ancestral. That announcement stuns the entire Luo Dao God province, because this is not just a reward but direct protection and political backing from the human ancestral temple itself. For countless forces, the message lands hard: mortals are not disposable soil, and the temple is openly siding with those who truly protect them. Almost immediately, major powers start issuing new orders to treat mortals more carefully and gather everything they can on the suddenly untouchable Lin family. At Nine Peaks Origin Mountain, Golden Core cultivators Mu Shang and Lian Xinghua silently trade alarmed looks as the decree hangs overhead. Mu Shang immediately asks the question that matters most now: did their sect ever offend the Lin family? Lian Xinghua says their top elders usually do not oppress subordinates, but when Mu Shang asks about ordinary disciples, she can only answer with bitter uncertainty. That is enough for Mu Shang to order a full internal purge, including anyone who used sect power to bully others or harm mortals. Both of them understand the danger. As the Lin family's former upper sect, Nine Peaks is perfectly placed either to become an ally or to be dragged down as an enemy. Lian Xinghua finally admits Mu Shang saw further than she did, because months earlier she supported investigating the Lin family while he insisted they should befriend them instead. Remembering how close they came to provoking a family now backed by the ancestral temple, Lian Xinghua is left with real lingering fear. After the Lin family's rise shakes Renhui County, Lin Xian quietly decides the family must grow faster if it wants to keep up with him. Using bloodline connection, Lin Xian sends a voice straight into 5 minds and orders Lin Xiuqi, Lin Shanhai, Lin Xunxian, Lin Zhongba, and Lin Ran to prepare for Golden Core breakthrough. Lin Xiuqi awkwardly admits he is only at late foundation establishment, but Lin Xian cuts him off and says he already has a way around that. This time Lin Xian is willing to spend the effort, because the divine and demonic power inside him can be turned into material to push Lin Xiuqi up without hurting his own future plans. He also settles on keeping Lin Xiuqi as family head, preferring stability over a messy leadership change once the family becomes even stronger. A ripple passes through the air as Lin Xian upgrades the python seed inside the 5 of them, and Nangong Ruoxian is the only outsider who vaguely senses something hidden in the void. Lin Xiuqi feels it first as his cultivation surges to peak foundation establishment, and a black gold pillar erupts around him while his body rises into the air. When Tribulation Thunder answers him, the nearby cultivators go blank, because the Lin family had just jumped from late foundation establishment straight into Golden Core Tribulation. Before anyone can process the first one, 4 more light pillars burst upward, and all 5 Lin family members are dragged into Golden Core Tribulation together. Even Fan Yen comes back stunned and blurts out the question everyone else is too rattled to ask. Lin Xian answers with almost insulting calm that they are obviously breaking through to Golden Core, and Fan Yen immediately guesses this was his doing. That answer shatters the crowd's common sense, and from below, Lin Xian suddenly looks less like a patriarch and more like someone who can rewrite a cultivator's fate. Lin Xian ignores the panic below and studies the sky instead, where the 5 tribulations are fusing into an abnormally huge storm. When the cloud blows past 8,000 miles and keeps growing, Nangong Ruoxian and Fan Yen realize these 5 are not heading for ordinary golden cores at all. Fan Yen asks the dangerous question outright, wondering if Lin Xian even chose the grade of the golden cores they are about to form. Lin Xian does not deny it, and that is enough for Fan Yen to excitedly beg him to become the Fan family's ancestor and mass-produce upper-grade golden core experts. Lin Xian answers by slamming his tail into the place Fan Yen was standing, forcing Fan Yen to dodge away as a streak of light and finally shut up for a moment. Nangong Ruoxian falls silent too, because she had the same thought, but Lin Xian's value is now so terrifying that even the ancestral temple would have to fear the karma behind him. The merged tribulation cloud swells past 10,000 miles, darkening much of Tianyuan Prefecture and making distant onlookers wonder if another great realm tribulation has appeared. The fused tribulation cloud finally swells to 18,000 miles, then the real golden core lightning starts hammering all 5 Lin family members at once. Lin Zhongba turns the tribulation into a trick performance, opening a tobacco pouch and catching bolts of lightning inside it before absorbing the power back into himself. Lin Xunqian is even more outrageous, raising 1,000 zhang illusory sword above his head and feeding the tribulation into it to temper his own sword intent. Lin Ran has it easiest of all, sitting cross-legged in the air while one of Lin Xian's white scales expands above her and blocks the tribulation for her. The onlookers can only stare in envy, because Lin Ran is not really fighting heaven at all, she is simply sheltered by a treasure they know must have come from Lin Xian. Lin Xiuqi turns brutal instead of clever, using the golden core body Lin Xian reinforced for him to charge straight into the thunder and temper himself head-on. Only Lin Shanhai looks like a normal cultivator, desperately stacking defensive spells while the heavenly thunder burns him black. Seeing Lin Shanhai suffer normally almost comforts the crowd, because finally one member of the Lin family still looks understandable. Even Lin Xian notices how unfair this looks and briefly wonders whether, as their ancestor, he should help Lin Shanhai cheat a little too. Before he can act, Fan Yen shamelessly returns and tries another bargain, this time asking Lin Xian to hand over Lin Zhongba and Lin Xunqian in exchange for soul formation resources. Fan Yen is not joking anymore, because from what he sees, Lin Zhongba and Lin Xunqian are both displaying terrifying signs of people who have touched the Tao far too early. To Fan Yan's trained eye, Lin Zhongba is not just using odd techniques, he is already brushing against embryonic Tao power at a stage where that should be impossible. Lin Xunqian looks just as impossible, because he is refining real sword intent inside Golden Core Tribulation even though one mistake could ruin his entire path. What keeps him steady is not just confidence in himself, but quiet trust that Lin Xian can still save him if the gamble goes wrong. Nangong Ruoxian says nothing, but this trip with the Lin family has already blown apart her old sense of what true genius looks like. With her divine eyes, Nangong Ruoxian briefly sees an illusory seed inside each of the 5 Lin family members before heavens will blurs the vision away again. That glimpse convinces her the seed is the key, and the trail of that mystery leads straight back to Lin Xian. By the end of it, Nangong Ruoxian is certain of one thing: in her 300 years of cultivation, Lin Xian is the most mysterious cultivator she has ever seen. While the 5 Lin cultivators face tribulation in the distance, Lin Xian questions Fan Yen about dragging Lin Xunqian and Lin Zhongba into the Fang family. Fan Yen grins and says the Fang family accepts plenty of outsiders, and his real plan is simple: marry the 2 Lin men into the clan so they become family for good. Lin Xian immediately points out the awkward part: Lin Zhongba is already 109 years old, so are there really young women willing to marry him? Fan Yen brushes that off and argues that in cultivation families, strength and potential matter far more than age, especially once Golden Core extends a lifespan to 500 years. That makes Lin Xian realize he still instinctively thinks of Lin Zhongba as an old man, even though long-lived cultivators do not see age that way. Then Lin Xian glances back at Fan Yen and realizes this shameless guy is probably at least twice Lin Zhongba's age himself. When Fan Yen eagerly asks if that means yes, Lin Xian warns him not to aim any schemes at the Lin family, and tells him to stop calling him Big Brother. Fan Yen immediately nods and answers, "Alright, Big Brother," proving he plans to ignore that part too. Lin Xian drops the argument, and he and Fan Yen quietly watch the last stretch of the Lin family's combined tribulation. 2 hours later, the terrifying cloud finally breaks apart, and all 5 Lin family members complete their breakthrough into Golden Core. Outsiders can only stare at the aftermath and guess from the monstrous tribulation that more than one of those new Golden Cores must be high grade. Lin Xian, however, sees the real results at a glance and smiles because the outcome is almost exactly what he expected. The biggest shock is Lin Zhongba, who condenses a heavenly Dao Golden Core after already touching an 8 Dao intent. Lin Xunxian follows with a 9th rank Golden Core, his sword intent, Dao Heart, and Deep Foundation all paying off at once. Lin Ran reaches an 8th rank Golden Core, her strong spiritual roots and dual spiritual bodies proving more than enough. Lin Xiuqi forms a 7th rank Golden Core, but Lin Xian knows the divine and demonic power in his body held him back from going even higher. Lin Shanhai lands at 6th rank, solid but clearly the lowest among the 5. Once they gather together in the sky, all 5 respectfully bow to Lin Xian and thank their grand ancestor for making this possible. Far away in Luo Shindao, Tu Chi and Luo Xingji replay what happened in Renhuai County, and are still shaken by what Lin Xian just did. Luo Xingji asks bluntly whether even Tu Chi could help someone break into Golden Core and shape a high-grade core the way Lin Xian does. Tu Chi snaps that helping someone break into Golden Core is possible with enough resources, but Lin Xian does it almost effortlessly, which means he must be hiding a huge secret. He adds that even top temple powers would need decades of direct nurturing and rare opportunities to produce high-quality Golden Cores, not a casual thought from a distance. That leaves Luo Xingji with the same conclusion: whatever Lin Xian is hiding, it is far beyond normal cultivation logic. Tu Chi cuts off any more talk about Lin Xian and shifts to the more urgent threat, saying Chu Mo's final words before death were probably not random at all. When Luo Xingji asks if that means Chu Mo was a traitor, Tu Chi says yes, and he already started digging into Chu Mo and his master, Dao Lord Shiti. The investigation turns ugly fast. Dao Lord Shiti vanished 300 years ago, and all 12 of his other disciples disappeared during the same period. Realizing something huge is brewing, Tu Chi orders the Luo family and the Demon Resistance Hall to search the entire Luo Shindao together until they find Shiti. Luo Xingji nods without hesitation, because if someone wants to wreck the Luo family's home territory, the Luo family will move even faster than the temple. The story shifts to Baoshan Prefecture, where the earlier heavenly tribulation has turned the whole region into a blessed land packed with spiritual energy and opportunities. That sudden prosperity draws in cultivators from every surrounding nation until the prefecture now holds more than 1 million of them. Hidden inside an enormous secret realm choked with black gas, a middle-aged man in purple stands before a 10,000-meter spatial crack and calmly says his 300-year plan is almost done. Then his face turns cold as he senses trouble outside and curses Chu Mo for being too useless to even secure one county. A wider look reveals the true horror of the secret realm. 12 nascent soul corpses arranged around the crack as sacrifices for a massive formation. The truth comes out. This man is Dao Lord Shiti, Chu Mo's master, and he has been hiding the cross-continental rift for 300 years. Long ago, Shiti found the tiny crack by accident, and everything changed when a being from the other side calling himself Emperor Lu started speaking to him. Shiti learns the rift links 2 different continents across the Starry Sea, which is a discovery so huge it should have gone straight to the ancestral temple. At first Shiti intends to report it, but Emperor Lu offers something far more poisonous: help open the rift, and he will gain a heavenly Dao contract and a path to much higher realms. For a cultivator with talent but no backing, that offer hits his deepest weakness, because the temple could at best push him to soul formation peak, not beyond it. In the end, Shiti chooses ambition over humanity, and signs the covenant with the Zhang clan's heavenly Dao. Using a spatial treasure from Emperor Lu, he builds this hidden secret realm around the crack so no one can find the passage between the 2 clan continents. Over the next 300 years, he slowly widens the crack from a few meters to 10,000 meters, even sacrificing all 12 of his own disciples to do it. He keeps Chu Mo alive as a useful spy, which makes his earlier death look even worse in Shiti's eyes. Then the recent heavenly tribulation over Baoshan Prefecture nearly ruins everything, because Shiti has to suppress it to keep his secret realm from being exposed. The tribulation's blessings attract even more cultivators into Baoshan, which only raises the chance that some nascent soul expert might accidentally uncover the rift. That is why Shiti sent Chu Mo to seize control of Baoshan Prefecture fast enough to drive outsiders away, and why he is furious the plan failed. Still, Shiti decides those setbacks no longer matter, because the passage is now stable and only one final step remains. From inside the crack, Emperor Lu's cold voice lays out the real invasion plan. In another month and a half, billions of lives will be sacrificed to secure the passage on Shiti's side. With blood-soul power, they plan to fool the ancestral formation over Luo God Dao and open the way for masses of Unity Realm invaders. Emperor Lu goes even further, saying Luo God Dao can be slaughtered in under 6 hours and then used as the launching point to swallow the whole human continent. Shiti hesitates for just a heartbeat, fully aware that this makes him humanity's destroyer. Then his greed wins completely, and he decides that if all humanity dies but he climbs higher, that is still a price worth paying. Half a month passes outside, and even after the chaos settles, more and more cultivators keep pouring into Manhwa County instead of leaving it alone. By now the Lin family name has spread everywhere, and even second rank and higher forces are coming in person with gifts before the family relocates. Then the actual departure begins, and the whole of Manhwa County suddenly shakes under a single overwhelming force. Above Azure Mountain, Lin Xian reveals a monstrous million-meter serpent body, coils across the sky, and wraps his tail around the mountain itself. With impossible ease, he uproots the Thousand-Jiang mountain whole, turning an old legend about moving mountains into something everyone can see with their own eyes. In Manhwa Town, even ordinary scholars and commoners are left thrilled and speechless, because this is the kind of feat they only knew from books. The cultivators watching from the sky are no less stunned, because to them this still feels like witnessing a real immortal's miracle. Lin Xian carries the mountain across Manhwa County and pauses over the spirit pool behind Qingfeng Town, the first place he ever visited here. After a brief look, he decides to leave that spirit pool behind as a final piece of goodwill to the place where his story began. Then Lin Xian fully tears free from Manhwa County and departs with the entire mountain, leaving the county staring after the vanished Lin family stronghold. Inside Azure Heaven Market, people can barely process that they just watched a family go from Qi condensation to golden core power in only half a year. Near Tianyuan Pavilion, Shi Ruishan sighs over the Lin family's rise, while Shi Hao stands beside him full of regret for missing his chance to build ties with them. Shi Hao now understands too late that if he had befriended the Lin disciples when his grandfather laid the path for him, his future in the sect could have been much smoother. Back in the market, more people talk through what just happened and admit the Lin family is no longer just rising, it has already become a force others need to court. One cultivator bitterly regrets not joining when the Lin family was recruiting, because now everyone can see that following them early would have changed a life. A smug white-haired elder adds inside information from his son-in-law in the Lin family. Nine Peaks sect bought back the entire Manhwa County territory for 8 million spirit stones. That number stuns everyone, not because Manhwa County was worth so little, but because superior sects almost never compensate a force this generously when it leaves. Another cultivator explains why the sect paid. After weeks of visitors from strong outside forces, even a fool can see that now is the time to stay on the Lin family's good side. That talk pushes 1/9 layer Qi condensation young man to a decision, and he suddenly blurts out that he is moving too. Under everyone's strange looks, he clarifies that he wants to leave Manhwa County and head all the way to Baoshan Prefecture, because he believes staying close to the Lin family means opportunity. He says plainly that he refuses to spend his whole life stuck in Qi condensation and wants to gamble on a place where he might actually rise higher. A foundation establishment cultivator warns him that the road to Baoshan is long and brutal, and for someone at his level the trip could take months and end in death. The warning is honest, but it does not shake him at all. Without arguing back, the young cultivator simply turns and walks toward the Lin family direction, starting his own stubborn journey after them. In Hongshan County, the Lin family rushed to gather every branch member after learning they shared blood with Azure Heaven Mountain's rising Lin family. The response was explosive, and in just half a month more than 1 million returning clansmen came home to join the move. By the time the preparations were done, over 2 million Lin clansmen were ready to relocate, thrilled that their descendants might now enter a true golden core family. The news also dragged in tens of thousands of outside cultivators, who crowded around Hongshan County to watch what the famous Lin family would do next. Then the sky exploded with pressure as Lin Xian's colossal white serpent body swept over Hongshan County and nearly blotted out the heavens. The white serpent's shadow and aura spread so far that all of Yanyao Prefecture seemed to go still beneath him. Lowering his giant head over Hongshan County, Lin Xian asked Lin Hongtu if the relocation was ready. Lin Hongtu and the other Lin cultivators were so stunned by their grand ancestor's true scale that they could barely answer him. Snapping back to himself, Lin Hongtu hurriedly reported that every clansman had already been gathered in Hongshan County. Once he confirmed no one was missing, Lin Xian spread his spiritual power across the entire county to move it in one piece. With earth-shaking force, he lifted the entire landmass of Hongshan County like a toy and set it onto his own colossal body. After one last check, Lin Xian carried the whole county away and sped toward Baoshan Prefecture, leaving everyone below staring in disbelief. At Yunyao Palace, Nangong Yunyao watched the white serpent leave, still simmering over that humiliating slap. Below her stood 12 uniformed peak nascent soul guards and the white-haired steward Nangong Shi, who had come from her family to bring her back. Still furious over being slapped away before, Nangong Yunyao asked old Shi to capture the white serpent for her revenge, promising she would go home if he did. Nangong Shi refused at once and revealed the real problem. Lin Xian was already on the Ancestral Temple's watch list, and even powerful core region families were forbidden to provoke him without reason. That warning instantly killed her revenge plan, and Nangong Yunyao flopped back into stubborn refusal, insisting she still would not return home and become a marriage tool. Nangong Shi was baffled, because he had actually come to clear up that exact misunderstanding. Nangong Yunyao angrily laid out the rumor she had believed for 30 years. Mu Yunyi arrived with betrothal gifts, so she concluded her father meant to marry her into the Mu family. She even proudly explained that she had fled immediately with a precious interdomain teleportation token before anyone could catch her. Nagongsher finally told her the truth. Her father had never intended to send her away and had actually slapped Mu Yunyi flying when he proposed. That left Nangong Yunyao staring blankly, because it meant she had spent 30 years running from a marriage that never existed. She still refused to believe him and argued that the Mu family had been searching for her all these years, which looked exactly like a runaway marriage hunt. Nagongsher patiently explained that her father had warned Mu Yun to keep her safe, so the Mu family searched only because they feared being blamed if anything happened to her. He pushed further and reminded her that a family like theirs could always find her if they truly wanted to, which made her realize she had never really been abandoned or hunted at all. For one brutal moment, Nangong Yunyao fully understood that her 30 years of fear and wandering had been driven by her own wild misunderstanding. Now angry for a new reason, she demanded why no one had bothered to explain this to her sooner. Nagongsher reluctantly sold out the old family head and admitted her grandfather had deliberately let her suffer a little to temper her pampered nature. That made her explode, and she immediately declared she was going home to settle accounts with the grandfather who had let her run around for 30 miserable years. But just as she was about to leave, Nagongsher stopped her and said she still had one task from the family. The task was simple in words but huge in stakes. Stay in the outer region and build a good relationship with Lin Xian, because helping him might become the Nangong family's chance to rise to 9th rank. Instead of resisting, Nangong Yunyao's eyes lit up at once, because in her head this sounded less like a mission and more like fate dragging her back toward the arrogant white snake. She immediately recast the whole thing as noble family duty and announced that she would selflessly help by making that white snake submit to her. Before Nagongsher could stop the disaster forming in her head, Nangong Yunyao shot off after Lin Xian with reckless confidence. The story then shifted to Baoshan Prefecture, which had gone strangely quiet after the ancestral temple named someone else as its future master. That new master was the Lin family, which instantly left the 4 nascent soul forces fighting over Baoshan looking awkward and frustrated. Most smaller forces pulled out to avoid offending the incoming owner, but the real nascent soul powers refused to leave. Then Lin Xian finally arrived, his gigantic white serpent body hissing across the sky as the future master of Baoshan Prefecture came in person. Watching from below, local cultivators immediately sensed that Baoshan was about to become very lively, because this owner had not come as a weak golden core mascot. One newcomer asked why there would be trouble at all if the ancestral temple had already handed Baoshan Prefecture to the Lin family. The local cultivator explained that Baoshan's real problem was greed, because the prefecture was now overflowing with mines, spirit fields, and secret realms too valuable for major sects to give up. He spelled out the standoff clearly. 3 nascent soul forces had quietly seized the best resource points while carefully leaving the old Baoduan Palace and Baolin Mountain range untouched as face-saving territory for the Lin family. Baolin Mountain itself was still a treasure mountain, packed with hundreds of spirit veins and spiritual energy so dense it could even condense into rain. The listener finally saw the scheme. The nascent soul sects had left the Lin family the name of Baoshan's master while quietly keeping the richest profits for themselves. With the nascent soul forces setting the example, a few smaller factions also lingered at scattered resource sites, gambling that the Lin family could not punish everyone at once. After reaching the skies above Baoshan Prefecture, Lin Xian deliberately slows down and surveys his future territory like it already belongs to him. Outside the drifting 4th rank Boundless Profound Realm, Moin Sect and Sea Emperor Palace cultivators stare up in unease, and Elder Feng Wuheng feels Lin Xian's pressure like a towering nascent soul threat. Feng Wuheng quietly questions whether the sect is making a huge mistake, but the people around him are already too greedy to listen. A blue-robed Sea Emperor Palace cultivator laughs off Lin Xian as just a giant snake and boasts that his own palace lord kills bigger beasts without effort. Moin Sect elders press Feng Wuheng harder, arguing that opening the realm could feed the sect for a century, and even give peak golden core elders like him a shot at nascent soul. Feng Wuheng falls silent because his instincts are screaming that defying the ancestral temple and taking advantage of this chaos will end badly. The 3 major forces have already divided Baoshan's best spoils, including secret realms, spirit veins, and a rumored natural spirit beast, and the beast master side is especially hungry for more. After splitting the resources, the 3 nascent soul factions even sign an alliance, planning to face the Lin family's retaliation together. They also think they've protected themselves politically, because they left the richest Baolin Mountain range untouched and assumed the ancestral temple will never care enough to intervene personally. Their final fallback is even uglier. If things go bad, they plan to hand over most of the profits to bigger backers and trust those higher powers to choose benefits over the still young Lin family. From their point of view the plan is flawless, but they have made one fatal mistake. They chose to gamble against Lin Xian. Elsewhere inside a small secret realm, Dao Lord Shiti watches Lin Xian through a space rift and admits he cannot see what this snake really is. Emperor Lu checks for himself, and even across the spatial tunnel he still cannot read Lin Xian's cultivation or true background. What Emperor Lu can tell is bad enough. Lin Xian is using an ancient law incarnation ability and carries the bloodline aura of the swallowing heaven divine python. Even so, Emperor Lu dismisses Lin Xian as only a nascent soul monster for now and casually promises to have future Unity Realm experts capture him once their side fully descends. Shiti turns back to the black, corrupted space rift, and quietly confirms the real danger is close, because in one more month their Unity Realm force should descend for real. Back in the open sky, Lin Xian glances toward a branch of the Monster Mountain range and finds it ordinary at first glance, aside from a few demon beasts and a newly advanced nascent soul monster. Then 2 sudden system warnings hit him in a row, telling him that a hostile soul formation Dao Lord is watching him, and that an even stronger being is also staring his way. That second warning finally rattles Lin Xian, because he knows his hidden card should already let him face nascent soul and even soul formation threats. Without slowing down, he starts thinking hard about the possibility of an even higher level enemy, and realizes he has gotten too comfortable while being invincible lately. Lin Xian hardens his resolve on the move, gets stronger fast, swallow Rainbow Maiden, seize Baoshan Prefecture, and force the Lin family up to Golden Core Force status. He makes it a hard deadline in his own mind. Within 1 month, he must break through to soul formation. 15 minutes later, Lin Xian reaches the old Baolian Palace Mountain Gate, where giant peaks, palace buildings, cloud bridges, and trapped spiritual mist show just how rich Baolin Mountain Range really is. Lin Xian judges that if this much spiritual energy keeps building for a few more years, the entire mountain range could turn into a true spiritual realm. Lin Ran steps up beside him, stunned by the sight, and asks if this is the former mountain gate of Baolian Palace. Before Lin Xian can settle in, a fast-rising aura approaches from behind, and he turns to find Nangong Yunyao coming straight at him again. Lin Xian's tail twitches like he's about to swat her away again, and Nangong Yunyao hurriedly blurts out that she did not come to start trouble this time. She quickly explains that the dispute with her family has been settled as a misunderstanding and promises not to bring any trouble to Lin Xian or the Lin family. To prove it, Nangong Yunyao privately transmits the embarrassing details to him instead of saying them out loud. Lin Xian is left speechless by how reckless her earlier behavior really was, but he still asks what she actually wants now. Nangong Yunyao says she wants to be friends and claims she used her family's reach to dig up major intelligence about Baoshan Prefecture that would be a huge gain for him. Lin Xian's eyes sharpen because he immediately wonders if she has found the same hidden problem tied to that suspicious mountain range. Seeing that reaction, Nangong Yunyao gets smug and says she will tell him everything if he first apologizes for slapping her away with his tail. Lin Xian does not play along at all and simply turns toward the Baolin mountain range, making it clear she can talk or stay quiet on her own. That cold response instantly cracks her pose, and Nangong Yunyao rushes after him complaining that she worked hard to uncover this information. In the end she gives in and tells him the truth anyway. The 3 nascent soul factions in Baoshan have secretly carved up the prefecture and prepared to resist the Lin family together. Lin Xian is not impressed by the secret itself, but the moment he hears a few nascent soul cultivators are openly making trouble for him, his mood turns cold. That reaction immediately settles the Lin family's nerves, because if their ancestor treats nascent soul enemies like this, they clearly are not the real threat. Lin Xiuqi still asks one careful question: are those 3 sects really not afraid the Demon Resistance Hall will wipe them out for this? Nangong Yunyao answers with noble family confidence that any sect surviving for over 1,000 years will always have hidden depth and backup plans. She even glances at Lin Hongtu to make the point that if the Lin family could build this much in 1,000 years, old nascent soul sects must be far deeper than they look. Then she explains the real insurance in their plan. Most valuable sect members already left Baoshan, and the ones still here are basically disposable pieces they can abandon if the gamble fails. In her view, the people who stay know this is a huge risk, but the chance to swallow Baoshan's resources is too tempting for them to resist anyway. Lin Xian does not care about all their clever arrangements, because to him every scheme is pointless if he can just crush it with enough power. He decides there is no reason to waste another moment, because what matters now is breaking through, taking Baoshan, and pushing the Lin family into true Golden Core Force status. Then Lin Xian unleashes his spiritual sense across all of Baoshan Prefecture and roars a brutal ultimatum at the Moin sect, see Emperor Palace, and 10,000 Beasts Pavilion. When Lin Xian finished his 3-breath ultimatum, all of Baoshan Prefecture went dead silent. Then 3 nascent soul cultivators stepped into the void together, clearly arriving as the sect's final answer. The Moin sect elder opened with a warning, acting like Lin Xian should be satisfied with the Baolin mountain range alone. The 10,000 Beasts Palace deputy played the smoother role and offered a delay, saying they would return everything only after the Lin family became a nascent soul force. The Sea Emperor Palace woman mocked him more openly and argued that old local factions already owned those spirit veins and mines. Lin Xian just smiled and called out their little routine for what it was: red face, white face, and middleman. Before they could keep posturing, Lin Xian's tail tore through the void and smashed toward them without another word. The 10,000 Beasts Palace deputy sneered back and instantly summoned 3 giant nascent soul demon beasts to block the strike. For one heartbeat the interception looked terrifying, with the giant Night Bright Bull, Scarlet Tiger, and Heavenly Peng all throwing themselves at Lin Xian's descending tail. Then black gold light flashed across Lin Xian's tail, and all 3 nascent soul beasts exploded on contact. 3 mushroom clouds rose over Baoshan, and the blast shook millions of acres of land below. Even Lin Xian paused for a second, surprised that his body could unleash that much raw force so casually. The three nascent soul leaders froze in the smoky sky, their smug confidence collapsing into raw disbelief after one strike wiped out the beasts. The Sea Emperor Palace woman could barely believe it and blurted out the question everyone was thinking: how could a golden core beast do this? Inside the boundless secret realm, disciples from the Moin sect and Sea Emperor Palace could only stare with their mouths hanging open. In a hidden corner, Feng Wuheng finally accepted that the sects were finished and that staying would only bury him with them. He turned deeper into Beast Mountain and decided to leave both the sect and Baoshan Prefecture behind to seek his own nascent soul path in human territory. At the 10,000 Beasts Palace stronghold, elders and disciples were just as shaken because they knew exactly how strong those three beasts had been. One golden core elder broke first and shouted the conclusion aloud. This white snake had to be at the nascent soul peak. That guess spread fast, and many of them convinced themselves the Lin family had hidden Lin Xian's real strength on purpose to bait every enemy out. After hearing the panicked shouts below that Lin Xian was really at nascent soul pinnacle strength, the three leaders dropped their act and turned back to beg him for mercy. They promised to withdraw at once and even return what they had mined, as long as Lin Xian spared their lives. Lin Xian did not bargain at all, and 3 more explosions erased the 3 nascent soul true lords from the sky. By the next day, the result was obvious. The Lin family began moving to take all of Baoshan Prefecture for real. Lin Xiuqi, Lin Shanhai, Lin Xunxian, Lin Ran, and Lin Zhongba each led a separate force as more than 6,000 Lin cultivators split into 5 groups. The people around Baolin were not even surprised anymore, because after yesterday's slaughter everyone knew Baoshan had already changed hands. They could already imagine the story spreading through all 72 states and 1,200 prefectures of the Luo Xindao. One branch under Lin Xiuqi headed for the boundless secret realm with 11 foundation establishment cultivators, Lin Hongtu, and more than 1,000 Qi condensation members. Their target was a radiant cliff 1,200 kilometers from Baolin, the entrance to the boundless secret realm. When they saw the entrance standing empty, Lin Hongtu gave a cold laugh because the 2 sects had fled fast. Some of the Lin family still felt a sting over the resources the enemy had already carried off during these days. Lin Xiuqi calmed them down, saying the family could reclaim Baoshan now only because their ancestor was strong enough to make resistance pointless. He also reminded them that enemies could run today, but the Lin family would settle the account later when it grew even stronger. That confidence lit up the whole group, because in Baoshan province no one looked stronger than their ancestor anymore. Lin Xiuqi went further and pointed out that whatever had been stolen so far was only surface wealth compared to what still lay inside a 4th-rank secret realm. He understood exactly why every nascent soul force had rushed to fight over Baoshan, because heavenly tribulation had left this prefecture stacked with secret realms. Compared with ordinary territory that might not even have one profound realm, Baoshan was rich enough to drag half-step soul formation forces into a struggle. With the situation clear, the Lin family spread out, set formations around the entrance, and began entering the secret realm themselves. Left in the air above the entrance, Lin Xiuqi looked down at the endless profound land with open anticipation. The boundless secret realm had already been investigated, and what the Lin family knew made it priceless. Dense spiritual energy, spirit herbs, and rare elixirs everywhere. Like all profound realms, it could keep feeding a force for years, but this 4th-rank one was on a completely different level. Inside were major artifact materials too, including sky-opening stone, ketone iron, and red flame gold. 2 nascent soul cultivators had even found a medium-grade spirit stone mine worth around 30 million stones, enough to make nascent soul experts go mad. Just steadily mining that much wealth could keep a nascent soul force flourishing for 1,000 years. But the true specialty of the boundless secret realm was not the ore, it was the 4th-rank heavenly treasure at its core. At the center stood a 6,000-year divine tree that bloomed every 100 years and bore boundless fruits every 1,000. For Qi condensation cultivators, 100 fruits could force them straight to Foundation Establishment Peak and all but guarantee a strong golden core later. For Foundation Establishment cultivators, the fruits could sharply raise the quality and strength of their future golden core. For golden core experts, the fruits were even more tempting, because 3 of them could let a 9th refinement cultivator try for nascent soul. And according to the legend, swallowing 20 in succession could push someone directly into the nascent soul realm. Even nascent soul cultivators coveted them, because 100 fruits could break through 3 minor realms in one sweep. That meant an ordinary nascent soul cultivator could climb from early stage to the peak just by waiting for one fruit cycle and living long enough to use it. For top monsters that pace might not look impressive, but for average nascent soul cultivators it was practically another road to destiny. Floating over the entrance, Lin Xiuqi finally understood why the 3 major sects had gambled their survival for this realm. In that moment he reached the clearest conclusion yet. As long as a faction could hold one stable 4th-rank secret realm, time alone could raise it into a true 4th-rank power. At Falling Moon Mountain, Lin Xunxian brought a huge Lin family force to surround the newborn 4th-rank spiritual vein and lock down the whole area. But the Beast Palace had not fled at all, and their old Golden Core veterans stared back without a trace of fear. Lin Xunxian asked why they were still waiting to die after the Lin family had already crushed Baoshan Prefecture. The leading elder laughed it off and said they had nowhere left to go, so they would kill Lin family members here and force the Lin ancestor to feel the pain. Then the beast palace stopped talking and unleashed everything, calling out so many savage beasts that the sky turned into a living tide of fangs and claws. People watching from afar were stunned, because this no longer looked like resistance but a desperate escort mission from a force that feared something worse than the Lin family. As the beast palace army and its beast swarm charged, the Lin family rank stayed oddly calm and kept their eyes on Lin Xuanxian instead of the incoming attack. Lin Xuanxian only smiled, rested a hand on his sword, and prepared to answer the entire charge with a single move. His sword flashed so brightly that it lit up thousands of miles, and when everyone could see again, the beast palace force had simply vanished. The Lin family recognized the move at once as the immortal slaying 9 forms, the sword art Lin Xuanxian had created himself and never shown before. To them, that one strike already answered the question of its power, because it looked strong enough to sever even a nascent soul. Their amazement quickly turned into family bragging, with some saying even Lin Zhongba might lose to Lin Xuanxian now. Others argued that Lin Zhongba still hid too many cards, and the talk naturally climbed back to the same conclusion as always. Lin Xian was the real monster behind them all. That led to a much more practical bit of envy, because everyone knew Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong had won Lin Xian's favor through Xuejiao and were already close to Golden Core. By the end of it, the younger Lin disciples were swearing that once they got home, they would study cooking and spiritual wine brewing as seriously as cultivation. Lin Xuanxian ignored all of that, because his Dao heart was warning him that something important was still hiding inside the core of Falling Moon Domain. He raised his sword again, and this time a massive blade image rose through the sky with sword intent so oppressive that every nearby creature froze in fear. Staring at the hidden core, Lin Xuanxian gave whatever was inside exactly 3 breaths to come out. Only then did everyone realize the battlefield had never truly been empty, because a hidden creature was forced into the open. A silver-white sphere floated into the sky and peeled apart to reveal a giant pung bird with a 100-meter wingspan. Lin Xuanxian immediately noticed the space ripples around its wings and understood this was no ordinary spirit beast. The pung bird also understood the danger, because its instincts screamed that Lin Xuanxian's sword would kill it before any escape could finish. Lin Xuanxian simply beckoned it over, and when it hesitated, he lowered his sword just enough to make the threat perfectly clear. A spatial flash later, the huge bird appeared obediently at his feet and moved fast to save its own life. Before Lin Xuanxian even acted, a formation lit up on the ping bird's back and wrapped him into a master-servant contract. When the light faded, everyone could feel that Lin Xuanxian and the ping bird now shared one connected aura. Lin Xuanxian had only wanted a closer look, so the bird's shamelessly practical surrender caught even him off guard. Still doubting whether such a slippery creature really controlled space, Lin Xuanxian let the ping bird prove it for itself. The next instant, the ping bird carried him 3,000 kilometers away and answered that doubt in the most direct way possible. The bird screeched proudly after the jump, openly demanding that Lin Xuanxian admit how wrong he had been. Lin Xuanxian was impressed enough to decide on the spot that this divine bird would make a perfect gift for Lin Xian. That thought nearly made the ping bird explode, because it had just submitted to one master and was already being talked about like tribute. The instant the ping bird's complaint crossed the line into insulting Lin Xuanxian smashed it out of the sky without a pause. The giant bird crashed hard enough to blast out a deep crater, and Lin Xuanxian's face went completely cold above it. He warned the bird that insulting his ancestor was a death sentence, even if killing it meant suffering backlash from the contract. The ping bird came back up furious and confused, but one look at Lin Xuanxian was enough to make it swallow every complaint. Lin Xuanxian offered no explanation at all, brought the bird back through Falling Moon Domain, and then headed straight for the Baolin mountain range. Elsewhere in Baoshan Prefecture, Lin Zhongba led another Lin force to seize the 9 third-rank secret realms one after another. The 7 realms abandoned by the 3 major sects fell smoothly, because nobody there was foolish enough to stay and die. Only the 2 jointly developed realms caused trouble, because the 5 golden core sects still wanted to bargain for compensation. Lin Zhongba ended those negotiations with one strike by killing the sect leaders, and after that the entire takeover became effortless again. At the same time, Lin Ran was moving through the prefecture to absorb the rest of Baoshan's scattered resources beyond just the major spirit veins. Lin Shanhai handled the political side, meeting Baoshan's existing factions as the Lin family's official voice. His message was blunt: they could keep the resources they already held, but from now on they answered to the Lin family. The price of staying was simple too, because their yearly tribute doubled to 4.4%, and they would have to answer the Lin family when called. Lin Shanhai also started screening the newcomers pouring into Baoshan, looking for groups worth keeping under Lin protection. For the right people, the Lin family was willing to offer settlement resources like spiritual veins and realms, because ruling Baoshan meant building it, not just stripping it bare. That whole policy came straight from Lin Xian, and the Lin family carried it out without hesitation as they began remaking Baoshan Prefecture under their rule. At Heavenly Reflection Lake, the biggest spiritual lake in Baoshan Prefecture, the Lin family has already turned the lakeshore into Lin Xian's new home. To feed him properly, the Lin family prepares an absurd feast with thousands of grills, hundreds of demon beasts, and giant barrels of spirit wine all working at once. This is not a casual meal either, The family is pouring out top-grade food and aged spirit wine because Lin Xian's body burns through resources on an outrageous level. After draining a jar of spirit wine, Lin Xian feels his golden core tighten further while the leftover medicinal power is instantly refined into divine power. He judges that his golden core foundation is already so strong that pushing it too far would even waste the golden core rainbow maiden he still plans to use. Looking over the mountain of food and wine, Lin Xian estimates all of it together would only fill about 1/10 of his divine sea. He reflects on just how broken the gods' and demons' art is, with even its early divine power far stronger than the cultivation realm it is supposedly matched to. By the fourth refinement, his body alone has become monstrous enough that even soul formation experts should not be able to withstand it. That is why the nascent soul cultivators from the three sects were helpless yesterday. Lin Xian barely used any real strength at all. For the fifth refinement, though, brute force is not enough anymore. He first has to completely fill his divine sea and merge it into something 100 times larger. Right now, he only has about 100 strands inside that sea, and he estimates the next step needs at least 1,000,000 strands of divine power. Even so, Lin Xian is not rattled, because raising something this close to an immortal was always going to devour terrifying resources. He remembers that when the Lin family first entered Baolin mountain range, the spiritual energy was so dense it made them suffer spiritual poisoning instead of helping them. So Lin Xian used swallowing heavens to siphon off 2/3 of the mountain range's excess spiritual energy, and turned it into more than 30,000 strands of divine power. By his estimate, the mountain can safely feed him about 100 strands a day, which means a normal breakthrough pace of 20 to 30 years. But now that the Lin family is plundering the resource-rich Baoshan prefecture, he believes those same decades might be compressed into just a few months. His quiet calculation ends when he suddenly senses someone returning to the mountain range. A silver light flashes over Heavenly Reflection Lake, and Lin Xian's first instinct is to swat it out of the sky. Lin Xian shouts in time, and the giant tail stops with death only a short distance from the silver pung. The silver pung takes in the giant white snake and the lakeside feast of Foundation establishment beasts, then panics and decides Lin Xian brought him here to be roasted as food. When the pung looks to Lin Xian for reassurance, Lin Xian only gives him a smile that somehow makes the whole thing feel even more real. The silver pung's heart sinks on the spot, convinced Lin Xian really dragged him here to be roasted beside Lin Xian's mountain of grills. Desperate to save itself, the silver pung instantly decides to ditch Lin Xian and escape alone. It vanishes with a spatial hum, but Lin Xian barely reacts, almost looking forward to what happens next. A heartbeat later, space twists right in front of Lin Xian, and the runaway ping is dumped back before him anyway. Knowing it is trapped, the bird instantly switches to shameless flattery and greets Lin Xian like a respectful performer asking if his trick was pleasing. Even Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong crack up at how shameless the silver ping is being. Lin Xian turns to Lin Xian for an explanation, and Lin Xian solemnly says this bird came from the falling moon domain and should be a legendary spirit beast with awakened divine powers. He adds that the bird also has spatial talent, so he brought it back as a gift for Lin Xian to keep as a pet or roast as he pleases. Then Lin Xian twists the knife by saying the bird already signed a master-servant contract with him, so Lin Xian should help them first and roast it afterward because it talked badly about him. The silver pung is furious, thinking Lin Xian is malicious enough to drag him straight into a pot after hiding how terrifying this grand ancestor really is. So the bird desperately pleads with Lin Xian instead, insisting that if it had known who he was, it would have chosen him as master from the start. It also blurts out the real problem. The bloodline contract is from the Silver Pung clan, so it cannot be broken, and if the bird dies, Lin Xian's future gets damaged too. Lin Xian does not get angry at all. The bird's non-stop chatter just amuses him. With a thought, Lin Xian checks the bird's information and sees its strange self-introduction, listing itself as Kong and even claiming uncle as a title. The next reveal shocks even Lin Xian a little. This silver ping is only 4 months old and already at mid-foundation establishment. Lin Xian quickly realizes the bird was never fragile to begin with, because a creature born to master space would start life far above ordinary cultivators. He even senses the little pung grew up underfed, and if not for the accident at birth, it might have entered life already at golden core level. Lin Xian stops joking and directly asks Kong Xiaolu how much control over space he actually has right now. Instead of answering right away, the bird freezes because Lin Xian somehow knows the private name his mother only spoke once at his birth. That shock pulls up the memory of his birth, when his badly wounded mother hid him in a spatial lair and fled to draw a powerful enemy away. A spatial storm swallowed the newborn after that, and by pure chance it dropped him into Baoshan Prefecture instead of killing him. Lin Xian brushes off the question with a simple answer. If he wants to know something, he will know it. The bird finally answers honestly, admitting that at mid-foundation establishment he only grasps the surface of space but can still control spatial power, jump short distances, and wrap himself in a layer that ignores divine sense below nascent soul. Even while bragging, Kong Xiao cannot help muttering that this rule clearly does not apply to freaks like Lin Xian. The bird still cannot get over the fact that Beast Palace hunters failed to find him for months, yet Lin Xuanxian sensed him anyway because his Dao heart was already absurdly advanced. After hearing all that, Lin Xian teases him again and dryly asks whether that means he is basically useless to him. Kong Xiaolu hears only one word in that sentence, useless, and instantly translates it as barbecue. So he throws away the last of his dignity, flutters around Lin Xian, and desperately pitches his own beauty as a reason to keep him alive as a pet. Lin Xian accepts the Silver Wing Peng's contract with Lin Xuanxian and tells the bird to follow him out into the cultivation world instead of making more trouble here. When Lin Xuanxian tries to say more, Lin Xian cuts him off and says the best repayment is to keep building the Lin family, because the family urgently needs capable people. The Peng bird happily agrees even faster than Lin Xuanxian does, already calling Lin Xian grand ancestor as it drags its new master away. As they leave, the bird loudly complains that Lin Xuanxian almost roasted him alive, swears he will surpass a human cultivator someday, and gets smacked for talking too much. Back at the lake, Lin Xian laughs and sees the noisy divine beast as the kind of lucky companion only a true favored protagonist would get. Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong stare after Lin Xuanxian with obvious envy, realizing their own rare luck looks small next to a cousin who just gained a divine beast partner. Lin Xian silently judges that these two are already far luckier than most Lin family juniors, even if they still feel unsatisfied. Then Lin Xian shifts his divine sense into his private space and checks on the Rainbow Maiden, who now stands there in a rainbow dress with a pure aura and nearly restored cultivation. He notes that she has already reached late foundation establishment, and should soon return to Golden Core, while coldly viewing her recovery as preparation for his own future breakthrough. A tremor outside interrupts him, and Lin Xian pulls his attention back just as Nan Gong Yunyao descends from the sky in a fitted white dress, looking very pleased with herself. When Lin Xian immediately asks about the information he wanted, Nan Gong Yunyao lifts her chin and smugly acts like he should ask properly first. Lin Xian answers that attitude by trapping Nan Gong Yunyao in his divine sense and lifting her into the air as if he is about to drop her into the lake to cool her off. That rough teasing hits her far harder than he expects, and Nan Gong Yunyao turns red from neck to ears while hurriedly begging him to stop. Lin Xian sets her down once she surrenders, but his confusion only makes Nan Gong Yunyao more embarrassed when he asks why she is blushing so badly. Muttering that this ugly snake has terrible manners, Nan Gong Yunyao finally gives her report and says the search for Dao Lord Shiti is real. She explains that a soul formation expert called Dao Lord Shiti came to Luo God Dao, and both the Luo family and the Demon Resistance Hall have been hunting for him. The reward is huge too. Anyone who can give solid information on Shiti can earn Water of Life, a soul formation treasure that can add 1,000 years to a cultivator's lifespan. Even with that reward on the table, Shiti has stayed missing for half a month, and some people think he either left long ago or died in a ruin 300 years back. She adds one more clue with a playful look. Rewards were also posted for Shiti's disciples, but there are only 12 names on the list instead of 13. Lin Xian answers at once that the missing disciple must be true Lord Chu Mo, the nascent soul cultivator he killed earlier in Renhua County. Once that link clicks, Lin Xian also realizes the hidden watcher from the mountains that day was almost certainly Dao Lord Shiti himself. He asks Shiti's cultivation level next, and Nan Gong Yunyao says the man is only at mid-soul formation. When she asks if Shiti offended him, Lin Xian calmly confirms it, making it clear the man aimed hostile intent at his territory. That answer excites Nan Gong Yunyao, and she eagerly offers to call in stronger help for free as long as Lin Xian treats her better from now on. Lin Xian smiles at her half-sunder bargaining and tests her offer by asking whether she can summon a great ascension ancestor. Nan Gong Yunyao is baffled because a mid-soul formation enemy should be easy work for Unity Realm experts, not something that needs a great ascension giant. But Lin Xian sticks to caution because the system's warning about hidden limits is still on his mind, so he decides not to lean on powers she cannot fully bring over. Instead, he gives her a precise job: tell the Luo family and the Demon Resistance Hall that Dao Lord Shiti is hiding in Baoshan Prefecture. His plan is to let those two peak soul formation powers kill Shiti first and also expose whatever stronger force might be backing him from the shadows. Nan Gong Yunyao pouts at being denied the chance to bring in stronger experts, especially after Lin Xian already bullied her once today. Lin Xian turns stern and warns her not to act on her own, because this matter is too important for reckless improvisation. Seeing he truly means it, Nan Gong Yunyao agrees and decides to carry the message herself so the Luo family and Demon Resistance Hall will actually take it seriously. Lin Xian watches her leave again and can only hope the plan does not go wrong while he returns to quietly eating spirit wine and grilled meat by the lake. Half a month passes, and under 5 golden cores, hundreds of foundation establishment cultivators, and thousands of helpers, the Lin family finally brings all of Baoshan Prefecture under control. The new territory is enormous, with 103 counties scattered across millions of square kilometers, so distance is a burden for mortals but only a few hours of travel for cultivators. At the heart of the prefecture, 360 major human cities stand under a linked protective formation that can resist a late nascent soul threat when billions of human souls are at risk. Meanwhile, the Lin clan's 2 million mortal blood relatives settle into the vast Balian mountain range, where organized martial training spreads through the new settlements in hopes a few will eventually step onto the immortal path. Rich spiritual energy makes Hotian and innate breakthroughs common there, but Grand Master and Heaven Realm still depend on personal insight, so even a few true standouts would be a major gain for the family. During the same half-month, the Lin family keeps sending most of Baoshan Prefecture's harvested resources toward Heavenly Reflection Lake because everyone can tell their grand ancestor needs them badly right now. All of that intake fills half of Lin Xian's God and Demon Sea, building up 500,000 strands of power, and leaving even him unsure how terrifying his full body strength has become. Even so, Nangong Yunyao still has not returned after half a month, and Lin Xian starts wondering how much longer he should wait. Then a streak of golden light finally cuts across the sky, and Lin Xian catches the signaling charm before it can pass him. The message explains why she is delayed. The 2 peak soul formation cultivators were searching the far north of Luo God Dao, and even after hearing the news they still need 10 days to half a month to reach Baoshan. That answer leaves Lin Xian at a crossroads, because he has already waited long enough and Rainbow Maiden inside his system space has fully recovered to the 3rd Revolution Golden Core. He remembers that it has already been half a month since he declared he would break through to Nascent Soul within 1 month, and he finally decides he will not wait any longer. Lin Xian decides his Nascent Soul breakthrough cannot wait any longer, and he turns his attention to the fully recovered Rainbow Maiden, trusting the soul formation experts will notice this mountain range themselves when they finally arrive. Rainbow Maiden wakes inside the system space and finally understands the truth. The terrifying white serpent Lin Xian plans to use her to break into the nascent soul realm. Lin Xian steadies himself and gets ready to swallow her, treating this as the natural fate of a heavenly spirit. Instead of waiting to be eaten, Rainbow Maiden suddenly turns into a 7-colored streak and shoots straight at Lin Xian's head. Lin Xian could stop her easily, but neither his instincts nor the system warns him, so he pauses and watches to see what this desperate little spirit is trying. Rainbow Maiden dives into Lin Xian's mind, and outside, Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong can only stare as Grand Ancestor allows it to happen. Inside his consciousness, Lin Xian realizes too late that Rainbow Maiden's survival move is soul fusion, the one thing that really can shake him. The pleasure and direct impact of soul contact hits thousands of times harder than the physical kind, and Lin Xian finally understands why so many people hunt heavenly spirits like her. Because Rainbow Maiden willingly accepts the fusion, her power pours straight into Lin Xian's soul with almost no waste, enough in theory to launch a cultivator from Foundation Establishment all the way toward nascent soul. After enduring the fusion, Lin Xian bluntly tells Rainbow Maiden this still is not enough for him, because what he truly wants is the deeper essence of heaven and earth hidden inside her. At that moment, Lin Xian swallowing heaven's bloodline moves on its own and starts dragging an even purer power out of Rainbow Maiden's depths. The extracted essence sends Lin Xian's soul's strength surging like an eruption, and the combined ecstasy nearly drowns his focus. As his soul swells, Lin Xian's great Dao golden core also grows violent, cracks spreading across it as his breakthrough pressure climbs fast. Back at Heavenly Reflection Lake, Lin Huaishu and Lin Xiong watch the sleeping white serpent radiate a crushing pressure that nearly swallows the whole area. Lin Xian's already monstrous body keeps growing by the 1,000 meters, making it obvious to Lin Huaishu that Grand Ancestor is really pushing toward nascent soul. Realizing the stakes, Lin Huaishu hands Lin Xiong control of the mountain formations and orders him to let no one near the lake, no matter who it is. Lin Huaishu heads out to alert the patriarch and pull back the whole clan, while Lin Xiong swears he will guard Grand Ancestor with his life. Over the next 3 days, Lin Xiuqi commits fully to defense and recalls every Lin family cultivator from spirit veins, secret realms, medicinal fields, and markets across Baoshan Prefecture. In the end, all 13,863 Lin family cultivators gather back at Baolin, abandoning every resource point just to shield Lin Xian's breakthrough. That huge movement quickly becomes public, and news spreads that the Lin family's grand ancestor is about to become a nascent soul powerhouse. The surrounding powers fall into an uneasy silence instead of attacking, with some already preparing gifts to congratulate Lin Xian if he succeeds. High above Baoshan, a terrifying group of visiting Dao Lords stops in the sky, with Nangong Yunyao the only golden core among a lineup of soul formation experts. Watching the formation below, Nangong Yunyao clicks her tongue in frustration that Lin Xian is breaking through so absurdly fast. Tu Chi presses her for confirmation, and Nangong Yunyao admits Lin Xian really did mention asking a great ascension ancestor for help, even if he rejected her own offer. Because they took that warning seriously, Tu Chi and Luo Xingji pulled in 9 half-step Supreme God Dao Lords and emergency reinforcements from nearly every nearby demon resistance hall. Even with 18 soul formation Dao Lords now present, Hua Haiwan still thinks all this fuss over one serpent crossing into nascent soul sounds excessive. Tu Chi only needs one reminder: this is the serpent connected to the ancestral temple's terrifying deduction backlash, and that instantly wipes the doubt off the other's faces. Another domain hall master still questions whether Lin Xian's one warning really justified gathering so many world-shaking experts. Tu Chi answers that Lin Xian already fights on a soul formation level, hides his true methods carefully, and might even be a reincarnated immortal powerhouse, so over-preparing is still safer than underestimating him. What Tu-Chi does not say out loud is that his own primordial spirit has been throbbing with danger ever since this started, warning him that something huge is coming. When another hall master suggests searching Baoshan immediately, Tu-Chi stops the move at once and says they still have one person left to wait for. Then Tu-Chi drops the real shock. Even this lineup is still waiting for the Mountain Lord of this world. That answer leaves the assembled Dao Lords staring at Tu-Chi like he has gone mad, because calling the Mountain Lord over this target sounds insane even to them. Tu-Chi's warning suddenly feels much bigger when everyone remembers what a Mountain Lord really is, the Ancestral Temple's envoy over an entire world, strong enough to borrow a domain's human destiny and fight like a great power. That is why the other hall masters were so alarmed, because calling a Mountain Lord without a true emergency could ruin their futures and get them exiled from power. Before anyone can argue more, a peerless woman in red descends from the sky, and all 18 Dao Lords fall silent. The assembled Dao Lords bow and greet her as Mountain Lord Woofing, making it clear that Tu-Chi really did summon the highest local authority. Even Nan Gongyunyao, who comes from an 8th rank family, treats Chan Hongi seriously, because a Mountain Lord's real value is not current rank but the terrifying future the Ancestral Temple expects from them. Chan Hongi immediately asks whether the white serpent below is the same existence Tu-Chi reported before, and then she looks down toward Balian Mountain Range herself. Her sight reaches toward Heavenly Reflection Lake, but the moment she tries to probe deeper, the normal landscape vanishes and something far more terrifying answers her. Instead of the lake, the vision shows a colossal white snake drifting through a starry sea, so vast that even the stars look like gravel beside it. Then the white snake turns and looks back through the vision, and that single glance hits the Mountain Lord like a nightmare made real. Back in the sky, Chan Hongi suddenly coughs up blood in front of everyone, proving that the backlash from spying on the Lin ancestor is brutally real. Shaken, Chan Hongi admits she does not dare look toward Heavenly Reflection Lake again and says even the Ancestral Temple's guess suddenly sounds possible. That thing may really be a reincarnated immortal level existence. The others can barely process it, because they saw the white serpent too and suffered nothing, so the gap between what they experienced and what happened to her feels absurd. Chan Hongi explains it bluntly. An ant can look at a dragon without consequence, but stronger cultivators trigger harsher backlash because they can actually threaten what they are peering at. She even says she should be grateful she is only at peak unity, because if she were stronger, that glance might have cost her far more than an injury. That answer leaves Tu-Chi and the others stunned, because if even they are too insignificant to count as a threat, then the Lin family's hidden ancestor is far beyond what they imagined. Chan Hongi then asks Tu-Chi one crucial question: did the person below really say a great ascension ancestor was needed? When Tu-Chi nods, still half dazed, Chan Hongi makes the call on the spot and decides to request a great ascension ancestor from the Ancestral Temple. In front of the stunned Dao Lords, she takes out the Mountain Lord's token and sends the request directly to the Ancestral Temple. The message is shockingly simple. Lin Xian judged Baoshan Prefecture dangerous enough to need a great ascension ancestor, and Chan Hongi is already on site waiting for support. To the others, it feels insane, as if Tu-Chi and even the Mountain Lord have both gone mad over one sentence from the Lin ancestor. Then the answer comes back immediately, and golden words appear in the air confirming the request has been accepted. The notice goes further and names Ancestor Fengxing, saying the Great Ascension reinforcements are already on the way and will arrive in one day. That instant approval leaves the Dao Lords awestruck, because it proves Lin Xian's words carry enough weight in the Ancestral Temple to move a Great Ascension ancestor. With the request settled, Chan Hongi spreads her divine sense across Baoshan Prefecture and quickly notices the hidden secret realm Lin Xian had been watching all along. To someone at her level, Shiti's hidden realm is not subtle at all, just an ugly abnormal growth pasted onto the world. Once they follow her gaze, the other Dao Lords also lock onto the problem, and the whole group shifts to the sky above the hidden realm. The hall masters hesitate over whether to force the secret realm open right now, but Chan Hongi stops them and says they can wait for Ancestor Fengxing to arrive. Her reasoning is simple and cold. The Ancestral Temple values living geniuses, not dead heroes, so there is no point in taking reckless risks now. Down inside the secret realm, Shiti senses the gathering outside and goes numb when he realizes a whole group of Soul Formation Dao Lords, plus a peak unity expert, have found him. He can only panic over one question: who leaked the secret? From the other side of the dimensional tunnel, Emperor Lu answers with chilling confidence and says the timing is perfect, because the people outside can become the first sacrifices for the invasion. Then another unfamiliar voice cuts in and declares there is no need to wait any longer, because the invasion of the human realm should begin now. Several more voices answer from beyond the passage, eager and impatient, and Shiti finally realizes the situation is growing beyond even his control. Before anyone outside can react, a 1,000-meter black pillar erupts from the heart of the secret realm and punches straight through its sealed space into the open sky. The hidden realm is blown open completely, exposing everything inside to Chan Hongi and the others in one brutal reveal. They instantly recognize Shiti among the exposed figures, but the far bigger horror is the spreading spatial cracks and the black light swallowing the sky. In moments, the darkness thickens until the entire sky over Luo God Dao is sealed in black. Tu Chi is horrified when he feels his link to the ancestral formation severed, because the thing that should protect human territory has just been blocked. Chan Hongi understands even faster than the others and stares at the black cracks with a grim voice, recognizing this as a two-realm passage twisted into disaster. She does not hesitate for even a moment, and orders everyone to retreat. But the answer comes from the rift itself, mocking them that it is already too late, and demanding they become sacrifices for the invaders' race. A 3-meter Zhang clan warrior with pitch-black armored skin and blood-red eyes steps out of the crack, bringing the pressure of a peak unity expert with it. The hall masters barely have time to react before Chan Hongi flashes red and blows the arrogant invader apart with one strike. Chan Hongi coldly throws the insult back at them, making it clear she is still ready to kill, even in a crisis this bad. Her counterattack only enrages the beings beyond the rift, and furious voices roar back that Emperor Lu ordered none of the humans be spared. Then the real invasion begins, as Unity Realm warriors of the Zhang clan pour out of the rift in groups, one wave after another. With hundreds of Unity Realm enemies flooding into Baoshan, Tu Chi and the other hall masters finally see the truth in full. This is a race invasion, not a local incident. Chan Hongi accepts the situation instantly, and says they may have to fight for their lives today. Then she orders Tu Chi and the others to leave, because the battle about to start is on a level they cannot meaningfully join. Without waiting for an answer, Chan Hongi turns back toward the invaders, treating everything else as secondary now that the survival of the human race is on the line. On the mountain peaks, Chan Hongi stands alone before hundreds of Ghost Clan supreme gods and flatly rejects their invasion of the human world. The invaders sneer that even a peak Unity Realm expert like her cannot stop the Ghost Clan army. Chan Hongi answers by invoking her authority as Mountain Lord of the Five Peaks domain and calling on the will of the whole human realm. Her voice echoes through all 360 domains, and cultivators across the human world look up in confusion as something enormous begins to move. The major human forces understand the real danger at once, because a Mountain Lord would only borrow the human realm's will against a true foreign enemy. Golden human Dao rivers surge out of every domain and pour toward Chan Hongi like the whole continent is answering her call. At Baoshan, the gathered human will floods into Chan Hongi and drives her aura sharply upward. The Ghost Clan finally realizes who she is, and the entire swarm launches together to kill the domain's Mountain Lord before she finishes. Chan Hongi forms another seal and unleashes the human realm will technique, Cosmic Restraint. A huge golden barrier closes around the mountain region, and the charging Ghost Clan experts slam into it instead of reaching her. For a brief moment she steadies herself, knowing this human realm transformation can seal foreign enemies and, with enough borrowed power, even let her wipe them out in one strike. But she immediately sees the real problem. The spatial rift is too high grade to destroy, so killing the current wave would not stop more Unity Realm invaders from pouring in. She understands the trap clearly now. If enough humans are turned into sacrifices, the Ghost Clan can feed the passage and even twist human blood and resentment to deceive the ancestral formation. So instead of gambling on one attack, Chan Hongi chooses the harsher answer and keeps the place sealed to buy time for the human race. Inside the sealed realm, the Ghost Clan understands the same race against time stakes and starts hammering the barrier in non-stop waves. More and more invaders emerge through the rift, and the entire sealed cosmos begins to tremble as the human will is steadily eaten away. Seeing time run out, Chan Hongi raises a hand to her own chest and prepares to use her last emergency authority. She spits blood onto the Mountain Lord token, forcing it awake with a brutal personal offering. The token identifies her act as the Mountain Lord's Clan Rescue Order, an authority that can break through distance, karma, seals, and time to send the truth out. She does not hesitate for a second and cuts a strand of spiritual power from her forehead to complete the final verification. With the sacrifice accepted, the token erupts into a beam of light and begins projecting her emergency message to the whole human world. Across countless domains, people see Baoshan appear in the sky as Chan Hongi publicly begs the temple, every Mountain Lord, and every supreme god to come help hold the line. Her warning lands hard, because everyone instantly realizes this is not a border skirmish, but a full racial invasion into the human continent. In the eastern Xianyu domain, its Mountain Lord watches the sky message over a 10,000 zhang divine mountain and immediately decides to answer. She invokes her own authority in the name of Xianyu and sends her domain's share of the human realms westward to support Chan Hongi. Then the Xianyu Mountain Lord steps into the sky and orders every supreme god and stronger cultivator in her world to end their seclusion and reinforce the boundless territory, putting the whole human race above personal cultivation.